In this stone age, we're barely clothed and constantly hungry, while other tribes are still gnawing on raw meat and weeds. Your people feast. Not only are you eating steaming hot rice, but you're also wielding weapons way ahead of their time. All because you brought advanced special forces. Know how back to this ancient era. In your past life, you were special forces king. Chasing down criminals at the border, you took a bad fall off a cliff. When you opened your eyes again, you saw women in skins watch you. Pain searing. In your foot cut your thoughts short. Drawing on years of special forces survival training. You quickly diagnosed the wound on your foot as a snake bite. So you grabbed a nearby stone knife and sliced the wound open. Then you took a red-hot branch and cauterized it. A gut-wrenching scream later, you collapsed, spent onto the ground, just hoping the heat would fry the venom's proteins. After a night of fighting for your life, the next day, you bounced back like a cockroach. You took a strip of dried meat from a woman's hand and wolfed it down in seconds. After eating, you gestured wildly, demanding more food. The woman's answer, of course, was a hard no. In this tiny tribe of barely 50 souls, food each day is strictly rationed. Plus, it's the season to stockpile before winter hits. So, grub goes first to the full-grown hunters and gatherers. Seeing that, you knew you had to fill your own belly. With the weather getting colder by the day, you had to figure out a way to stash food for winter fast. Thinking it over, the easiest meat to get right now was fish. Less than a kilometer away, there was a small river. But people in this tribe don't eat fish. Naturally, they have no tools for fishing either. So, you had to go gather some vines to weave a basket yourself. Then off to scoop up some fish. Before long, you were back at the cave mouth with a huge bundle of vines, starting to craft your basket. A few kids gathered around, watching you with wide-eyed curiosity, babbling awu, awu without forming a single clear word. Women dry, thatch grass near cave. Right then, a wave of terrified shrieks erupted in the distance. You saw the bearded chief and two other men, each clutching a giant bird egg, sprinting and howling at the top of their lungs. Their screams were punctuated by sharp, piercing cries. A 3-meter terror bird chases the chief. You yelled instantly, drop the eggs. Now, too bad nobody could understand him. The chief wouldn't let go of the egg. The terror bird wouldn't let go of the chief either. In no time, the bird caught up and pecked him hard. He bit the dust right there. The two adults who ran back with him saw it, tossed their eggs, and scrambled to the tree lean. They climbed a tree, barely escaping. The kids with you had never seen anything so terrifying. They screamed in panic. With its target gone, the terror bird instantly turned and charged towards the screaming kids by the cave. You quickly herded the kids inside. The women inside shoved a round boulder, sealing the entrance tight. The bird couldn't get in, so it walked over to the chief's body and started pecking at it. You grit your teeth. You decide this bird has to die. It's tasted human flesh now, and it knows where your tribe lives. Your people will never have peace again, but you've got no weapons right now. A head-on fight is suicide. Just then, you see its long legs. A light bulb goes off. You get to work immediately. First, find 2 fist-sized rocks. Untie the snake skin from your waist. Tie a rock to each end. Finished. You grab the simple sling and slip out through a crack in the seal. The cave gasps. They want to grab you, but fear drawing the bird back. They can only watch, helpless spectators. You crouch low, moving silently through the brush. You stop about 500-600 feet from the bird. It's still lost in its feast. It has no idea you've got plans for it. You slowly rise to your feet. Grab the sling's center, spin it fast. The rocks whip around, centrifugal force, pulling the cord taut. The bird notices the movement. It lifts its head, shrieks, and charges you. It's getting closer. The women and kids at the cave mouth scream in terror. But you stand your ground, cool as a cucumber. Just as the bird closes to 100 feet, you hurl the sling straight at it. The released sling spins through the air, wrapping. Tight rubbers, long legs moment, make contact. The bird, now just 30 feet from you. The bird lost its balance and crashed around. Its tiny wings flapped uselessly, unable to get back on its feet. The women at the cave mouth and the other kids were just stunned. Their jaws were on the floor, couldn't believe what they just saw. You immediately signaled 2 of the kids to pin the bird's neck down. You smashed it with a rock. The terror bird's head exploded in a spray of blood. The snake went limp, then still. The 2 kids looked at you, their eyes filled with pure awe. You tied the snake's skin around your waist. You signaled them to help drag the kill. They were all ears now, completely obedient. Total fanboys, the both of them. The 3 of you worked together, hauling the terror bird by its legs toward the cave. Seeing the 3 of them dragging back a kill that massive. The cave people rushed out to help. The 2 men hiding in the trees climbed down. They'd witnessed the whole thing. You taking down that terror bird solo. They were seriously impressed. This was without the biggest passion in history. Back inside the cave, you told the women to save the feathers for you. The rest was theirs to handle. The immediate threat was gone. Time to get back to weaving those baskets. Roughly an hour later, 2 baskets were finished. You took the bird guts to the river. On the way, a woman saw you in the river alone. She followed, seeing you as a force. So she had to keep an eye on you. The 2 boys who just sworn loyalty to you, seeing you make another strange contraption and head out, they followed you to the riverbank. You stood on the bank, scanning the water carefully. But the longer you looked, the more uneasy you felt. You witnessed several murders, big fish devouring small ones. This river had predatory fish. Had to admit, though, the ecosystem here was thriving. The water was crystal clear. You could see straight to the bottom. Fish were everywhere. You picked your spot. Gripping the grass rope on the basket, you lowered it into the river. The scent of blood and meat spread through the water instantly. Fish within a 20-meter radius went into a frenzy. They swarmed toward you, darting into the basket, fighting over the entrails. You yanked the basket out of the water with a sharp pull. A few escaped, but 4 big fish remained thrashing inside. And the fish in the river, they didn't scatter. They just crowded below, a feeding frenzy for the scraps. It isn't that feeding koi fish in the park. Feeding koi in the park. The 2 kids and that grown woman were completely stunned. You put that weird thing in the water, pulled it up, hauled them up, legless. But they still didn't get why you'd haul them up. You dumped the 4 fish on the ground, cleaned them carefully, sliced off a piece of sashimi, and popped it in your mouth. Watching you chew the raw fish, it clicked for them. This was food. So they copied you, sliced a piece, and ate it. The woman's eyes lit up instantly. She realized this was a new food source right away. She started jabbering and gesturing, begging you to show her how to catch fish. But you didn't let her do that. You had her, and one kid handled the gutting. The other kid used grass to string the clean fish onto a stick. They carried them back to the tribe later. You went back to fishing. Now all the fish were swarming together. You just squatted by the bank and scooped with the basket. Every scoop brought in a decent haul. The four of you worked like that all afternoon. In the end, you pulled up over 200 fish. The biggest ones were maybe 10 pounds. No way the three of them could carry it all. You sent one kid back to fetch some older kids to help. Finally, the whole crew, some carrying, some hauling, moved in a grand procession back toward the cave. By then, the foraging and hunting parties were back. Without proper tools. The adults mostly bagged small game. Rabbits, pheasants, that sort of thing. Just then, the kids arrived at the cave with the fish. They were all hooting and hollering, showing off. Their day's haul to the adults. The adults had been down about the chief's death. But when they saw what you brought back, their spirits lifted instantly. The tragedy of the chief was forgotten just like that. After sorting the day's catch, all the tribespeople gathered outside the cave. A huge woodpile blocked the entrance. The chief's body was laid on top. An old man with two goat horns on his head lit the pyre. The roaring flames quickly consumed the chief's body. The firelight flickered on every face. Kids were swallowing saliva, smelling the roasting meat. They didn't feel a shred of sadness. The adults, too, were cheered up by the new. Everyone's calm now that we have a food source. You take the chance to size up the tribe. Total population, 52. 8 adult men, 15 adult women. The rest are all kids, big and small. The one who lit the fire is the elder. He's the oldest, so the tribe thinks he's the wisest. He's the oldest, so the tribe thinks he's the wisest. But he's about to be bumped to second place, because you're taking his spot in everyone's minds. There's a guy with 6 fingers. Weapon of choice, a wooden club. Probably inbreeding. He doesn't look all that bright. Next to 6 fingers is a guy with a feather necklace. This one looks sharp. Also likes a club, like 6 fingers. Behind feathers is stone with a bone necklace. His go-to weapon is a rock. A bit further off is a 15-year-old kid. He's only got a right ear, for scars on his left cheek. His weapon is a straight, thigh-bone spear, polished smooth. Next to one ear is 17-year-old fawn. His grandfather was a chief 2 generations back, and the weapons in his hands are 2 saber-tooth tiger fangs, over a foot long each. Then there's Brute, the biggest and strongest in the tribe. His weapon is simple, brutal, a thigh bone. Last is the cripple, leaning on a staff. He follows the foraging party now, scouting and clearing paths, obsessed with polishing stone tools. They say his life's ambition is to grind out a stone bowl before he dies. All in all, One Ear, Fong, and Brute are the tribe's top fighters. After the chief's body burns, night falls completely. Led by the elder, everyone heads into the cave to divvy up the food. Since no one's eaten fish before, they let you handle it. You take a pre-roasted fish, show them how to eat it, how to pick out bones. They copy you, eating with gusto. Maybe it's the first full belly in ages. They get happier, start dancing while they eat. The sight hits you. This feels like home. You make a silent vow. You will lead this tribe to a better life. After everyone finishes eating, the elder, with his ram horns, takes a charred stick and records your river fishing scene on the cave wall. Meanwhile, you're teaching the women how to weave baskets. You even add 2 straps of braid grass, turning it into a backpack. This way, they won't need animal skins to carry berries anymore. It'll make gathering way more efficient. The women take one look and are instantly hooked. They take turns trying on, reluctant to take it off. They finally agree to gather more vines tomorrow. They'll make their own, to show their thanks. They pick out 2 deer skins from the gathering party's hall and hand them to you. Just like that, you become the first kid in the tribe to wear animal hide. But you're not stingy with it. You keep one for yourself and give the other to the mothers, with toddlers 2 or 3 years old, so they can make clothes for their little ones. Kids have weak immune systems, and in the Stone Age, there's zero medical knowledge. A simple cold or fever could easily snuff out a child's life. So this deerskin, it might as well be a life saved. You believe if you ever need their help someday, they won't turn their backs on you. The next day, you wake up at first light. A quick set of military exercises leaves your mouth parched. But looking at the communal water trough everyone drinks from, you just can't bring yourself to take a sip. Time to make some proper water containers. Soon, the rest of the clan emerges from the cave, chattering. But today, the men aren't rushing off to hunt. The elders gathered all men outside the cave. Looks like they're choosing a new chief. You figure the only way to lead everyone is to become chief yourself. So you join the lineup of contenders. The chief selection is simple and brutal. 2 men fight, no weapons. The last one standing becomes the next leader. Soon, One Ear and Mighty have beaten their opponents. Watching their matches, you shake your head in dismay. No technique at all. Just brute force against brute force. Now it's One Ear versus Mighty. Mighty, standing nearly 6.5 feet tall, looks like a solid iron tower. One Ear seems lost, unsure where to even start. But he doesn't back down. With a roar, he charges first. But the moment he gets close, Mighty's huge hands clamp down on his shoulders. Before One Ear can react, he's flung several meters away. He slams into the ground with a thud and can't get up. Mighty beats his chest triumphantly. The tribe erupts in excited cheers. And that's how they accepted their new chief. But just then, you step up right in front of him. You forgot about me. Seeing a little kid dare to challenge him, Dolly pounds his chest, letting out a furious roar. But you don't back down either. You stand before Dolly, dropping into a fighting stance. Dolly looks down at you, barely reaching his chest. His eyes are full of confidence and utter contempt. The other kids watching start, whooping and hollering, cheering you on. Without hesitation, you charge straight at Dolly. Your left foot plants on his bent thigh, launching you upward. Your right knee drives up, smashing hard into his jaw. Before anyone can process what happened, Dolly drops straight to the ground. He rides in the dirt, groaning in pain. Every single tribesman is left speechless, jaws on the floor. Dolly was their strongest warrior. Even if he lost, it shouldn't have been an instant knockout. And against an underage kid, no less. The elder gets visibly worked up. A wild, gut feeling hits him. Powerful, unshakable division takes root. This entire tribe might be something much greater. Because of this kid standing right here. Before he can even give an order, you're hoisted up by the whole tribe, tossed into the air, celebrating the birth of their new chief. In just 2 days, you've pulled off more miracles for this tribe than they can count. Honestly, this outcome is what everyone was hoping for anyway. By now, Dolly has started to come around. He's clearly still not ready to accept it. Amid the gasps of the crowd, he lunges at you in a furious charge. See it coming? Roll off, hit dirt. Snatch 2 fingers, wrench them brutally. In one fluid motion, you spin around his back. Your foot slams into the back of his knee. Dolly face plants. Struggling makes it worse. Less than 2 minutes later, even a beast like Dolly, profusely sobbing, snot-nosed mess, begging for mercy. Only then you let go, dusting off your hands. You leave the blubbering giant where he lies, and turn to walk back into the cave. The crowd erupts all over again. The kids are going wild, celebrating the first time one of them ever beat a grown man. The women are already debating where to find the best finds, planning to ask the chief to teach them more basket weaving tonight. The elder just stares at the cave entrance, his expression unreadable, lost in his own thoughts. Right at that moment, you emerge from the darkness, your look completely transformed. A simple deerskin tunic covers your torso. Your jet black hair is tied back with a strip of snakeskin. It looks clean, sharp, and ready for action. This new look was your deliberate choice. They say this style started way back in the Shang and Zhou dynasties. Loose hair hindered early farmers in the fields, so they started tying it up. A Kihan symbol, life centered on farming, one of the important symbols of the nation. Under the admiring gazes of your tribe, you step forward and start delegating tasks for the day. First, you reorganize the gathering team. The tribe has 15 adult women. 6 of them are heavily pregnant. That leaves 9, plus the lame one, making 10. But today, you only send 8 women to gather. With back baskets, they no longer need lame one's protection. Each carrying a stick for self-defense should be enough. The 6 pregnant women stay behind to guard camp and watch over the toddlers. The older kids are put on weed pulling duty, running if it's boys the river fish. Now everyone has a job. But the lame one is left without a task and looks dejected. A man who spent his life grinding a stone basin. You have a special role in mind, pottery firing. But firing pottery isn't simple. It requires a lot of preparation. So for now, you give him other work. Yesterday's catch hasn't been dried. Without salt in this weather, it'll rot fast. Smoking it, however, can preserve for years. You demonstrate the process once, then leave it all to him. Meanwhile, you find a flat spot in front of the cave and start digging to build a kiln. It's a 3-tiered structure. Bottom, ash removal and airflow. Middle, the fire. The top layer holds the pottery. It takes a good 3 or 4 hours to finally get the kiln built. But a wet kiln is useless. You call over the 2 lads from yesterday's fishing trip and have them light fires on each level with firewood. It should be usable by afternoon. With all tasks assigned, you head to the riverbank yourself to select clay. You find a large, smooth river stone to use as a workbench. After kneading and pounding the dug-up clay, you quickly shape a wide-mouthed, narrow-bottomed jar. Following the same method, you make 4 more in a row. You set them all by the cave to dry. Next come several double-handled clay pots, dozens of bowls, and some smaller utensils. They don't need to be pretty, just functional. Right now, you can't be sure any of this will work. How many of these are actually going to make it through the fire? By mid-afternoon, you start loading all the semi-finished pieces into the kiln. The 2 kids and layman stand by, watching intently. The new chief made so many clay pots in a single day. But will they even work? Ignoring them, you sit by the fire pit, stoking it with more wood. Time passes, and by evening, the rest of the tribe starts returning. The women had a good haul, baskets full of wild berries, and big bundles of vines, probably for weaving more baskets. The men did well too. 2 birds big as turkeys, some eggs, and a few marmots. Add that to the 100+ fish caught today, and the whole tribe's haul is looking solid. Anything we don't eat today gets stored. Those pregnant women are due any day now. They'll need plenty of food when the time comes. When the pots start turning a pale white, you stop adding fuel. Let the fire die down on its own, cool overnight. We'll crack this kiln open tomorrow morning, after a full day's work. Everyone's exhausted, but they gather around the fire, each face lit up with a genuine smile. Then we're going to bed hungry. The best part? You made those 2 big birds into a kind of mud oven roast. They've never tasted anything so good. But your own appetite's gone. The food only had a pinch of that coarse salt. Barely any taste. That salt's precious now. Herbie traded for it with another tribe. A plan starts forming in your head. Maybe we can trade some of this pottery for more. Once everyone's finished eating, the women head back into the cave to weave baskets. They've already seen how useful the backpacks are. Fewer gatherers today, but a bigger haul. Meanwhile, you hand out all the animal hides. Now the kids can huddle together under proper covers. The next morning, you're up at first light, heading straight for the kiln to check the results. Layman drags the elder over right away, babbling excitedly about something. He looks nervous. Truth is, so are you. Your whole facelift plan, that meat stew you've been dreaming of, it all rides on this. Taking a deep breath, you lift the clay lid off the top of the kiln. Peering inside, you see all the bowls glowing a vibrant, earthy red. It's as if it's been glazed, unexpectedly smooth. Seeing this, Layman snatches that clay bowl right up. His hands are shaking as he runs his fingers over it, up and down. Then he staggers back toward the cave. Not long after, you see him running back, hollering with a bowl full of water. He proudly shows it off to the tribe. This beautiful container can hold water. You just smile and keep pulling pottery out of the kiln. For cooking pots, and 4 small water jars fired perfectly. Smooth surfaces, not a single crack. Out of 8 spoons, only 2 are usable. The rest melted, fused into a single lump. As for the 20+ bowls, only 12 are in good enough shape to use. One piece of reddish-brown pottery after another emerges, leaving the tribe in awe and excitement. Fong and Mighty are the quickest. Each grabs a jar and makes a run for the river. They return with water jars. The elder is thrilled, but he manages to stay composed. He gestures and talks, asking you how this was done. Before you can even answer, the 2 helpers from yesterday jump in, eager to explain it to him. But what you're really concerned about is the salt trade. You ask the elder about it, point blank. To your surprise, he looks at you like you're some kind of fool wasting trash. He points at the pottery, big and small, then at the adults and children of the tribe. He explains its preciousness in his dialect. Once it sinks in, you're completely floored. Even a single bowl could be traded for a boy nearly ready for manhood, or 2 girls. Forget about the water jars and cooking pots. Water containers are rare among tribes. Spending a lifetime grinding out a single stone basin is common. To get more containers, some tribes are willing to trade away their own people. They think more mouths are useless, just more food to feed. More people mean more hands for food. It also boosts the tribe's fighting strength. New members are fresh blood for the tribe. With that in mind, you immediately lay out the trading mission. The elder and hunters take 1 water jar. 1 cooking pot, and 3 clay bowls to trade for people and salt. Trade the water jar for 2 grown women. Trade the cooking pot for 2 boys on the cusp of manhood. Trade all 3 bowls for salt. Trade bowls for girls if no salt. Then, the group sets off immediately. You assign the day's tasks to the tribe. The trade was with a tribe to the west. After crossing a mountain and a valley, our group quickly reached the destination. This tribe was slightly larger than your Han tribe, with a population of about 80 to 90 people. The 2 tribes had often exchanged goods before. Seeing the elder and his group bring the items for trade, their leader, Sieding, immediately came out to meet them. After a brief exchange, the elder gave him a clay bowl. We'll trade this for salt rock. Sieding's eyes lit up instantly. The bowl was smooth inside and out, and much lighter than the stone basins his tribe used. He immediately had 2 tribesmen fetch a small pouch of salt and handed it to the elder. The elder checked the pouch and shook his head. We need more than this. And this time, we also want to trade for 2 adult women. As he spoke, he gestured for Dolly to bring out the water storage jar. Sieding was stunned. This stone basin is huge. We could store so much more water. He hesitated. 2 women for 1? A large stone basin like this is definitely a good deal. But it's autumn, the time for gathering food. Lose 1 person, you lose in the harvest. In the end, though, he agreed with a smile. 1 less mouth to feed, right? We're making a killing on this. Not long after, 2 frail-looking women were brought forward. They were a pair of adult sisters. The older sister held a naked 4-year-old boy in her arms. The boy lay motionless, his eyes closed. He was clearly sick. We'll trade these 2 for your large food basin. The little boy comes with them. Sieding waved his hand, his face full of contempt. He seemed to be urging the 2 women to leave quickly. The elder looked at the 2 weak women, but said nothing. Then don't bring out the clay cooking pot he was carrying, and the remaining clay bowls. If you want these, you can trade for them with boys. Leader Sieding had just gotten the big jar. Now seeing this slightly smaller one, he liked it, but he waved his hand again, indicating he wouldn't trade. The elder used your top method. He cooked a meat stew with the pot. Soon, a rich, savory aroma of meat wafted from the pot. The other tribe swallowed hard. So that's how you can eat meat. Leader Sieding couldn't wait any longer. He took the clay bowl from the elder. It held some stewed meat and broth. Sieding hesitantly took a bite. His eyes went wide. My God, this is incredible. The savory broth had a beautiful sheen of oil. That juicy, tender meat, 1 bite, and pure comfort. Just a few kids. It's a deal. We're trading. Now Sieding was finally being generous. He handed over the people without a fuss. He also had his men bring out a big bundle of salted food. They filled Lee's backpack to the brim. Seeing this, the elder gave a satisfied nod. The group began the journey back, now a larger procession. They came with a party of 7. With the 9 people they bought, there were now 16 heading home. This all beats a whole day of hunting. The group hurried along the trail. They finally reached the Han tribe just before dusk. The people they just bought froze at the cave mouth. At the entrance were 4 new jars, pots, and bowls. Casey was just standing there, grinning like an idiot at his pottery. This was the happiest day of his life. And on the other side of the clearing, hundreds of fish hanging together, drying the air. The women nearby were all smiling. This was all meat. Now, they could catch their own food too. Especially the adults and kids they just traded for. They were completely dumbstruck. They knew a single stone basin could buy 2 grown men. But this tribe, they had so much more. And all that hanging meat, that must be for eating. Maybe coming to this tribe won't be so bad. The elder brought the new arrivals to report to you. 8 naked adults and 1 naked child. You squinted, walking past each one in turn. Skinny, scrawny, definitely second-rate goods. But it's fine. The tribe has plenty of meat. 1 winter, and we'll fatten them all up. You finally stopped in front of the woman holding the child. The kid wasn't moving. Its face was flushed red. You touched the child's forehead. It was burning up. You quickly pulled the woman into the cave. First, you wrapped the mother and child in a fur pelt. You sat them by the fire pit to warm up. Meanwhile, you were pacing back and forth, frantic. No medicine, nothing. How do we bring the fever down? Suddenly, your eyes lit up, right? Washa, that reduced fever. The moment the thought hit, you started getting things ready. Thinking of this, you immediately start preparing. I set a pot of fish stew on the fire. Then I want to find a bone for scraping. That terror bird's beak was over half a meter long. A small piece from it would be enough. The mother holding the child had no clue what I was doing. She'd been frowning ever since I touched her baby. She was terrified I'd take her child away. The thought of it brought tears to her eyes. Right then, I walked over with a piece of the bird's beak. Give me the child. I can help him. She didn't understand the words, but she felt I was kinder than the old chief had ever been. Trembling, she handed the baby over. I used the bone shard to scrape red welts across the child's skin. The sleeping child winced in pain, whimpering constantly. Before long, I handed the baby back, covered in red marks. I ladled a bowl of fish soup and spoon-fed it to him. The kid must have been starving for days. He swallowed at the moment to touch his lips. I let out a breath. If he can eat, he can pull through. Get him to sweat it out. And this little life is saved. The mother finally relaxed. She didn't know what I'd just done, but it clearly wasn't meant to harm her child. With the fear gone, her stomach, empty for 2 days, started to growl. She stared at the fish soup, swallowing hard. I immediately handed her a bowl, along with a big chunk of fish. Then I took the baby from her arms, wrapping him tightly in hide. My mind was racing with worry. Even a simple fever could be a death sentence here. Food is solved for now. But clothing? To get enough hides, we need to hunt big game. With these weapons? Impossible. I'll have to go out on hunts myself. Find materials for better weapons. At the very least, set some traps. I swore to myself, before winter comes, every single person will have a garment. After everyone ate, the little boy woke up, soaked in sweat. I handed him back to his mother. I tied his hair back myself, and gave him a name, Shu Bing. The woman was overjoyed. The new chief of the tribe not only saved her son, he even tied her hair in the same style as the others. That meant he accepted them. With that done, you started crafting your own gear. Picked out a reasonably straight stick, lashed the sharpened terror bird leg bone spearhead to one end. A primitive bone spear was born. Next, snapped off some terror bird beak, ground into a short blade. Leftover materials went to the lame one, so he could make one too. Just these 2 pieces of gear for now. Gotta do everything yourself. Early next morning, after the tribe was up, you handed out new tasks. Lame one keeps firing pottery. First priority, everyone gets a bowl. Adult women split into 2 teams. 1 for gathering wild fruits, 1 for fishing. The remaining kids stay to help with the hunt. You lead the hunting party personally. The whole crew, plus your two usual sidekicks, Big Mouth and Monkey. Big Fur and Little Fur, the brothers you bought yesterday. A full squad of 11. They marched into the jungle under the rising sun. Once inside, the hunting party scattered, each adult hunting solo. You took your 4 junior followers. They carry baskets, held coils of grass rope, ready to assist. Most trees here were nut bearers. Each one soared over 30 meters tall, staring at trunks thicker than a man is tall. You were powerless. The ground was littered with nuts. In the distance, large birds packed at the ground. But along the way, you just observed. Didn't take a single shot. A good hunter first needs to know what's in his territory. Soon, you found wild boar tracks. From a messy prints, a whole herd. But the depth of those hoof prints, it made you nervous. Looked like they weighed over 1,000 pounds. Easy. You moved forward with extreme caution. Finally crested a ridge. And there it was. A sparkling creek cutting through the valley ahead. To the west, giant aloe plants. A dozen or more aloes green on western peak. Looked like a complete family unit. Lead boar, an alpha male, probably 1,500 pounds. Followed by his main squeeze, second, third. And over a dozen piglets, each the size of a domestic hog. Charging in head-on was suicide. How to set traps. You slithered backward, low to the ground. Back into the woods. Your crew was terrified. They'd never seen prey this big. You never expected them to. Started setting the traps alone. Make figure. 6 loop snares over boar tracks with grass rope. Use grass rope to make several figure. 6 loop snares over the boar tracks. Tie the other end to a sturdy tree. Once the boar steps in, the snare tightens automatically. The more it struggles, the tighter it gets. For safety, you have your little crew climb up into the trees. Now you just need to turn her back around. You circle to the other side. Covered in mud, holding 2 branches. You suddenly leap out from behind the bushes, screaming at the top of your lungs. The pigs have never seen anything like it. They immediately bolt for the woods. You're right on their heels, yelling and running. Soon, the sound of a boar's shriek echoes from ahead. When you reach the trap zone, you see the lead boar and a full-grown sow lying on the ground. This grass rope won't hold for long. You approach carefully with your bone spear. Seizing the moment, you thrust it deep into its gaping mouth. The sharp spear pierces right through the back of its neck. Blood gushes out like a fountain. Before long, the 1,500-pound beast finally slumps to the ground, its body twitching sporadically. You let out a long sigh of relief. But soon, a new problem presents itself. How do you get a boar this big? Back to camp with just 5 kids? Looking at the still struggling sow, an idea hits you. First, you secure the sow to a tree with grass rope. Then you tie its snout shut to prevent biting. Next, you tie a rope to each of the sow's front legs. Finally, you tie the boar's rope to the sow's body. Once everything's set, you take the lead, guiding the direction by the sow's snout. Big Mouth and Monkey each take a rope, attached to the sow's front legs, walking on either side. Big Fur and Little Fur bring up the rear with sticks on guard. They trek through the dense jungle this way. And finally, the tribe's cave comes into view in the distance. One of the kids clearing brush outside is the first to spy you. He whoops and hollers to alert the tribe. In no time, they all come swarming out to meet you. But no one dares get too close. They've never seen prey this massive. You call for Limpy, telling him to fetch a water trough and some salt. When he brings it over, you dig a pit in the ground. Then place the trough inside. The rim is just slightly above ground level. Then, everyone helps you pin the sow down next to the trough. You drive your knife straight into its neck. Not a drop of blood wasted, it all sprayed right into the vat. In no time, the vat was filled to the brim with blood. You pour in a bowl of salt water, stir it all up. Won't be long before it turns into delicious blood curd. Soup tonight. Tan the hide. Good for boots or packs. These 2 pigs should yield plenty. Under the hide, a layer of white, solid fat 4 fingers thick. We'll render it down over the fire later. Besides the lungs we'll use for fishing bait. Everything else is edible. Even the bigger bones are all being stripped clean. Could grind them into tools or weapons. The entire afternoon was spent on these 2,000-pound beasts. Exhausting, but the payoff is sweet. The smoking racks are hung full with cuts of meat, big and small. A vat of cooked blood curd. 3 vats of pure white lard. Kids are giggling, snatching up cracklings nonstop. Even Chu Bing is chowing down happily, just as the lame man opened the kiln for the pottery at dusk. The main work party returned from their long day. The fishing team hauled in hundreds. The hunting team did well too. 3 pheasants and 2 big snakes. Over a dozen bird eggs and as many groundhogs. Plus a basket of nuts. But the real surprise, today Chu Bing's aunt led the gathering to a new kind of food. A very sweet root. You cut through the outer bark, and inside there's this natural amber-colored sap. Gather enough, we could refine it into sugar. You made a point to praise the young woman for it. Dinner was a happy affair, but the elder's face was dark. He was holding a thorny vine covered in red spikes, chasing Chu Bing's aunt, whipping her with it. From the original Host of Memories, you know? That vine is the tribe's version of household discipline, reserved for those who made a grave mistake. You quickly step in, blocking the furious elder, demanding to know his reason. He says that root is bait from a demon tree. Anyone who eats it gets eaten by the tree itself. Hearing this, you immediately order everyone to stop eating it. Not that you buy a story, but you're worried it might actually be poisonous or addictive. Because of this, you stay on high alert all through the night, monitoring your body for any changes. Thankfully, nothing happened. At daybreak, when the clan emerges, you start assigning the day's tasks. The rest is business as usual. The only difference is Chu Bing and his mom joined the fishing team, while you took 4 of your guys to the foraging team. You need to check out what the elders called the demon tree is all about. The tree's location is deep in the mountains behind the cave. This mountain doesn't have many tall trees, but the underbrush is thick with plenty of fruit trees. While moving through, you're thrilled to discover the chili peppers you've been dreaming of, a fiery red patch hidden in the bushes. But your tribesmen never eat these. The spicy kick makes them think it's inedible. You immediately order your 4 guys. Forget everything else today. Just focus on picking these peppers. You follow the foraging team onward, cresting a ridge. A basin spreads out before your eyes. Scattered everywhere are animal bones, tinged with a sickly green, like a mass grave. And right in the basin's center, a bizarre tree, about 60 meters tall, stands there. Its roots cover an area of 500 meters in diameter. The closer to the center, the more root nodules there are. This pattern seems designed to lure animals toward the trunk. Your gut tells you, the closer to the trunk, the greater the danger. Still, you plan to take a closer look. With your skills, you're confident you can get out in one piece. Each step, you jab the ground ahead with your spear, slowly inching toward the center, just as your spear touches the area. Special Forces King's instinct sharpened. Scream that danger is coming. You yank the spear back, retreating the way you came. At that moment, a whoosh of air cuts through the silence from above, over a dozen meter long. Spikes slam straight into the ground, right where your spear had just been. Each spike is nearly a centimeter thick, with a white, bowl-sized flower at its base. Natural arrows. You're instantly overjoyed. The story of borrowing arrows with straw bows pops into your head. Using your backpack as a target, you tie a long rope to it and toss it under the canopy. Instantly studded with spikes. A few more tosses, you've got 2 big bundles of spikes. On the way out, you tell the women the roots are edible. Only collect from the outer perimeter. You also gather 100 young demon tree saplings from woods, each already about 3 centimeters thick. They grow perfectly straight, the best material for spears. You call over the 4 guys, picking peppers. The 5 of you shoulder the saplings and head home. The kids are all gathered around the stuff you brought back. But in the eyes of the pregnant women, what you brought is useless. Chili peppers can't be eaten. Sticks aren't thick enough to kill prey. But that doesn't dampen your mood. For the rest of the day, you're going to upgrade your gear. The strip thorns are fine-grained and hard, about as thick as a cigarette. They make solid arrows if you fletch them. They'd lose range, but pack a serious punch. As for the 3-centimeter saplings, the wood's tough. Char the surface, grind a point, and they're ready for hunting. The spearhead grinding goes to the 4 guys. Soon, the whole tribe will be armed with these new spears. Now all we need is a bow. With what we've got, a longbow's the only option. It's clunky, but the power's no joke. Making a longbow requires cedar. There's some in the woods where we caught the boar. Just need to find the right size. But honestly, what's really on your mind is the aloe vera you spotted during the boar hunt. The fibers in its leaves are perfect for making rope. You can even weave cloth for clothes. Not as good as hemp, but beats animal hides. And it's tough. More importantly, the sap from its leaves treats wounds, reduces swelling, detoxifies, cools inflammation. Thinking ahead, you plan to start cultivating aloe vera next year. Then the tribe can have clothes. It'll also cut down on infections and deaths from hunting injuries. The next day, you're back in the boar woods. You find 2 cedar trees knocked down by some animal already air-dried. Perfect for a bow. You spend the whole day preparing stone axes and knives. After another day of carving and shaping, a 5-foot longbow starts to take form. Another day of careful straightening and sanding, and it's done. The bowstring is twisted from sisal fiber. The arrows are all made from the ready thorns, fleshed with the blue-green feathers of a terror bird. You make over 200. 2 days later, you gather the whole tribe in the clearing. 30 meters away, there's a straw target. A few freshly caught groundhogs are tied to it. First, you demonstrate spear throwing. 30 meters. Every throw hits the mark. Then it's close quarters spear thrusting. The tribe's going wild. Only now do they realize what the chief's been making these past few days are weapons. Except for the youngest kids. You hand out 1 spear to every tribesman. Hunters get 3 each, 2 throwing spears, and 1 for stabbing up close. Those kids about to come of age. Daily spear practice, plus weeding and play. The pale-shafted spears look sharp. The tribe can't get enough of these standardized weapons. Besides chucking rocks, this is the only thing that lets us strike from a distance. Next, you demonstrate the bow. From 100 paces, you put 5 arrows straight into that groundhog. Everyone's jaws hit the dirt, scrambling to get a closer look. They crave it, but you're just teasing. Not rolling it out yet. Making these is still a pain. With the spear rollout a success, you get to work on boots. 2 black boar hides, tanned over and over, are now tough and flexible. To make sure everyone gets a pair, only your boots are all boar leather. For the rest, it's boar hide for the soles, and the uppers are stitched from whatever small game pelt we have. You made Chu Bing's boots yourself. The shafts go up to the knee, lined with thick, furry pelt. The whole thing's crazy warm. The little brat struts around, showing them off to everyone. After all your work, the tribe's meager stash of small pelts is wiped out. The cold's closing in, and the need for hides is getting desperate. Now that we have enough pottery, you put the lame one on a new job, firing bricks. Once we have enough, we can build a bigger kiln. Maybe even use them for walls and huts. The weeding job you gave the kids is pretty much done. Outside the cave, dozens of acres of land are all cleared. Good for building, good for planting. Just don't have the right seeds yet. We can only plant some chili peppers. Sisal's a perennial, so you plant a plant on the back hill, harvest it once a year. With these long-term tasks set, you're ready to head out farther, to hunt for big grazing animals. The gear for a long trek? You had it ready. Weapons, food, supplies, got it all covered. After briefing the tribe, you shoulder your pack and set off. The elder looks at you like you're walking to your doom. There's an endless night outside cave. Not a single soul. Grazers are usually on the plains. First step, get out of this endless forest. A whole morning of walking, the trees are getting shorter. Good sign. Means the jungle's about to end. All that hiking left you parched. You head to a river for a drink. Crouch down, pull out your clay bowl, and a monster explodes from the calm water. A gaping maw full of jagged teeth lunges for you. You spin around in panic. It clamps down on your backpack. The water beast's mouth is jammed. Can't spit it out. Can't bite through it either. Just thrashes its head. You're dragged under, tossed side to side. Critical moment. You fight to pull the bird-beak dagger from your boot. Cut one shoulder strap. Twist your body around with effort. One hand death grips the remaining strap. The other stabs the beast's head over and over. Its thrashing gets wilder. It launches you both out of the water, then slams you back down hard, drags you on a chaotic ride through the river. You flip yourself onto its head. Drive the blade deep into both its eyes. Blood and brains gush from sockets. A relentless fountain of gore, clouding a huge patch of river. Slowly, the beast's struggles weaken, until it's just twitching. You drag yourself, exhausted, to the far bank. Catch your breath. The beast floats belly up, dead. Your pack's still stuck in its jaws. Gotta get that pack back. You find a tough find. thread it through the empty eye sockets. Put your back into it, haul the carcass ashore. Finally, a chance to look at this thing. Just a fish, a giant fish. Start chiseling out the big teeth. Over 50 of them, triangular, big as child's palm. Only after that can you pry your pack free. Check your gear. The fire tube's dry. Thank the ancestors. Some stuff's a little banged up, but functional. You're about to start a fire. Dry your clothes. Footsteps in the woods. You turn. A woman with pale skin and a little girl stare at you, terrified. Then they both scream and bolt. Something round and solid thuds to the ground where they stood. There's a round thing on the floor. You walk over and see it's actually a wooden bucket. Hollow log, burned out inside. Those two women were probably here to fetch water. Now they just dropped the bucket and ran. They'll return with more. The water-fetching woman returns with several members of her tribe. They're dressed in white animal skin robes. Their skin pale, as if dusted with chalk. The whole group stares in shock at the giant fish behind you. A man who looks like the leader locks eyes with you. He points to the wooden bucket nearby. You immediately get his meaning. You use your spear to lift the bucket and hand it to their leader. The leader takes the bucket, jabbering something in his language. Points at the giant fish. You can guess what he means, pointing at the fish. You step aside, clearing the way to the fish. The whole group rushes forward immediately. They start pummeling the giant fish. A few of the women even start wailing and crying. The leading man has a smile on his face. He pounds his fist against his own chest. Then he extends his fist towards you. You're confused, but seeing his friendly expression, it probably doesn't mean a fight. Hesitantly, you bump your fist against his. The man laughs heartily and gives you an enthusiastic hug. Talks and gestures animatedly. Even without common language, expressions and body language can still get the point across. You tell him, gesturing, you came from across the river. You're looking for an animal with horns on its head. The man nods in understanding, then tells you. Many people from his tribe have been eaten by this fish. To thank you for killing the monster, he invites you to be a guest in their tribe. Evening is approaching, and your two tribes aren't that far apart. Maybe you could trade with them in the future. So you decide to accept his invitation. You signal for them to take the fish. It's edible. The man looks utterly surprised. In their experience, they only get eaten by fish. They've never eaten fish before, but he agrees. The fish is too big, so they have to butcher and portion first. You get back to work. The silver skin is about 13 feet long, over 11 feet wide, smooth, and surprisingly elastic. Most importantly, it's waterproof. You claim it without hesitation. The clean fish meat is cut into several large chunks. They're carried away. Their village is right there in the woods. We hadn't walked 10 minutes before we saw a massive tree. The hollow inside was maybe 100 square feet. Not a huge space, but enough for them to live in. Because honestly, the numbers were pitifully small. Counting all the grown men and women, only 14 adults. Adding all the kids, and you got a grand total of 32 souls. I started calling this tree-dwelling group the Tree Tribe. Their pale skin, a lifetime spent in this dark, sunless forest. No sunlight ever touches them here. Their elder pointed a bony finger east. Told me that way, out of the Black Forest. There's a mountain that looks like a cloud in the sky. On that mountain lives an animal with 2 sharp horns. Runs like the wind. Nobody's ever caught one. From his description, I figured it had to be some kind of large antelope. Chasing it down? No chance. But setting a trap that I could do. I felt a surge of confidence. But the shoe and the tree elder, they weren't buying it. Seeing the elder fall silent, the shoe started pushing their clothing, made from the pelts of rabbits over half a meter long. These rabbits feed on the moss and mushrooms in these woods, and there are plenty right here in the Black Forest. My eyes lit up. Rabbits. Now there's a resource. You know rabbits. They breed like, well, rats. 5 kids a litter, easy. The young reach maturity in 4 months. Then they start popping out litters every 2 months. Get 2 breeding pairs back to camp, manage them right, and in a year, you've got hundreds. The whole tribe will be clothed. Rabbit meat becomes a steady food source. After the evening meal, the shoe said he was taking his people out to hunt. Asked if I wanted in. Took me a second, but rabbits are nocturnal. Night hunting makes sense. So I agreed. At the sight, I didn't lift a finger. Just watched from the shadows, seeing how they did it. The shoe's crew gathered some mushrooms first, placed them at the base of a black ironwood tree. Then they all hid nearby. Didn't take long. A fat rabbit came hopping over. It paused, scanning the area. Seeing nothing, it started inching toward the mushrooms. That's when the shoe and his group burst from cover. They used branches thick with smaller twigs. Quickly boxed the rabbit in, leaving it no room to move. That's when I finished off the rabbit with a sharpened stick. That's how you hunt as a team, and we even caught it live. Instantly, you got the idea to trade with them. How great would it be if they could catch rabbits for you? Then you moved to another spot and set up the mushrooms again. This time, you decided to show them what you're made of. You pulled out the longbow and knocked an arrow. The shoe was staring, completely baffled. He had no idea what this thing was. Right then, another rabbit came sneaking around. It was still over 10 meters from the mushrooms. The shoe quickly tugged your arm, signaling to get ready to rush it. You ignored him. Instead, you drew the bow and, thwip, the arrow went straight through the rabbit's neck. The shoe stared at your bow, his mind blown. You grinned, handing him the longbow and an arrow. You guided his hands, showing how to draw. Aim at the rabbit on the ground. Thwip! The arrow buried itself halfway into the dirt. The tribe people gasped in amazement. They were fascinated by this incredible weapon. Seeing how Deshu couldn't put the bow down, you gave him one of your fletched arrows. As a token of friendship, the hunt turned into your solo performance. In half a night, you bagged over a dozen rabbits. A number they couldn't even dream of catching. On a good day, 3 or 4 was a big deal for them. It also made the tribe quietly wonder just how powerful your tribe must be. Back at camp, as you requested, the spoils were split. Pelts for you, meat for the Trident tribe. They had no complaints, obviously. If I stay here a bit longer, I'll definitely have enough pelts for my whole tribe. That would achieve my goal for coming out here. But I want to go further. Really explore this world. And I'm very interested in what the tree elder mentioned, that animal. Catch a few alive to pull carts. You restocked on food and embers and said goodbye to the shoe. You also asked him to catch some live rabbits for you. Just feed them grass and mushrooms daily. You trade other game for them when you returned. He really didn't want you to leave. With you here, they'd have a much better chance this winter. But he knew you had bigger things to do. After leaving the Trident tribe, you walked cutting branches and sticking them in the ground as markers. 2 whole days of walking. Finally out of that pitch black forest, the view opens up ahead. A vast grassland stretches before my eyes. Only a few scattered trees in sight. Tracks of some grazing animals on the ground. I notch an arrow, move forward cautiously. The sight ahead makes me grin. A herd of creatures about the size of donkeys. Blue oryx grazing peacefully, heads down. Perfect for hauling loads, like mules. A plan to capture them alive forms instantly. But these blue beasts don't look like pushovers. Just look at those sharp horns on their heads. Charge and recklessly, and the whole herd turns on me. My whole tribe would be planning a funeral feast. A closer observation reveals it's mating season for these animals. In this herd, only one mature male. The rest are 8 females and 8 calves. Seeing this, a strategy clicks in my mind. Use the same trick I use on the terror bird. Take down the male first. The rest will follow on their own. I back away slowly to a safe distance. Start crafting a bola. Soon, I'm back with the bola, moving low. Hidden behind a bush, waiting for my moment. The perfect opportunity presents itself. The bull is busy with a cow, singing his happy tune. I swing the bola fast, like a propeller. It flies towards the entangled pair, wraps tight around their hind legs in an instant. The pair jolts violently. Thud, they crash to the ground, howling. Next, I spin a lasso in my hand. Toss it out like a damn cowboy. Lands perfectly, snaring the legs of 2 huddled females. The herd erupts into chaos, scrambling in panic. In no time, several of them are hopelessly tangled, screaming and thrashing. The 2 remaining females see the mess, and bolt, leading the 8 calves away. I watch helplessly as 10 of them escape. Nothing I can do. Focus on the ones left. I tie up the legs of the remaining blue oryx. Taming wild animals is no easy task. For a feisty species like the blue oryx, first step, break their damn pride. So I take a stone axe and smash off the prize horns, then seal the stumps with red-hot coals. So it won't grow back. The oryx went from fighting like crazy to looking like a beaten-down quail. Finally, you got some rope and tied the lead male to the front. The rest you strung together in a line. By the time you finished, it was almost dark. You led them to a small stream. Made a stew with rabbit jerky for dinner. To the northeast of the stream, there was a colorful stone mountain. Under the setting sun, it reflected a dazzling mix of colors, just from the hues. You guessed it was a multi-mineral banded vein. This discovery got you pumped. You really wanted to check it out. But by then, night had fallen completely. You had to hold back the urge for now. The next day, just as dawn was breaking, you were woken by noise. The sight before you almost made you jump for joy. In a little grove where you tied the blue oryx, the 2 females that ran off yesterday had come back, bringing 8 calves with them, and they'd somehow managed to lure another grown male oryx along too. You quietly hid in the bushes again, same old trick. After a bit of work, your oryx herd went from 7 to 18. By then, the sun was up. In high spirits, you rode, heading to 8 Treasure Mountain, a gold mine. After a good, hard look, you realized it was a rich copper deposit. The other colors were associated minerals. With this, or making bronze weapons wasn't just a dream anymore. Those other minerals had uses too. The orange was realgar, which works as medicine. Applied externally, it treats snake and insect bites. Taken internally, it kills parasites. The white was kale and clay, perfect for making crucibles to melt iron. The big red mounds, though just termite hills, had weathered soil that was excellent for pottery. Luckily, 8 Treasure Mountain was only about a 3-day walk from your tribe. Using the blue oryx to pull a cart would cut that time down. Just needed to build a bridge back home first. With the plan set, you finally had time to take in the scenery. East of the mountain, the water system was rich, a vast wetland and marsh. The foothills had lush grass, a paradise for plants and animals. Knee-high ryegrass, waist-high alfalfa, elephant grass tall as trees. This was prime grazing for any herbivore. The cave's open ground is perfect for planting this fodder. My entire livestock operation, and these future workhorses, the blue oryx, we're counting on this haul. Grab some of those. They'll help top up our vitamin levels. Half an afternoon later, you've got a whole bag of grass seeds. You tie it onto the back of a female oryx and start hunting for your own dinner. Soon enough, a prehistoric owl with a 5-meter wingspan gets 2 arrows through it and plummets from the sky. Every usable feather for fletching gets plucked clean. You plan to roast the whole thing, to restock the nearly empty rabbit jerky in your pack. But as you're squatting by the water's edge, cleaning the bird, a chance discovery hits you. So hard you almost tear up. You find, right in its stomach, undigested rice grains. In this rice, you've never seen anything like it. Each grain is bigger than a mung bean. It's the first actual grain crop you found in this world. Your first thought, you have to find where it grows. You skip sleep that night, gather branches, and start frantically building gear for the swamp. Gotta harvest that rice before the animals get it all. At first light, you grab your makeshift dugout canoe, find a spot where the water's a bit deeper, and paddle straight into the heart of the marsh. Meanwhile, back in the dark forest, the Shu is leading his tribe on a snow hare hunt to meet the demands of both your tribe and his own. The entire clan is out day and night. Only the elders and kids under 6 stay behind. To boost the catch, he's even started brute force evictions. Find a rabbit hole, dig it right out. Smoke him out, burn him out. It's brutal, but it works. He's bagging a good number, even snagging a few litters of newborn kids. But this hunting method is about to bring disaster on his people. This time of year, every tribe is stockpiling food. The cannibal tribe is no different. Their food? People. Anyone they catch. The men get eaten. The women get kept for breeding or labor. On the very day you push deep into swamp, a cannibal tribe hunting party is, drawn by the firelight from the Shu's rabbit smoking. This crew is all grown men. 40 of them. Their weapons are all stone axes and wooden spears. They're a serious force, especially the 2 leading them. They're riding 2 juvenile terror elephants. The tree tribe, even with every man, woman, and child, doesn't outnumber them. Facing such a powerful enemy, the Shu ordered his people to run. The cannibals were hot on their heels, but he knew the terrain. He led them through the roughest paths to escape. The enemies couldn't close in fast, but some fell behind. A little girl, foraging for mushrooms, was terrified. She tripped over a root while running and fell. As she got up, an axe flew and hit her in the back. Then, a pursuing enemy finished her with a spear. A pack of savage cannibals just laughed and circled her, drinking her blood. The Shu gritted his teeth so hard they creaked. But he didn't stop. He knew if they all fought back, they'd just be slaughtered. Because of that dead little girl, the enemy's pursuit finally slowed for a moment. The Shu rushed back to the tribe. He told the elders the enemy was too strong. No way to win. Migration was the only option. The tree elder made the final call. He ordered the Shu to lead the people east, into the Black Forest to find you. After all, judging by your weapons, your tribe must be powerful. He himself would stay behind to hold off the enemy. He was too old to run anyway. The Shu swallowed his grief, nodded firmly, and hurried everyone a pack. They set out east with everything they had. Truth be told, he had no guarantee. You'd been gone for days. Where were you now? Were you even alive? He had no clue. But staying meant certain death. He had no other choice. Not long after, the enemy found their village. The tree house their ancestors had lived in for generations was now a sea of flames. The tree elder started the fire, hoping to take a few invaders with him, buying the others time. After this disaster, the tree tribe, which only had 32 people, was down to 30. The group, spirits broken, pushed on east through the Black Forest without rest. The Shu had almost given up hope of finding you, but then he saw the fresh branches stuck in the ground, marking a trail. His hope surged back. In just a day and a half, they reached the edge of the Black Forest. They emerged as evening fell. The sky was crimson in the sunset's glow. This was the first time they'd ever seen the world beyond their own. But the Shu kept frowning. The trail you left ends here. He had no idea where to look next. Just as he was at a loss, he spotted signs of fire by the creek. Moving closer, he saw plenty of animal tracks in the soft mud. Among them were the prints from your strange boots. The Shu let out a sigh of relief. He knew you had to be close. So he ordered the whole tribe to make camp here for the night. And just as the Shu was leading his people in their desperate flight, you were deep in the swamp, searching meticulously. Finding rice in this dense thicket of reeds was no easy task. Suddenly, your eyes lit up. You had an idea. Waterfowl love this kind of rice. So all you had to do was look, where the birds gathered. With that thought, you sprang into action, paddling the canoe, while slapping the water hard with a stick. Suddenly, from a reed bed not far off, a flock of waterfowl erupted in the air with a loud whistle. You paddled hard toward the direction the birds had fled. As you got closer, a small patch of grain, heavy with seed, slowly came into view. Your eyes blazed with sudden intensity. A surge of triumph. This was it, the wild rice you were looking for. You drove the canoe toward the mud flat. But just as your little boat was about to reach its target, human shouts suddenly rang out behind you. Turning toward the sound, you saw several naked primitives, clinging to floating logs in the water. They were waving at you frantically, shouting nonstop. They looked desperate. These were the people of the forest tribe, who made their home in these very swamps. The tribe numbered only about 50. Right now, they were gathering water chestnuts, their winter reserve. Suddenly, they saw one of their own sitting on a miraculous thing, floating on the water, slowly drifting toward the death zone the elders warned about. Ling Chao, leader of the forest tribe, yelled at you in a panic, hoping to stop you from going any further. Unfortunately, you couldn't understand a word. You stared back at them, completely confused. Seeing you show no reaction, Ling Chao immediately started swimming toward you. While you were still trying to process it all, Ling Chao had already reached the side of your canoe. He pointed frantically at the reeds where the wild rice grew thick. He kept shouting, his face a mix of urgency and raw fear. Seeing he meant no harm, you let your guard down a notch. But judging by the woman's expression, she was warning you that place was death. Don't go. You gestured, miming a beast shape with your hands. You let out a low, guttural growl. Then you pointed back at the reed bed. Ling Chao shook her head. She pointed at you, the marsh, then touched the water. She made a slow, sinking motion with her palm. You go, you sink. You got it. Quicksand. Or worse, you felt a wave of relief. You were grateful for the warning, but you come prepared. No way you were turning back now. You dug your paddle into the water and steered straight for the reeds. Ling Chao screamed, her voice sharp with panic, but she didn't follow. She just watched, helpless. The next moment, her jaw dropped. You'd strapped these flat, board-like things to your feet, hugging a giant, man-sized square of woven vines like a shield. You just stepped out onto the so-called death marsh, and you didn't sink. A collective gasp ripped through the spectators. They'd never seen anyone walk in killing mud and not get swallowed whole. But what looked easy from the shore was a brutal slog up close. Beneath the reeds was nothing but thick, sucking muck. Each step was a struggle, your snowshoes fighting the deep snow. Sweating and straining, you finally made it to that small stand of wild rice. Each stalk towered over 2 meters tall. Heavy, golden seed heads hung from every one, ripe and full. You pulled out the prepared snakeskin sacks. You began a ruthless harvest, stripping every stalk bare. Not a grain was left. You hauled 2 full sacks back. Time to head home. You did it. Your own fields, your own harvest. New day, but you hadn't paddled far. When the Lin tribe surrounded your little craft, their eyes locked onto the 2 heavy sacks on the raft that had still floated under that weight got their attention. So this floating thing wasn't just for sitting. It could carry stuff too. The smarter ones were already imagining themselves paddling out to harvest water chestnuts with ease. You look at the encircling tribe, annoyance flared in your chest. You look at these people before you and feel a surge of anger, but they don't seem to have any ill intent, so you hold your temper. Ling Chao picks up on your simmering anger. He gestures frantically, asking if you could teach them to make something like this. You look at the people around you, soaked in the water. Their skin is starting to prune, and they did try to warn you earlier. So, you agree. You gesture for them to gather all the logs, line them up side by side, grab some reeds to use as rope, lash the logs together. Then you signal for Ling Chao to get on. Sure enough, the raft holds him steady. It floats just fine. Ling Chao gets excited. He waves his people over to try it. But the raft can only hold 2. A third would sink it. The ones left behind watch with envy. They're jealous of Ling Chao up there. But Ling Chao is thrilled. He sees how simple the design is. The materials are easy to find back home. Grateful, he looks at you. He invites you to visit the spirit tribe. You decline. The blue oryx herd awaits. The blue oryx is waiting for me. Ling Chao doesn't push it. He hands you an egg-sized mega spirit horn as a token. If you're ever in trouble, bring this to the spirit tribe for help. You take the horn with a grin. You grab the 2 sacks of rice seeds and move. You rush back to the grasslands. After a full day of frantic harvesting, you got about 60 pounds of grain. Not a single kernel will you eat. You need to get this treasure home. Come spring, you'll plant it. But to farm, you need tools. Of course, farming tools are essential. You'll need copper and tin or... This is not formulas. That evening, as Dashu emerges from Black Forest, you're on the other side of 8 Treasure Mountain. You're eating greasy roasted beaver, weaving a big basket, prepping for tomorrow's mining trip. Dashu, on the west side of the mountain, isn't having a good time. They ran off without taking any fire with them. For the past couple of days, they've just been gnawing on dried meat. Nights were spent freezing and starving. They had to huddle together for warmth until dawn. You, full of energy, lead the blue orcs. You head toward the west side of Mount 8 Treasures. Meanwhile, at the western foot of the mountain, Dashu is handing out wild fruits they just gathered to his people. Right then, a few tribesmen point excitedly up the mountain, shouting. Far off on the bare rocky slopes, they see a young man leading a herd of 4-horned beasts. You hear the commotion below and look down. You spot the trident tribe by the stream. You're just a bit puzzled about why they're here. About 10 minutes later, Dashu and a group scramble up the hillside. Seeing their state, you can't help but frown. Why'd they bring the kids? And they're all filthy. Dashu sees you again and is utterly awestruck. He knew you were looking for a horned animal, but he never thought you'd actually catch them. And alive. This is clearly on another level from those cannibals. Riding terror birds. Right now, in his eyes, you're practically a god. You see each of them holding just a wild fruit. Clearly, they can't even get meat anymore. You quickly bring out the leftover jerky and roasted beaver to share with them. Dashu crouches by the fire, eating and recounting the last few days. The other tribesmen chime in, gesturing wildly. Once you understand, you suck in a sharp breath. Cannibals, this close? A terrifying thought hits you, appearing in your mind. If the cannibals have already reached the trident tribe, how far are they from my tribe? The thought settles it. You decide to mine all or today. You're heading back first thing tomorrow. You turn to Dashu and ask what their plans are. At your question, the entire trident tribe hangs their heads. They don't know how to answer. Winter's almost here. Their home is ashes, and cannibals are on their tail. They have no idea where to go next. Seeing this, you make the offer directly. Why not join my tribe? We've got enough food stored to last us all winter. Hearing this, Dashu's eyes light up instantly. He believes you. This herd is enough for the winter. A 4-horned beast is enough to feed everyone through winter. The other members of the Brown tribe are also eager to agree. They've seen the power of the bow and arrows in your hands. With weapons like that, you never go hungry for game, and no enemy would dare mess with you. So they all fix their intense, hopeful gazes on Dashu. They're silently begging their chief to say yes. Dashu's already leaning towards himself, but as the chief, he needs to be a bit more cautious. After a moment's hesitation, he asks the question, you're inviting us to join your tribe. Will your chief agree? Hearing this, you just grin. Don't worry about that, because I am the chief. Dashu's face is a picture of disbelief. A kid is the chief, but after a second's thought, it clicks. He's seen what you can do, the things you've accomplished, even a grown man might not have managed. Thinking this, he stops hesitating. All right, we're in. And to completely erase any lingering doubt, you hand the bronze spear in your hand directly to Dashu. You give a stone axe to a man named Mutong, and that woven vine basket you made for harvesting rice. You give it to another tribesman named Shu Zhuang. You know, if you're willing to hand over weapons, they'll get the message loud and clear. You mean them no harm. Sure enough, the moment they take the gear, smiles break out. Dashu then brings out the rabbits you'd asked for earlier, the ones to be taken alive. Big and small, there are over 30 of them. Seeing this, you can't contain your excitement. Thinking about how fast rabbits breed, a new litter every 2 months. Your people will never have to worry about hides again. After breakfast, Dashu figures you'll head out right away. But instead, you start digging for rocks on the mountainside again. He asks, what's the use for all this stone? With this rock, I can make better weapons. Then we'll bag so much game. We won't even finish it in 3 meals a day. Dashu is floored. This is a way of life they've never even dreamed of. Without you having to tell them, they all pitch in, helping with the digging. With these dozens of extra hands, the work goes much faster. By noon, all the big baskets are filled to the brim. The main haul is rich copper ores. We also loaded up plenty of red termite mounds and kaolin clay, perfect for making crucibles and casting molds. Once everything was packed up, you led a group of several dozen people out. Each orc carried 2 wicker baskets, some big, some small, loaded with ore, fodder, rabbits, and seeds. The journey wasn't fast. As you walked, you taught Dashu and the others how to use the weapons you'd given them. By nightfall, you found a wide clearing to make camp and eat. The first half of the night was quiet, just the crackle of the fire. But deep into the night, as you lay on the ground, you suddenly felt a tremor through the earth. Something massive was on the move. Instantly, you remembered the creature Dashu had described, the long-nosed monster. You kicked and pulled everyone to their feet, and doused every single fire. 2 sharp, slightly juvenile elephant trumpets pierced the air, and 2 massive shapes loomed in the distant firelight. Then, dozens of figures appeared, brandishing torches and weapons. Necklaces of human bone hung around their necks. The lead rider on an elephant gave a sharp wave of his hand. The whole pack charged toward you, faces twisted with malice. A lifetime of combat kept you eerily calm. You started barking orders immediately. You sent a tribesman named Mutong to lead the main group north in a flanking retreat. Dashu, Mutong, and Shu Zhuang stayed with you as the rear guard. Only 4 of you, but you sized up their gear fast and formed a plan. They had 2 guys leading on those terror birds, slower and way less agile than you. Their weapons were mostly stone axes, bone spears, throwing stuff. Most men can't throw that junk more than 50, 60 meters tops. But your longbow, it can hit an unarmored target at 100 meters, easy. So just keep your distance. You were confident you could pick them off before they even got in range. Dashu watched the enemy charge, eyes wide. Nervous, his hands trembling on his spear. But seeing you beside him, stone cold calm, he gritted his teeth, forced himself to steady. You counted down the distance in your head. 200 meters, 150, 100. You drew and released. A sharp whip cut the air. The lead raider dropped. A hole punched clean through his chest. The arrowhead jutted from his back. A sharpened wooden stake jutted from his back. Surrounding enemies rose for a split second. 2 more arrows flew. 2 more men dropped. The leader on the terror bird spotted you in the distance. He roared an order. He ordered his men to charge and throw stone axes. You immediately pulled the shoe behind a thick tree. Wooden barrel followed suit and ducked for cover. Tree stump, however, had his feet in his hands and hit. He slammed his vine shield back. Heavy thuds followed. Several stone axes and a bone spear slammed into the shield. Luckily, the shield was made of tough vines. Tree stump wasn't hurt, but at this rate, it wouldn't hold for long. From behind his tree, wooden barrel saw fallen axes. He instantly scooped up two and hurled them back. In their tight charge, two men fell instantly. The shoe, a former tribe leader himself, wasn't about to be outdone. He grabbed a bone spear and flung it back. It skewered an enemy into the ground at an angle. No way he was getting up from that. Move, now, he yelled. Create distance. Pick them off. This cycle repeated. Their force of 40 warriors was whittled down to just 7. The rest were either dead or wounded. Suddenly, you signaled a halt to your sprinting team. You stood your ground about 80 meters from the enemy, staring them down. The terror bird leader was confused. Why did they stop? And looking at his own pitiful handful of exhausted men, he flew into a rage. He charged again. You steadied your breathing, raised your longbow, and took aim. At 70 meters, you released the arrow. It struck his right eye socket. The leader screamed and tumbled from the terror bird's back. The beast's hind leg crushed him with a sickening crunch. He was done, completely. The terror bird suddenly felt something soft under its foot. It jerked its head around to look and froze in horror. It just stood there, motionless. The remaining warriors were stunned. How did the boss just die like that? But their forward charge didn't stop. You gave a command. Counter. Now, 3 bone spears and an arrow shot toward them. 3 more enemies dropped. Only 3 were left alive now. Terrified, they turned and fled for their lives. The one on the elephant even turned his mammoth around. Then, thinking it too slow, he jumped straight off its back. You instantly threw another spear. He hadn't even landed. Before it pierced his chest, he staggered a few steps back, and then crumpled to the ground. The shoe and the other 2 charged past you. 3 stone axes whistled through the air, taking out the last 2 enemies. And just like that, this jungle chase and ambush was finally over. The shoe and the others couldn't believe it. Just the 4 of us. And we wiped out a force of 40. And those 2 juvenile mammoths. Now, with their handlers gone, they just stood there dumbfounded. You barked new orders. Stump, hold position. Barrel, round up the tribe. The shoe with me. Let's make sure the wounded don't get up. They grunted and split up. You got your arrows. Gathered the unbroken bone spears and stone axes. Intact bone spears and stone axes were also collected. But then, those 2 riderless mammoths, they just started following you. Kept nudging your back with their trunks. Looked like they'd latched on. You shoved the trunk away. Don't follow me. I can't feed you. These were real mammoths, after all. Beasts that could weigh 15 tons full grown. How much would they eat in a day? Just then, the shoe came over, frowning. Only 36 bodies on the trail. For short of the original 40. A bad feeling settled in your gut. But in that vast, dark forest, no point searching now. How to let it go. By dawn, Stump and Barrel finally brought the main group back. As everyone sat down to eat, you had to shoe distribute the captured stone spears and axes. Now, except for the kids, everyone had a weapon for defense. The blue oryx and rabbits munched on the fodder we brought. But now we had 2 giant freeloaders mooching a meal. Fodder that should have lasted 2 days was gone in a blink. Your head started to throb. You raised a fist, ready to shoo them off. But the moment your fist went up, one mammoth looked at you, with these pitiful, watery eyes like it was about to cry. The other one actually used its trunk to grab a bunch of grass and offer it to you. Like it was saying, here, have some of the good stuff. Just don't make us leave. You force a smile that's uglier than crying. You take the grass and stuff it back in his mouth, resigned. Leave more bundles for them to eat. All right, everyone, pack up. We're moving out. You call out. Terror birds graze in the distance. You let out a sigh of relief. Finally shook them off. Tree tribe lives deep in Black Forest. They've never seen how beautiful the world is under the sun. They're buzzing with excitement the whole way. They keep startling pheasants foraging on the ground. You raise your sword and strike. By evening, you've bagged a decent haul. Little Chu Bing is by the river with his mom, finishing up work. He keeps glancing north. Mom said, that's the direction the chief went. Ever since you left, he's come to the river with his mom every day to fish, just so he can wait for you here. Suddenly, he spots figures moving in the woods up ahead. Sharp-eyed Chu Bing recognizes the one in front. Immediately, as his tribe's chief, he jumps up, shouting excitedly, Mom. The chief is back. You hear the commotion in the distance, and wave back with a happy shout. Just then, too loud, trumpeting roars echo from across the river. Everyone's heads snap towards the sound. Hearing it, a herd of curses stampedes through your mind. You thought you lost them after all that distance, but you couldn't shake those 2 terror birds. You think to yourself, don't come over here. Please don't come over here. But of course, the thing you fear most happens. Splash, splash. Both terror birds plunge into the river. Less than 3 seconds, they're standing right in front of you, dripping wet. The 2 jerks have no honor. The moment they reach you, they blast you with a face full of water from their trunks. The message is clear. That's for ditching us. You wipe the water from your face, exasperated. All right, listen up. If you want to eat my food, you work for me. I'm not running charity here. Hearing this, the 2 terror birds pat your head with their trunks. Who knows what that's supposed to mean? The women from the fishing team jump at the sight of the 2 beasts. But seeing how familiar they seem with you, their fear turns to awe. The chief is amazing. He can even tame monsters that big. Chu Bing is the first to run over. He hugs your leg tightly, not scared at all of the giant creatures beside you. You introduce the newcomers as new tribe members. Then you lead everyone back to the cave. Little Chu Bing rode high on the terror bird's back. He strutted like a little chief. The groups eyed each other. The fishing crew were sizing each other up. The fishing crew couldn't stop staring at the 18 oryxes. The shoe's crew eyed the Han tribe women. They checked their hair, boots, and baskets. And the white-shafted long spears each one carried. That white-shafted spear was the shoe's absolute favorite. And here, every single one of them had one. It made the shoe green with envy. But then he remembered he was part of the Han tribe now, too. A little thrill of excitement ran through him. He led the new people back to the Han tribe camp. The moment they saw you return, the Han tribe people roared in unison, Chief. The sound made the newcomers snap to attention. And what they saw next left them speechless. Beautiful pots and jars were scattered everywhere. Countless fish were piled by the cave entrance. A massive boar riddled with spear holes. It looked away over 1,000 gene. You couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. The hunters are getting used to the spears. The Shu was starting to grasp the Han tribe's real strength. He was finally convinced. No one would go hungry here. The kids faced off with the new beasts. They were in a standoff with the new four-horned beasts. The haystack was all the grass they pulled these past days. It could feed the orcses and birds all winter. Enough to feed 2 terror birds all winter. You quickly told everyone that you tamed these 4 horns yourself. They'd be helping out with the work from now on. The lame man came to report. He was firing up 4 kills a day now, and he'd even made a new tool for the kids. He said, pulling it out with obvious pride for you to see. When you saw what the lame man had made, your jaw nearly hit the ground. It was a simple wooden rake. Turns out the guy had an inventor streak in him. You praised the lame man a few times, then gave him new orders. Take a break from bricks tomorrow. Fire up another batch of pottery for the new folks to use. Speaking of pottery, the elder nearby had something to add. A few days back, the Seating tribe from the west came for another pottery trade. This time they paid with a huge load of salt stones. Enough for the Han tribe for a long time. You assigned tasks for the new animals. The rabbits are settled in a corner of the cave. We built a pen with some stones and yellow mud. They'll stay here for the winter for now. Out of 30+ rabbits, 3 of them are already pregnant. Soon after we put them in the pen, they started buying their own fur to make nests. The other rabbits are only a month or 2 old, but they're already the size of cantaloupes. Come next spring, they'll become the new breeding machines. Big mammoth calf, don't worry about it. It won't leave the side of that haystack, no matter what. The male orcs are tied to a tree not far from the cave mouth. We'll have people build them shelters tomorrow. After all that, dinner was almost ready. Before the meal, you held a special welcoming ceremony. The tribe didn't resist the idea of tying their hair back. In fact, they thought it looked sharper, more alert. Way better than having it all loose and wild. Faye's hunt bagged a giant boar. So, boar blood stew for dinner, of course. We stewed several big pots of it with wild greens. Plus the pheasant you shot today, made into a pot of chestnut chicken stew, and over a dozen fresh grilled fish. Everyone also got a sweet and sour fruit. A feast like that instantly. Between old and new tribe members. Laughter and chatter filled the air as everyone ate. Elders helped newcomers make leather boots after dinner. The newcomers learned alongside them. Meanwhile, you took a piece of charwood and started sketching on the cave wall, thinking as you drew. The sketch on the wall was a rough map of the area outside the cave. The cave, the stream, the jungle, and a few things that weren't there before. You're planning the open ground in front of the cave. This land is nearly 3,600 acres. If we planted it all with rice, the whole tribe could eat until they died and never finish it. Of course, planting all with rice is impossible. Remember, this whole area is dry land right now, and rice has to be grown in paddy fields. Just converting this dry land into paddies is a huge project. Then there's the housing issue. With the new additions and the recent births, the Han tribe's population is now 97. The current cave is starting to feel cramped. Not enough space for everyone. So we'll need to build houses on this land in the future. Residential zone, rice paddies, vegetable plots, animal pens, storage yards, pasture land, bronze smelting zone, lumber mill. All these facilities have to fit on this land. We need a solid plan. First priority, build a square fort in the clearing. Build a square fort in the middle. We'll pack the housing, livestock pens, storage, metalworks, and lumber mill all inside these walls. The whole fort should hold at least 5,000 people. We can phase it in over a few years. Then dig a moat around the fort. The excavated earth, mixed with mud bricks, becomes the wall. It'll keep out giant predators and hostile tribes. From a moat, we dig a main canal, diverting water from that 8-meter wide stream to the east. Add a few return channels to cycle the water back. That creates a massive water network. Run smaller irrigation ditches off that network, and we can water the entire area. Plan the moat and main canal at 4 meters wide. The eastern stream is 8 meters. Same flow, but half the width means the canal's current doubles. Perfect for installing water wheels and other machinery. The plan, center line, is the cave. Take 200 meters on each side for the fort site. To not miss next spring's planting. Phase 1. Dig the channel from the stream to the moat. Calculated distance, about 700 meters. Use the excavated earth to fire bricks for the later wall construction. Phase 2. Digging the moat itself. But that's less urgent. The cave's holding up for now. Phase 3. Ramming the wall. Base, 4 meters wide. 2 meters height, 5 meters. Trapezoid shape, 4 gates, 1 per side. Add the 4-meter moat outside. And nothing in this age is getting through. Phase 4. The 700-meter return channel. That earth gets fired into smaller bricks. For buildings and facilities inside the fort. The whole project, worst case, 3 years. Otherwise, we'll outgrow the cave. Next morning, once everyone's out, you start assigning tasks. Big day. Foraging for food is suspended. The new arrivals need pottery bowls. So layman gets put back on kiln duty. The kids keep gathering grass, but they have to bundle it tight like you showed them. For easy storage and hauling. Big mouth, monkey, big mouth, and little mouth head to the back hills. Cut saplings for spears. The women are split into 2 teams. Our team goes to valley for explore the Mutan leads 6 blue orxes, carrying large baskets for transport. The smaller gathering team heads into the jungle. They're to strip bark from the white wax trees. The secretions from the white wax insects on it are perfect material for making wax. You can use insect wax to make wolf ross. All the remaining men are assigned by you to cut trees. First, fell trunks about as thick as a leg. Save for sheds, split for firewood. You'll use that to make charcoal. For smelting copper. The more of this, the better. Transport is handled by the horses. If they can't pull it, get the baby mammoth to help. The tribe doesn't understand these arrangements. They think autumn is for storing food. But you tell them the food stored now will last. Well, past next spring, especially the fish. Lately, many of the fish caught have been full of roe. If we keep fishing this river like this, the fish population will definitely suffer. So we need to give these fish time to recover. Once everyone's out working, you get busy yourself. First, use charcoal from the available firewood. Then, use the kaolin and refractory clay brought back to craft a few crucibles and ladles for purification and alloy making. Next, mix fire-resistant clay to make square molds. This way, we can cast copper and tin ingots, like chocolate bars. Then we can adjust the copper-tin ratio as needed to make tools for different purposes. Once the charcoal and molds are ready, you start building the smelting furnaces. Mix ordinary clay with some pottery shards and crush grass to make mud. Build up cylindrical clay furnaces over 40 centimeters diameter. You make 4 of these furnaces. Firing them all at once will save a lot of time. Then, use python skin to make a few simple bellows. Limping Man has no clue what you're up to, but he's pretty excited to see what new thing you'll come up with this time. Once all your preparations are complete, wait until you've finished all your preparations. Well, first, most furnaces is finally just waiting for the charcoal to finish burning tomorrow, and for the furnace to dry, then we can fire it up. Big Mouth and the others spent the whole day gathering hundreds of white poles perfect for spears. But the adults cutting trees, they had it rough. Busted their backs all day, barely felled 10 firs. 3 of the stone axes shattered. You told them they're back at it tomorrow. But whoever does a solid job gets new gear. Everyone's scratching their heads. Stone axes are the best tools they've ever seen. What could possibly be better than a stone axe? The anticipation just builds. After dinner, everyone settles into their usual evening downtime. You meanwhile get to work by the hearth, rendering wax. Once it solidifies, you use a bone knife to carve it into shapes of different tools. Pack clay around wax models, leaving a small vent. When the clay is bone dry, you heat it over the fire. Pour out the melted wax from inside. And bam, you've got a hollow clay casting mold. The thin layer of wax left on the mold's inner wall makes it easier to release the casting later. It's a bit more hassle, but way more precise, and you don't waste materials. The poured out wax can even be melted and reused early next morning. The tribesmen lead the orcs away. After your relentless drilling, they finally get it. Beasts aren't just for eating. They can work for us. Big Mouth and his 3 stay behind. Their job today is manning the bellows for you. Lanefoot's pottery from yesterday is fired and ready. Today, he's your dedicated assistant. The guy's sharp, so you decide to teach him the copper smelting method. Can't be doing all this grunt work yourself forever. Better to train an apprentice. You stand before the 4 furnaces. Light 2 of them first. Big Harry and Second Harry work the bellows. Big Mouth and Monkey load charcoal and crush copper ore. With the bellows pumping, flames shoot high from the furnace mouths. In no time, the ore in the hearth starts to soften and melt. Molten copper trickles down through gaps, pooling below, forming a lump of copper riddled with slag. The tin or furnace fires up beside it. That one's faster. A few minutes under intense heat, and it's liquid. You fish out 2 lumps of impure metal from the ashes. Under the hearth with a stick. Then it's just rinse and repeat. After about 3 or 4 hours, you finally got a pile of crude metal nuggets. I finally saved up a bunch of impure gold and silver lumps. Lit the last 2 furnaces, waiting. I placed the crude copper and impure tin into 2 separate crucibles. Once the copper and tin had both melted in liquid, scooped off surface impurities. Then, with a pre-prepared granite rod, I carefully lifted out the purified copper liquid, poured it into a grid pattern clay mold, and let it cool. Did the same thing with the molten tin. The lame one and his 4 buddies were all there, watching the metal liquids slowly solidify. They didn't understand the science, so they looked utterly amazed. We waited until the copper and tin plates were cool enough to touch. I couldn't wait any longer and tipped the metal plates out. It was high noon, and under the sunlight, the metal plates reflected a dazzling glare. Everyone's jaws dropped, staring at those plates. They'd never seen anything so beautiful, something that could actually shine. Even Chu Bing, who was playing, got drawn over, touching this, peering at that. Chief, what is this? I ruffled his hair. This one's copper. This one's tin. You keep an eye on these. I'm gonna go get something. Chu Bing nodded. They muttered copper and tin. Meanwhile, I hauled over a bunch of tools and casting molds. Time to start the bronze casting. I put copper and tin blocks into a new crucible in the right ratio. Once it melted, I stirred it evenly with a ceramic rod. Then it was ready for pouring. The first pour was for an axe head and a hammer head. The scorching hot alloy liquid flowed into the molds. White smoke hissed from the mold. Once it cooled down just a bit, I couldn't wait. I smashed the mold open with a rock. Among shattered clay fragments lay a large axe head, gleaming with a pale golden light. The axe head was a bit bigger than a fireman's axe. I left the job of sharpening the blade edge to the lame one. I started preparing molds for other tools. A ruler and a frame saw, engraving knives and chisels, a plane and a hand drill, and a square pyramidal spearhead. By evening, when the rest of the tribe returned, all work had stopped. Polished the golden axe head, attached handle. The world's first bronze axe was complete. There were also 2 frame saws fitted with wood frames, a single-person one and a 2-person one. When Shu and the others saw the gleaming golden axe, they crowded, eyes glued to it. And there's this too, I said with a grin. Then I pulled out a spear with a white shaft and a golden tip. The tribesmen stared wide-eyed. Is that even a spear anymore? It's just too beautiful, especially for the beast tooth and 1 ear. Seeing that golden-tipped spear, they were practically drooling. Chief, do we get one too? The tribesman couldn't wait and blurted out. I smiled, handing a piece of copper or to Shu. This is the stone it's made from, but we're fresh out of this stuff right now. The people of the Yuan Shu tribe were stunned. They'd helped mine this rock before. Mudan's honest praise. Weapons so gorgeous. If we're out, we'll just go dig up more. We know where it is. I nodded, telling them that digging by hand is too slow. We need to make some tools first. Once we get past this winter, we can haul back a ton. Then everyone gets a spear like this. Next, I showed them how to use the frame saw and the handsaw. 2 men pulling the frame saw back and forth across the log's end. In no time, they'd sawed off a round disc. Then using the one-handed saw to clear branches. A branch thick as a wrist came down in under a minute. The massive, meter-long axe felt great in the hands. You could put your whole body into the swing. If our Han tribe strongman used it, a tree thick as a man's leg, the Shu could take it down in a few chops. Once everyone got the hang of the tools, I sent them off to eat and rest. After eating, the tribe gathered to hear layman on copper smelting. Meanwhile, I started working on standard units of measurement. With those, civilization can slowly start to build. All the sisal had been gathered. The women were now focused on braiding rope. The kids were all pressed against the rabbit pen, watching the rabbits inside give birth. All 3 pregnant does had their litters. Each one had 6 or 7 kids, surprisingly. The rabbit colony of over 30 nearly doubled. Layman had a lot of experience shaping clay. Now, carving wax mold for me, he could handle that too. The copper shovel from the source would be useful, whether for digging canals or farming. With the sample I gave him sitting right there, Layman could copy it just fine. And after finishing my own tasks, I started researching the most critical thing, the plow. I planned to make 2 sizes, a big one for the orcs, a small one for Ma Ling for plowing and digging. The next day, some of the women were twisting sisal into rope, clearing ground for livestock pen. Copper smelting handled by Lamy's team. Those 5 are pouring copper and tin slabs nonstop. If they hit a snag, they come straight to you. Once the women finish clearing the area, you lead them in building the corral. You cut the felled trees into 4-meter posts. You drive one in every 2 meters, forming a rectangular enclosure. You lash 2 crossbeams across the gaps to lock it all in place. Weave branches into wattle fence. Finally, you slap on a layer of mud and the job's done. Inside the corral stands a 4-meter-high wooden shed. That's Little Kong, Xiang's new home. Once everything's finished, bale grass and stack inside, keeping it safe from scavengers or troublemakers. The Han tribe folk are all busy at their posts, a hive of activity. Little do they know, the Xieding tribe has already set its sights on them. Xieding's been nursing a serious headache lately. As the weather gets colder, the spring his tribe relies on is about to run dry. They'll be forced to haul water from Creek 3 clicks away. That means they'll need a ton of containers to store it. That's why he came to trade with the Han tribe last time himself, hoping to score more pottery. But he didn't get what he wanted. So now he's thinking about just taking it. In Xieding's mind, the Han tribe has less than 10 grown men. His tribe has 15. And ever since he left the Han camp last time, he's been making spears with stone tips. He figures beating you and taking your pottery and food should be a cakewalk. That morning, Xieding leads every able-bodied man in his tribe. Each man carries a few spears. They march out in force toward the Han tribe. Their plan: crush your hunting party first, then raid your settlement and take everything. Meanwhile, up in the ridge among the conifers, the Shu and Fong are still chopping wood. They're making good time today. With 3 big axes and 2 long saws, they can strip a clean log in about half an hour. And that's just 1 crew's pace. The logging team has 10 men, split into 3 crews. So basically every 30 minutes, 3 trees come down at once. The last guy is Mu Tun, the hauler. Right now, he's got the oryx grazing near the logging site. Just then, from the mountain across the valley, a group of people suddenly came running, and each of them was holding a long spear. Mu Tun immediately shouted a warning up at the ridge, and started pulling the blue oryx back. Hearing his shout, everyone instantly stopped what they were doing. They grabbed their weapons, ready to fight. Xieding was hot on their heels with his men, chasing them all the way to the ridge. With a few whooshing sounds, the 2 oryx at the rear were hit by spears. They let out a pained cry and collapsed on spot. The other 4, still tied to them, kept stampeding, dragging the corpses of their 2 companions, all the way back toward the Han tribe's grassy hill. Seeing this, the Han tribesmen all pulled stone axes from their belts and hurled them. A series of whooshes, and 3 of the enemy instantly dropped out cold. 2 more were wounded. Only 10 were left, still advancing. Xieding was furious now. He immediately gave the order to throw their spears again. But the Shu and the others ducked behind the trees. All the spears just thudded into the ground at an angle. One ear and others reappeared. 9 white-shafted spears flew out in unison. 4 more of Xieding's tribe fell instantly. The rest, terrified, scrambled behind trees for cover. Duo Air and his group ducked behind trees again too, waiting for the enemy's next move. But the sound never came. They didn't know that by now. Xieding's courage had completely shattered. The enemy ahead was too terrifying, and he realized the Han tribe had more men than he'd expected. But on his side, only 8 were left now, and 2 of those were wounded. Continuing the fight was out of the question. He immediately led the survivors in a retreat toward the cave. Meanwhile, little Chu Bing was pulling you over to the 2 terror birds, wanting you to give them names. He named the larger one Gray Mountain, the smaller one Meat Bun. You were about to say something else. Gray Mountain roared west. Little Chu Bing, caught off guard, jumped in fright. You immediately looked west in that direction. You saw 4 blue oryx dragging 2 of their companions, corpses running straight toward you. Several spears were still stuck in the 2 oryx bodies, but there was no sign of the lumber crew following behind. Your heart immediately sinks. You quickly order the entire tribe to hide in the cave. No one comes out until I'm back. After making the arrangements, you grab your bow and the golden spear and mount Gray Mountain, heading west. Meat Bun sees this and immediately follows. Following the trail of blue oryx blood, Gray Mountain carries you at a gallop, soon entering the jungle. A group with golden axes appears ahead. It's the Shu and the others. You're stunned. Why is everyone here? And no one seems injured. Fong immediately brings the hunting party to your side. He tells you everything that just happened. Hearing his account, you can't help but feel puzzled. Why would Xieding's tribe attack us? But whatever the reason, anyone who dares harm our people must pay the price. Even if it's just oryx that died. You immediately raise your spear, leading the logging team towards Xieding's tribe. It's not until around 2 p.m. that you finally reach Xieding's settlement. But the clearing at the cave mouth is completely deserted. The entrance is blocked by a massive boulder, though there's still a decent-sized crack. Several pairs of eyes are peeking out from inside. Xieding is one of them. His worst fear was that they'd come for revenge. Turns out, his fear was right on the money. They're here, and with this kind of force. The leader holds a gleaming golden spear, riding a trunked giant taller than a man. Right now, Xieding is filled with utter regret. If he'd known they were this strong, he wouldn't have picked a fight. You also spot the eyes peeking from the cave. You immediately sling your longbow off your back, knock an arrow. The next moment, a scream echoes. Xieding gets an arrow straight through the eye. Strong arm, stone, 6 fingers, you 3 move that rock. You point at the boulder and give the order. They immediately rush forward and start pushing. But even with all 3 of them, the rock barely budges. In fact, it slowly starts pushing back. You think hiding behind a rock saves you? You walk to the crack and knock another arrow. Finish struggling against the boulder. You fire another arrow. The man struggles against the boulder. You fire another arrow. This time, 2 men behind the door are skewered together. The others see this and scatter in terror. No one dares stand at the entrance anymore. Strong arm, and the other 2 easily push the rock aside. Behind the boulder, the one's not dead yet. Crunched into pulp under the weight, gone silent. In a flash, the cave mouth stood open. Inside, the dim glow of firelight. A huddle of women and kids, trembling in a straw pile. The 5 remaining men, 3 with spears out front blocking the way, 2 wounded, groaning from the straw. You stride in, golden spear in hand. The Shu and the others follow close, gold axes ready. Those 3 with stone-tipped spears, legs shaking at the sight of your crew's fury. Babbling nonsense, sounds like begging. Begging with weapons in hand. Pull. You swing your spear, knocking all 3 spears clattering to the ground. One wounded man in the back sneaks a rock into his grip, still trying to fight. You thrust forward in a flash. Thud, punching a hole clean through his left chest. On your knees. Fight and you die. You glare, voice booming. Everyone's legs buckle, dropping them to the ground. The shoe get their stored food, all of it. We're taking it. Your gaze sweeps over the kneeling crowd. Your chief attacked us first. Don't blame me. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here. Truth is, you want to absorb these people. But to keep resentment at bay, you pin it all on their dead leader. Turns out you overestimated their tribal loyalty. They couldn't care less about the chief. Only the food you're taking. Women wash, eyes welling up as the shoesmen haul away their precious dried meat stores. They plead desperately. You watch them cool. Join my tribe, and you'll have food that never runs out. No one freezes to death come winter. Those willing, stand behind me. Now, a few scramble up, shuffling to your rear. Then a second, a third, a fourth. Soon, only one badly wounded man remains on the ground. By the look of him, he won't make it. You leave him be, leading your new tribe members out of the cave. You order Beast Fong, burn this place. From now on, Sieding and his tribe are gone. Erased. Back at the Han tribe, the newcomers integrate smoothly. A few were tribesmen traded from Sieding's group of 4. They blend right in. And you kept your word. The Han tribe's food reserves are seriously stacked. With what we just captured, feeding 200 people through the winter's no sweat. It's just the cave's max capacity. We've hit the limit. Good thing winter's coming. Pack it tight. Stay warm. What really blew their minds? The Han tribe is keeping beasts, especially monsters like Meatball and Grey Mountain. That gave them a whole new level of respect for our strength. Now, they're proud to be part of the Han tribe. It's a real badge of honor. The women have been twisting rope nonstop these days. The cave's already piled high with several big bundles. Men keep chopping. Trunks for building, branches for the kiln. Fuel for the fire. Simple as that. You haven't been idle either. Crafting every woodworking tool you need, one by one. Then cast another 50 bronze shovels. With digging tools ready, phase 1 of the water project. The canal has to break ground. It wins strong hips to measure line. Works just fine. First, mark the town site directly north of the cave. Then, at the 4 corners of the plot, drive in a log post as a marker. That'll help pinpoint the best canal path. Next up, the brick kiln. Once digging starts, it'll churn out a mountain of dirt. So you plan to dig the canal and mold bricks at the same time. You're aiming for blue bricks. And the blue brick process needs a ton of water. For easy access, the kiln site is set by the stream. The lane 1 fired a bunch of red bricks earlier. Perfect for building the kiln. The whole tribe pitched in on the cylindrical brick kiln. Took a full 5 days to finish. Spent more time making brick molds. Only then were preps done. That's when your multi-day project. The plowshares finally saw daylight. A 2-in wooden frame with 4 bronze plowshares. Get this thing moving, and it'll turn over a 2-meter swath in one pass. Digs down a solid 40 centimeters. As for the muscle to pull it, Meatball and Grey Mountain, of course. 2 plows side by side, beasts hauling them forward. They just ripped up the entire 4-meter wide canal path behind them. In under an hour, those 2 dug a 40-centimeter deep trench, 700 meters long. You're over the moon. At this rate, maybe I won't need 3 years for the city plan after all. The brick firing? I'll save that for winter. Everyone's idle then with nothing to do. Plus, the kills will keep us warm. A cozy job. But there's a problem now. These bricks are huge, meant to encase the rammed earth walls. Hauling clay and bricks like this waste too much time. So I decided to build a simple dump cart right now. New project. First step, get help. They can become the tribe's dedicated carpenters. The most talented with wood in the Han tribe. That's one barrel. Back in the tree tribe days, this guy figured out how to use hot coals to burn a hollow into a log to make a barrel. The other is steady, quiet wooden block. He doesn't talk much, but his work is solid. I have my past life memory cards. Adapt the design. The 3 of us work a full day, and the first hand cart is born. Straight to the work crew. The tribefolk are fascinated by this new hauling tool. Beats carrying everything on your back, that's for sure. But I'm not sold. I notice the cart wobbles side to side. Every time it turns, it'll shake itself apart in no time. Pinpoint the problem. I get to work fixing it. Main fix, lengthen the axle. I explain it to my 2 assistants, and we each get to it. This improvement goes much faster than the first build. 2 hours later, the 2nd generation cart is ready. This one, no more wobble. Work efficiency shoots up immediately. We designate this version for mass production. First batch, 30 carts, with all our men and women. We've got dozens of able hands. These dump carts are for moving earth. We'll need a lot of them in the following days. The carpenter trio outfits the work crew at a rate of 3 carts every 2 days. The first phase of the canal project races ahead. The delayed brick making, boosted by the steady stream of new carts, picks up speed too. By day 18 of the dig, the trench 698 meters long and 4 meters deep stretches out before me. That's when I call a halt to the digging. We'll dig the last 2 meters when we need to channel the water. The tribe returned to their normal routines. Men kept chopping wood for future projects. The women went back to gathering food. They figured you could never have too much. The 30 hand carts were finally finished. To prep for large-scale copper mining later. You didn't start prototyping a whole night. They were working on it under your guidance. With their experience from the last 2 builds, you gave them the 4-wheel wagon plans and let them figure it out. You focused your time on building the plow for the fields. Everyone was busy with their own tasks. Then one morning, as you stepped out of the cave, the first thing you saw was a world of light. The long-awaited winter had finally arrived. Feathery snow fell relentlessly under a leaden sky. No telling when it would let up. The men stopped logging, holed up in the cave. The women weren't clamoring to go foraging either. Firing bricks in this weather was out of the question. They'd have to wait for the snow to stop. So, you launched the plan you've been brewing. Teaching Mandarin and writing. Actually, the Han tribe folks already knew some words, especially Chu Bing. You could already manage simple sentences. That made things a lot easier. You just needed to teach them some essential vocabulary and how to string it together. As for Chinese characters, teaching them simplified script wasn't realistic yet. Clerical script, closer to pictographs, was easier to grasp. Writing wasn't the priority, recognizing them was. To boost everyone's motivation, you set a daily quiz before dinner. Fail to recite, your rations get halved. Do well, get reward.
That did the trick. The whole tribe was fired up.
Especially the kids. After lessons, they'd huddle up, practice in small groups. The snow finally stopped. The brick firing operation was a go. You demonstrated 2 kiln cycles, then handed it off. They didn't need to work on it every day, just for loading the kiln and unloading the finished bricks. The rest was firing and cooling time. Days passed like this. Learn Mandarin and characters daily. Move bricks every few days. Simple, but fulfilling. In their downtime, people started making ornaments to decorate themselves, mostly the men. Bone necklaces, feathers, whatever. Piling it all on, you were puzzled. Until the elder finally clued you in. To prevent inbreeding and keep our bloodline strong, many tribes gather every spring for a big mating festival. If a woman likes what she sees in a man, she'll go back to his tribe. And liking what she sees means checking if he's tough enough, if his tribe's powerful, and if they've got food to spare. You can tell a lot by the bone ornaments a guy wears. If he's carrying a weapon made from a huge thigh bone, his tribe can definitely take down big game. That means his people aren't going hungry. This got you thinking. You felt like you were missing something yourself. You weren't about to wear those bone necklaces. After some thought, you decided to introduce hair clasps. They're usually made from gold, silver, jade, or leather. Different people can use different materials. Gold has always been a symbol of high status. The Han tribe didn't have gold, so your crown was made from hollowed out bronze. Since you upgraded, you couldn't let your tribesmen go bareheaded. So you made a silver one for Deshu out of 10. Deshu loved it. The other adult men, following your lead, made their own clasps from various materials. Animal hide, wood, bone, they had it all. Even hairpins. From then on, a new rule was set in the Han tribe. Kids can tie their hair or wear clasps, but no hairpins. Adult men must wear a clasp and a hairpin.
That's how you tell the grown-ups from the kids.
The women weren't stuck with just ponytails either. Married women had to wear their hair up, using wooden combs or hairpins as ornaments. Unmarried girls could wear ponytails. Leave it down, braid it, and decorate with pins too. Metal is a strategic resource, you can't just hand out metal ornaments to everyone.
So you made metal accessories a reward.
Anyone who contributed to the tribe had a shot at getting one. After all these changes, in the Han tribe, you can now tell person's status, age group, and whether they've earned their keep.
Just by looking at their head.
You also made a hair clasp for Chu Bing, with a bronze buckle engraved with cloud patterns. You rewarded him for learning Han fastest.
He was the first kid to get a metal ornament.
And he was thrilled. Truth is, you pushed so hard on these decorations.
Not just to mark people's rank.
The main goal is still that matchmaking event. Not that I'm looking for a wife. It's about meeting people from other tribes. See if we can do some trading. The Han tribe's salt used to come from trading with Sieting's tribe.
But that tribe's gone now.
So, until we find a salt mine, you need to find a new supplier. You know Han tribe pottery is valuable. You want to trade for salt, and maybe buy some people too. Relying on our under 200 population to breed, it'll take forever to fill a city.
Not all tribes are like the Han tribe.
They don't have the luxury of worrying about development when they're not struggling to find their next meal. Take the Black Rat tribe to the east, a mid-sized tribe, over 150 people. They have one big difference from the Han tribe. The Black Rat tribe has a faith. They worship the Black Rat. They even have a shaman to talk to their god. This winter, the Black Shaman claimed he got a message from the spirits. Said this winter would be longer than usual. He's worried the stored food won't last until spring. So he told the chief to take the hunters out for more. That's why Chief Shuda of the Black Rats headed out with 19 men. Soon, they noticed something strange. At the far edge of the western jungle, near their territory, thick black smoke kept appearing every few days.
That's got to be man-made.
But since one of their people to the west, long ago, they'd been to the edge of that jungle. But that river, 9 or 10 meters wide, they couldn't cross it.
So they stopped going that far.
Now, looking at the smoke, it's right near the river. Shuda reported this to the Black Shaman immediately. The shaman wasn't that surprised. He was more curious about why they were burning so much. In his mind, fire is for cooking food. Frequent fires mean they have a lot of food. If it's for warmth, why not keep it burning? The shaman was puzzled, so he told Shuda to go check it out.
If possible, try to trade with them. Might even learn something new.
So Shuda and his team set out
on a mission of diplomacy.
Meanwhile, back at the Han tribe, Mudong and Six Fingers were keeping watch by the brick kiln. They'd occasionally check the fire inside. Every so often, they'd toss in another bundle of firewood, burning since last night, all afternoon. By now, the bricks inside were glowing, a blinding, searing red. Time to flood the kiln and seal it. Mudong sent Six Fingers back to the cave for the crew. Six Fingers nodded and left for the cave. But in that moment, Mudong was left alone. A furious roar from Robao suddenly echoed across the ground, followed by the sound of the beast charging. And then human screams. Mudong scrambled up from the fire pit below ground. He barely poked his head out when he saw a dozen spears whistling through the air towards Robao. He took off running, sprinting full tilt to the cave. You were just about to lead the crew to flood the kiln. The moment you stepped out of the cave, you saw Robao
being hunted down.
Shuda and his men were ready to give chase. But then they saw you emerge from the cave, with a whole crowd behind you. They froze.
Who dares kill my Robao? Get your weapons.
The tribesmen, hearing their chief's command, they let out a war cry. 70 surged forward.
Every single one was armed.
They surrounded Shuda's group in an instant. Shuda's jaw dropped. The crowd before him was a sea of murderous faces.
Their leader wore a golden crown, stern-faced,
gripping a white-shafted golden spear, glaring right at him. The lineup behind him was even more blinding. Each man held a gleaming, deadly bronze shovel. Forget combat. Their gear's sheer opulence was enough to paralyze Shuda and his men with fear. Robao, seeing his master had taken control, came trotting back, all proud of himself. He left his up behind you, armed behind him. Shuda, emboldened by presence, you patted his snout, signaling him to be quiet. Turning to Shuda, you said, "That beast is ours. Why did you attack it?" Shuda was utterly confused. You seemed familiar with this monster. He never imagined this neighboring tribe could control a creature that massive. But what shocked him even more was when Huishan, even bigger than Robao, heard the commotion and came lumbering over. He stood beside Robao, curiously, staring at the surrounded group of men. Shuda and his crew were scared ***. Holy crap, there's more of them? Seeing Shuda and his men completely stunned, you frown. You motion for the elder beside you to go ask who they are, and why they've come to our territory. The elder steps forward, gesturing and explaining to Shuda, translating your words, and adding that you're the chief. Hearing the elder, Shuda starts with profuse apologies, claiming he had no idea the bees had owners. He just wanted to hunt them for winter supplies. Tearfully, he states his true purpose. You didn't expect they actually came to trade for food.
But if they have something worthwhile,
maybe a deal's possible. What do you have to trade? Shuda hesitates. What about stone basins? Would that work? After all, his tribe has several, and stone basins are essential for every tribe. Before you can even respond, the elder cuts in. We've got plenty of stone basins ourselves. If you want some, you could trade for them too. Salt or people either works. Now it's Shuda's turn to be dumbfounded. They have lots of stone basins, and they'll trade them to us? Seeing his disbelief, the elder calls a few kids to fetch a set of pottery. In under 2 minutes, the kids bring out a water jar, a cooking pot, and several bowls. A few kids, loving the drama, even stand by the cave entrance, noisily slurping bowls of meat stew. Shuda just stares completely baffled. He's never smelled meat like that before. You have someone serve him a bowl. He won't grasp the pot's use until he tastes the stew. Shuda carefully takes the bowl, imitating the kids with a tentative slurp. Warmth instantly spreads from his throat to his gut. Moments later, his whole body feels heated. This stew was specially brewed for the cold. Light on meat, but rich with pork bones and chili peppers. A couple sips on a normal day feel incredibly satisfying. Shuda is utterly conquered by the stew's flavor.
he trades people for a pot. Saul can wait. He's never even heard of it.
The elder quotes the standard pottery trade rate. 1 pottery pot for 2 juveniles, boys, or 1 adult woman. The price is something Shuda can accept. But he didn't bring any women or children on this trip. But I really want to bring back a clay pot. So I swallow my pride and ask if I can take the pot now and bring the people next time. The moment I hear this, I'm not having it. Extending credit? No way.
Not in this lifetime. What if they just skip out? I'd be the biggest sucker around.
Shuda sees I'm not budging. He immediately gets a bulging animal skin bag from one of his men and hands it to me. This is food. Not much.
But we hope you'll let us take a food bowl now.
Next time, we'll trade people for it.
Like I need your scraps?
I roughly open the bag, barely glancing inside.
But the next second, my eyes are glued.
Holy, are those peanuts? Oh, my floods. Roasted, boiled, fried peanuts, peanut butter.
This is the jackpot.
Not only are they packed with nutrients, but the key is you can press oil from them. Plant a whole field.
And we'd never run short of cooking oil again.
And with fat, we can make soap, candles,
even explosives.
All I need is for these resources wrong.
I fight down the excitement.
Taking a long moment to steady myself.
Where did you get these?
Shuda babbles and gestures wildly. That's when I learned their tribe's so-called god is a black furred rat. And the peanuts, they got from rat nests.
They know where to find the burrows that stash them.
So for their tribe, peanuts are nothing special. I give a slight nod, casually pulling out a large basket. A basket is full of peanuts can trade for pottery too.
But the shells have to be intact. Shuda can't believe his ears.
He's getting such a sweet deal. He eagerly agrees, promising to bring more next time. In the end, Shuda leaves with the big basket. A clay pot, a clay bowl, and a spoon I threw in as a bonus. Watching him fade away sent a chill down my spine. This time, the strange tribe managed to sneak right up to our cave. Lucky for us, they weren't a big group. If they come specifically to attack the Han tribe,
even if we held them off, there would have been casualties.
I planned defensive works before. It could also cause casualties.
You've planned defenses before.
A massive wall like that can't just spring overnight. We need a solid defensive structure to hold the line in the meantime. We need a defensive position we can rely on, and fast. First, have Deshu take some in to seal the kiln by flooding it. You stand at the cave entrance, deep in thought. The kiln's been firing for 2 months now, piling up a huge stock of bricks. Actual construction won't start until next spring, so all those bricks are just sitting idle. That's when it hits you. A simple, fast solution for a defensive structure forms in your mind. At first light the next day, you gather every adult. You tell them you're building 3 walls to encircle the cave, leaving only a 2-meter wide gate on the east side. A 3-meter high wooden frame will serve as the gate. It's not bristling with 4 layers of spears lashed together. This simple wall will be built directly from the green bricks. In this cold, just pour water over the stacked bricks, and they'll freeze solid, holding together.
Come spring thaw.
These same bricks can be used for the city wall. No waste. For the next few days, every adult in the tribe works, with hand carts and plenty of tools.
The wall's height shoots up before your eyes.
Meanwhile, back at the Black Rat tribe, Shuda is stewing meat in a clay pot.
Told the elders about his diplomatic mission.
Lashu listens, growing more and more excited. A glint of gold flashes in his eyes. No one knows what he's thinking right now. At this moment, Shuda is stewing meat in a clay pot.
Told the elders about his diplomatic mission.
Lashu listens, growing more and more excited. A glint of gold flashes in his eyes. He decides to make the trip with Shuda himself. Back at the Han tribe, the temporary wall is finished. 3 meters high, nearly half a meter thick. It'll stop any human assault. With a simple ice brick wall up, it's time to prepare the weapons for defense. Last time, most of our people fought with bronze shovels. They work as weapons, sure, but only in close combat. And close combat means casualties.
Range weapons are the key.
After some thought, throwing spears seem the most reliable. Get hit by one, and you're done for. That way, we can thin their ranks before they ever get close. The Han tribe's throwing spears were just what before. Not a punch, and they break too easy, but you still have hundreds of pounds of gold and silver plates. All you need to do is add a metal spearhead to the wooden shafts, and making these spearheads is dead simple. You make the first one yourself to show them how it's done. Then you leave the rest to Mutong and Mutan. The rest of the tribe helps with assembly. By the 4th day, you've got 260 of these new throwing spears ready. With a wall and these spears, you finally feel a bit more secure. As long as they don't bring more than 20 men this time. The Han tribe's 60+ adults
can wipe them all out with just one volley. The kiln is sealed with water today.
There's not a soul outside the wall. Right then, Shuda leads his people across the small river, but they can't find the Han tribe's cave, where there was just empty ground a few days ago. A massive bluish-white ice wall now stands.
Shuda rushes up to the wall. This wall wasn't here before.
It just grew out of the ground? Shu Wu catches up from behind, staring at the identical, massive blue bricks. He can't help but exclaim, "This is a miracle." Inside the wall, Robao hears the commotion. He darts to the gate and peers out from behind the giant horse. Seeing the same group that stabbed him with spears last time, he sticks his trunk out and lets out a warning roar. Only then does Shuda notice. There's a gate in the wall, but the wooden frame faces outward, and it's covered in sharp, hardened wooden spears.
He doesn't know what it's for,
but his mind instantly pictures enemies charging in and getting impaled on those spikes.
He's impressed, but the women and boys are puzzled.
Why the Han tribe hasn't eaten that four-horned beast from earlier? That's a lot of meat. Hearing Robao's roar, you step out of the cave with a dozen tribesmen. Each one is holding a new throwing spear. Shuda quickly announces he's here to trade for pottery, pulling the women and children forward as proof. You give a nod. Only then do you have your men move the giant horse aside. Once Shuda's group steps inside, they're instantly stunned by what they see. Next to the animal pen, there are 30 identical small carts lined up. Beside the cave entrance stand 50 bronze shovels. Over 200 throwing spears, their heads arranged in neat rows, glinting in the light. Near the cave mouth, the gate to the animal pen is still open.
Oryx saw strangers and bleated.
The Shuda party was instantly startled. So besides those two monsters, the Han tribe had all these two?
And they all live in houses?
Even in the cave, they couldn't snap out of it. They definitely didn't have fewer people in the Black tribe. The Han tribesmen were sizing up Shuda and his crew. Shuda stared at the clay pots by the fire. How many were there? Enough to buy back his entire tribe. A few women, however, were focused on it. Their faces were all rosy, clearly well-fed, and each of them had animal skins to wear. Only Shu Wu from the Black Rat tribe had the sharpest eye. He fixated on the Han characters on the wall. Seeing the old man's interest, you didn't interrupt. You told the elder to proceed with the trade with Shuda first. This time, Shuda brought 7 women, 6 boys around 11 or 12, and 4 baskets of peanuts. He wanted to trade for 10 clay pots and 4 clay bowls. His hands of pottery made Shuda ecstatic. Now his people could have warm, hearty stew too. But the ones even happier were the traded boys and girls. The Han tribe looked strong. No more hunger, excitement buzzed. Once the trade was done, Shu Wu hurried over to you. He asked what the characters were. They seemed advanced. Seeing his genuine curiosity, you picked up a small stick. You started explaining carefully. Only then did Shu Wu understand. Those were the way to express the Han tribe. If all learned them, could he write for others to understand?
You saw him pondering.
You let me. Sure, the Han tribe learned characters daily, but mostly for the honey-glazed chestnuts. Finding someone who thinks on their own? Not one. For a moment, you felt a spark of admiration for his mind.
Even if he was from another tribe.
Shu Wu and Shuda the same night. Hearing your invitation, Shu Wu agreed without hesitation.
He had plenty of questions he wanted to discuss with you.
To welcome them, you announced an extra feast for the day. If you think on their own like this, couldn't find a single one. Felt a desire to cherish talent.
Even though he was from another tribe, invited Shu Wu
and Shuda to stay overnight. Leave tomorrow. Shu Wu heard your invitation
and agreed readily.
He had many questions to discuss with you. To welcome them, you announced an extra meal today. We could have lunch, but the cave's gonna get pretty cramped. Not enough space if everyone sleeps.
Move the rabbit pen outside. Free up some space inside.
You pick a spot and have your people start working on it right away. Walls built with fired bricks, the whole floor paved. Throw on a thick layer of hay, and it's done. The women carry all 50 some rabbits out to the new pen. Shu Wu asks you, why aren't you killing the rabbits? That's all food right there. Before you can even answer, the Shu jumps in to explain. He lays out your whole plan for raising rabbits.
He saw the first litter himself.
Went from 30-something to over 50 just like that. Raising him is way easier than hunting him down.
The Black Rat tribe folks are stunned.
The logic of breeding is simple enough. They get it. They just never imagined you could store food this way. Shu Wu, though, has his own private theories about all the Han tribe's miracles. He pulls you aside quietly and whispers,
who told you all this? Your tribe's God? You tell him straight up your tribe has no God.
You just knew this stuff. Born with it. Hearing that, Shu Wu's eyes
change completely. Are you the God?
You ignore his weird look and take the group to see the paddy fields you're about to transform. You tell him proudly, next year, we'll have more food than we can eat. Shuda looks confused. Sure, your tribe's bigger than his, but there's no way your people could eat that much. After all this walking, he finally asks the right question. You smile and tell him, I'm going to invite other tribes to join the Han tribe.
Make more people mine. Shuda scoffs at that answer.
No tribe would just willingly join you. You give a faint smile and call the Shu over. Tell him to share their story. The Shu, having lived through it, the cannibal tribe's attack, tells it so vividly it feels like you're right there. Shuda breaks out in a cold sweat. He never imagined a tribe like that existed. Thank the stars his tribe never ran into them. Seeing the moment is right, you drop another bombshell. That cannibal tribe, they're right across the river. They have a lot of grown men. They never show up with less than 50. And plenty of giant long-nosed beasts as big as Gray Mountain. Could be right near your tribe. You better watch your backs. After saying this, you clap Shuda on the shoulder. Then you turn and head back inside the wall. But Shu Wu and Shuda are terrified by this news. Finding out cannibals are right on their doorstep. They can't just sit around as guests of the Han tribe anymore. They'll find you to say goodbye, then fortify. Since they're leaving, no point in holding them up. You give them 10 big fish for the road. As they leave, you tell Shu Wu if they run into trouble, they can come here for help. Hearing this, Shu Wu and Shuda are practically moved to tears, thanking you over and over. Then they hurry off with their people back to their own tribe. With their departure, peace returns to the Han tribe. The day before the 3rd full moon of winter, a heavy snow falls for a day and a night. The snow in the clearing piles up to 30 centimeters deep. Brickmaking work grinds to a halt. You're lying on a hay bale in the livestock shed, shelling chestnuts. Meat Bun and Gray Mountain are sprawled on either side of you, sneaking a few when you're not looking. Just then, Gray Mountain suddenly lifts his head. His big ears flap as he listens to something in the distance.
You sense something's off and freeze.
Less than a minute later, A violent tremor rumbles through the ground. You bolt out of the pen, scrambling up behind the west wall to see. On the western tree line, a massive hunting pack of carnivorous beasts is desperately chasing a herd of grazers through the snow. Fleeing for their lives at the front are wild bison you've never seen and giant elk you've only ever seen in museums. Mixed in the middle of the herd are even dozens of those legendary beasts, the grass mud horses, alpacas, and the hunters on their heels aren't just tall terror birds, but whole packs of wild boar. But in this hunting army, they're just the small-time scavengers, the sideshow. The real muscle of this force is a gray wolf pack, over 200 strong. You're flat against the wall, holding your breath, watching the scene unfold. Gray Mountain and Meat Bun lie quietly beside you, taking in the spectacle. The main pursuit is right on their tails now. The lead bull, leading over 100 of them, charged northeast with all its might. The alpha wolf at the rear let out a piercing howl. Over 100 ravenous wolves shot out from the pack. They streaked like lightning, flanking the herd on both sides. You could feel disaster looming. The alpacas and the fleeing mass were especially quick, one taking the lead and breaking from the herd. In this life-or-death chase, it became the front runner. 60-some elk weren't about to be left behind either. They sprinted after the alpacas. The lead bull was furious. If it weren't for the herd's protection, those few dozen alpacas would have been picked off long ago. Now, with them on their heels, they're bailing first. Right at this critical moment, the lead bull suddenly noticed the alpacas ahead were gone. Then, the ones running up front, over 20 elk vanished too. The bull kept running. Just as it was about to catch up to the elk, the sight ahead made every hair on its hide stand on end. When the hell did this deep, long trench appear? You were overjoyed. You never expected the canal you dug to irrigate the fields would come in so handy. Talk about a gift from the heavens. Now the lead bull was losing its mind. No way was getting across this trench. It slammed the wall, lined up side by side with others, all turning their sharp horns outward. The wolves snarled, closing in, tightening the noose. Just as this clash was about to erupt, a loud, unmistakable fart shattered the tense silence. Both the herd and the pack froze. Hundreds of curious eyes snapped toward the western wall. There, a two-legged creature wearing a golden crown was slapping the head of a terror bird beside it, over and over. I told you not to sneak chestnuts. The bull's eyes lit up as they stared that way. Because there was no trench near that wall, the wolves' eyes lit up too. They'd spotted prey, easier to take down than the herd. You suddenly noticed the strange look in their eyes. You immediately turned and sprinted for the cave, yelling as you ran. Grab your weapons. Hold the cave entrance. The wall's useless now. A half-meter thick, 3-meter high brick wall is fine for keeping out humans. But against the stampede of wild bulls, that's another story. The herd didn't understand you. They launched their breakout charge, heading straight for your position. Seeing the herd charge, the alpha wolf urgently barked out commands. Boars lead the first countercharge. The boar herd immediately takes the front line. It's the only play they've got. They're outnumbered, but they still want a piece of this kill. So they become the wolves' cannon fodder. The ostriches are different. They hang back, take easy kills, flee when tough. Now, with a clear path to survival, the bison herd won't back down. An unprecedented collision erupts, like two planets smashing together. Over 100 bison, each over 2 meters tall, weighing more than a ton, charges one. The wild boars, usually fierce and unstoppable, are just tissue paper against a spear point now. Half-meter horns gut the boars, spilling their insides. In the first clash, dozens of boars are tossed into the air. They slam hard into the Han tribe's rear wall. The brick wall, frozen solid with ice water, can't take the relentless, brutal impacts. It comes crashing down in a roar. Meat Bun and Ashil scramble back to the cave mouth in terror. They back up so far there, but they're practically blocking the entrance. The dozen or so surviving boars are scared out of their minds. They actually turn and trample over the fallen brothers, charging into the broken compound. In the chaos, over a dozen bison break through too. The two sides clash instantly, battle joined. The corral walls are shattered in seconds. Two boars, trembling with fear and shed, get caught in the crossfire, gored by bison horns. They die on the spot, and you can only watch, helpless, as everything you've built is destroyed. This restored melee, this clash of titans, isn't something one man's skill can control. The best you can do is try to save yourself and your people. Amid the chaotic stampede, the animal sheds collapse. Over a dozen tethered oryx are trapped under the wreckage, then trampled by panicked boars and maddened bison. Who knows how many of those oryx will make it? The sight tears at you. Each was reclaimed by your sweat and blood. The bison herd has broken the encirclement. They've already skirted the man-made river and are now charging northeast, behind Han Tribe's mountain. The image of the boars being flung through the air is still fresh. The wolf pack doesn't dare block their path head-on. They can only harry the edges, picking off stragglers. They still manage to bring down 20-some bison. Then the alpha wolf gives the signal to break off the chase. Time to dig into this feast. But you're fuming inside the wall. All the oryx you brought back are dead. If we don't cash in now, we'll have lost our shirts. You immediately call out every adult in the tribe, ready to spear every last boar and bison inside the wall. Meat delivered to our doorstep. We're taking it. Next moment, 70 or 80 men line up at the cave mouth. A storm of spears instantly blankets the boars, still rampaging inside the wall. Thud, thud, thud. Bronze spears find a mark. Over 20 beasts drop on the spot, each one skewered by multiple longbows. You order the elders to guard the cave mouth with the kids. Everyone else, follow me to the breach in the wall. Dozens more boars are there, half dead from the stampede. Men form a front line. Women finish them off. Kill every boar. Drag the carcasses inside the wall. You step forward, golden spear held ready. Eyes locked on the wolf pack ahead. A dozen Han tribe men take positions at your flanks. They form a defensive line, spears raised. The women behind them grip their bronze spears, mercilessly finishing off the down boars. The wet sounds of stabs, boar squeals, and women's battle cries fill the air. The commotion quickly draws the wolves' attention. Then, the alpha's howl cuts through the noise. Wolves feasting on bison all around stop and look up. Muzzles dripping blood, they turn toward you. A new battle is about to erupt. The sounds of you and your tribe, slaughtering boars, have drawn the wolf pack's focus. Wolves tearing into bison carcasses halt their feast. Blood-smeared jaws. All eyes are on you now. You bark orders to tighten the formation. Kill a wolf, you get its pelt and a longbow. Facing a pack of hundreds had your people spooked, but now their eyes burn with pure greed. The snarling wolves ahead. They don't see monsters anymore. They see a mountain of fur and weapons walking toward them. The alpha lets out another long, piercing howl. The entire pack forms up for a charge. They surge toward the broken wall. You're the first to raise your spear. You thrust as a starving wolf lunges. Schlick, blood sprays. The wolf that was all fury a moment ago goes limp and crumbles to the ground. The men on both sides finish their first thrust. Over a dozen gray wolf corpses lay before the spear formation, inside the wall, with Bow and Ash's help. The 50-odd wild boars were completely wiped out. The freed-up women quickly joined the battle line, taking positions in the gaps between the first row of men. The remaining women took up spears and formed the second row, ready for any sudden developments. The clash lasted only moments. 40 wolf carcasses piled before spears, with the first row now doubled by the women. The Han tribe's front line held firm, no pressure. But an animal as cunning as a gray wolf doesn't just roll over. From a spot unseen by the crowd, he directed another pack to flank the wall, planning a deadly strike on these people. This didn't escape the notice of the one watching the alpha. Seeing the alpha's move, you scrambled up the nearby wall, scanning the battlefield from above. At the breach in the front, over 50 gray wolf bodies were heaped, forming a low wall of corpses blocking the gap. The alpha saw you climb the wall. Fearing his feint was discovered, he got another furious roar, ordering the frontal assault to change tactics. Large, elite gray wolves leapt over their fallen comrades, trying to clear the first spear row entirely, and pounced directly on the second. This sudden shift grabbed your focus. First row, step forward. Second row, cover their heads. Just then, a pained howl echoed from the south wall. You turned, eyes wide. Inside the south wall, Bao swung his massive trunk, smacking down wolves trying to scramble over. Seeing this, Ash followed suit, fighting side by side with Bao. The front was secure. Seeing the attack fail, the alpha called off the frontal charge. Now, all hope rested on the flanking squad. At that moment, a powerful gray wolf used a comrade as a springboard, soaring toward the 3-meter wall top. But from an angle, an arrow shot out, striking the wolf square in the neck. This scared the wolves lining up to climb. Then whoosh whoosh, several more arrows flew, shattering the pack's sneak attack. The alpha saw both avenues were hopeless. They didn't dare press the attack any further. They let out an earth-shaking howl and hastily retreated. They resumed feasting on the buffalo carcasses outside. You wouldn't let them go. So many oryx were dead. How could you swallow that? You immediately issued a string of orders. The men kept watch. The women dragged the gray wolf carcasses back to the palisade. A few other women were to use firewood and lard to make torches. The elders told bring out all the stockpiled arrows, and had the elder bring out all the stockpiled feathered arrows. A little over 10 minutes later, Meat Bun was loaded with every usable rope in the tribe. Gray Mountain Warrior Quiver, you rode on his back. You were flanked by 30 adult tribesmen, armed with torches and spears. You all headed towards the downed buffalo. Reaching the vicinity of a carcass, you shot arrows from over 30 meters, killing wolves. The rest of the pack didn't dare stay put, scattering in all directions. You seized the chance to lead your people to claim a buffalo. You had the tribesmen lasso the buffalo's head with ropes. Then you had Meat Bun and Gray Mountain drag it back. You hauled them back trip after trip. Leaving the palisade, you also dragged out a large bundle of firewood. The wolf pack, having seen the bronze spears and bow's power, and seeing every tribesman holding a torch, could only watch in bitter frustration as these humans hauled their prey away. Even the terror birds pecking at the buffalo in the distance were picked off by your arrows from long range. They all became Han tribe spoils. Left with no choice, the wolves turned their gaze to the live animals in the ditch. Before they could launch another attack, the entire artificial riverbank roared with flames. The wolf pack's last shred of hope was extinguished. They had to retreat, seething, back into the forest. Meanwhile, on the bank of the artificial river, E and the tribesmen inspected their haul by torchlight. In a 700-meter-long ditch, 36 alpacas, 28 elk, 47 buffalo of all sizes, and 7 or 8 trampled gray wolves, plus one with a broken leg. Now the question was how to get them all out. Getting all these live animals out would take time. You feared the forest wolves might sneak attack. So, you had Meat Bun and Gray Mountain drag 2 wild boars and leave them at the forest edge. After more than an hour of frantic work, all centerpieces boxes dragged inside the palisade. It was now the dead of night, and your people were utterly exhausted. It was already midnight, and the clansmen were exhausted. To keep everyone fueled for the work ahead, have a few women butcher one of the boars for a late-night meal. A big chunk of roast meat for each, and unlimited stew. This is the first fresh roast meat anyone's had in the 3 months since winter set in. Smiles are plastered on every face. The men are already boasting with pride, bragging about how many wolves they took down, and how much reward that'll earn them. By the time the meal's done, dawn is breaking. You divide the 70-plus adults into 4 teams. One team of 10 takes shifts on the wall on watch and patrol duty. Another 20 are tasked with repairing the wall and palisade. The remaining 40-plus, armed with tools, follow you outside the wall. First, you assign 6 men with bronze shovels to dig an upward-sloping ramp on the north side of the trench. This ramp is just wide enough for a single animal. Once on it, there's no turning back. The other 30-plus, under your direction, start constructing a wooden chute. The moment an animal climbs up, it'll enter this narrow wooden channel. You haul over a makeshift forge, stoke it with charcoal, and stick 2 bronze hooks in the coals to heat. With prep done, you have someone bring over a bundle of fodder. Lure the animals in the trench toward the ramp. These herbivores are cold and starving. The sight of dry grass gets them moving instantly. They scramble up the ramp. Once on solid ground, it's easy. These herbivores are cold and starving. The sight of dry grass gets them moving instantly. They scramble up the ramp. Once on solid ground, it's easy. A few men with ropes loop them, lead them in, and tie them up. The last bull to come up barely shows its head on the ramp. Before men with poles block its path front and back, you grab the glowing bronze hook and pierce its nose for a ring. The raging bull turns docile as a quail. The tribe leads it meekly inside the walls. This work goes on until late afternoon. Everything in the trench, dead or alive, is cleared out. A final tally of the haul. 3 types of live livestock, 97 head total. Dead bison, 45. Boars, 52. Gray horned deer, 17. Gray wolves, 113. Plus 14 terror birds taken down by arrows. And don't forget the oryx caught in the crossfire back in the barn. All of them are dead. The only miracle in this whole bloody mess is that the rabbit pens somehow survived. A busy day passes, and by evening, all the damage has been repaired. The 3 walls are now 5 layers of brick higher to stop those gray wolves from jumping in again. Inside the walls wood crackles on the fire with the laughter and chatter of the Han tribe. Over 100 people work hard around the bonfires. Some women brag to others about having tanned wolf pelts before, offering to teach everyone how it's done. Wooden barrel saws the horns off a dead bison. He signals to the traded black rat boys to watch. He'll let them try later. He's around singing songs you can't understand, utterly happy, because today the food is unlimited. You stand in the center of the clearing, watch your clansmen. They work nonstop for a full day, yet remain energetic. A wave of worry hits you. Winter has barely a month left. Once it warms up, what about the meat we can't finish? It'll spoil. The work of skinning and butchering goes on past midnight. But even with red, tired eyes, your people don't know when to quit. They're genuinely thrilled. None of them have ever seen this much meat in their entire lives. Finally, you have no choice but to order them to rest. The next morning, just as the sky lightens, your people, having slept only half the night, spring up with undiminished vigor. You can only reassign their tasks. First, you send layman with big mouth and monkey to forge 42 nose rings for the bison. Then you have the men dig 2 small pits, fill them with wood ash solution to cure those 200 plus hides. The rest of the clan continues processing the meat. The shoe takes a few people to sort the horns and sinews. You meanwhile call over the 3 grown men from the original Sieting tribe. Where do you get the salt rocks you use to trade with us? Chief, the salt. It's from a cave in our old mountain den. One of the answers. We always sent 3 or 4-year-olds in. None of us adults have ever seen it. Good answer, you're not. You'll lead the way next time we go looking. Considering the wolf packs are still lurking in the western woods. You decide to wait a while before fetching more. Now that you know where the salt mine is. Running out of salt is the least of your worries. Now that we know where the salt mine is, we don't have to worry about a salt shortage anymore. He ordered everyone to bring out all their stored salt. He taught them to make jerky and sausages. Shuda and Shuwu and their crew had already made a swift, urgent return to their tribe. They took your warning very seriously. The 2 leaders discussed it and finally decided Shuda would take a 20-man hunting party to scout west to see if things were really as you described. Shuwu himself stayed behind at the village, directing the women to build a defensive fence wall. He even copied the Han tribe, using logs and stone-tipped spears to make a massive gate. The clan's folk used the traded pottery to boil meat stew, eating and whispering among themselves. A tribe that can make such advanced stone bowls. They must be incredibly powerful. If only we could be traded to the Han tribe too. These whispers reached Shuwu's ears. He didn't lash out, just closed his eyes, your words echoing relentlessly in his mind. Join the Han tribe, and you'll have endless food, endless hides, a safe place to live. That voice kept rising from the depths of his heart, a maddening buzz in his skull. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open. No, he blurted out, agitated. Our tribe isn't smaller than the Han tribe. Why should we join them? That Han leader said he could make the earth grow endless food. Let's wait and see. What if he's lying? Just then, Shooter returned with a hunting party. He entered the tent holding a large string of human bone necklaces. Shuwu, look, we found these on many frozen corpses in the forest. Shuwu listened, nodding gravely. Seems they were telling the truth. For a moment, both men fell silent, unsure what to do. After a long pause, Shuwu spoke to Shuda. I've had the clan building a wall these past days. If those cannibals really attack us, do you think we can hold them off? No way. That fence, a kid could climb it. Shuwu sighed in frustration. Then post more lookouts, and have the women and children make more weapons. If that day comes and we can't win, we'll figure it out then. If only we had more people. Shuda nodded and started to get up to arrange the work. But then he stopped, as if remembering something. I've got an idea to get us more people. Shua's eyes lit up immediately. Spit out. What's the plan? Remember that chestnut tribe guarding the chestnut grove? They definitely want this pottery too. We can use it to trade for people. The Han tribe trades with us. 1 pot for 2 underage boys or 1 adult woman. We'll double it. 1 pot to the chestnut tribe for 2 women or 4 boys. Then we use those people to trade with the Han tribe. We keep the extra for ourselves. Shua's face broke into a wide grin. You could trade like that. You're a genius. Even you, all the way over on the West Bank, never thought of it. The first profiteer in the Stone Age was born. That's the plan. Go with it. Take some men and head to the chestnut tribe now. Start with the pots we got from the trade. Shuwu ordered quickly. Shuda acknowledged and rushed out to prepare. Back at the Han tribe, you were racking your brain on how to take out the wolf pack. They're holed up in the woods, won't come out. Our salt reserves are down to enough for 200 people for a month. This stalemate can't last. You think hard. A frontal assault is suicide. Take too few men, and we're just wolf chow. Just then, little Chu Bing's voice echoed from outside the cave. Stay still. I told you to behave. Cripple and Strongman were fitting a nose ring on a wild ox. The ox, in pain, was getting restless. Little Chu Bing, brandishing a thorny vine, was swatting its rear playing the tough guy. Your eyes lit up. A plan clicked into place. You laughed and went out to gather thorn vines. The vines were about as thick as a finger, covered in hard, sharp thorns. Perfect for a lethal trap. First, chop them with an axe, into pieces the length of a thumb. Then soak them in cold water to freeze. Once they're coated in ice, sealing the thorns inside, smear a thick layer of lard on the outside. If a wolf swallows one of these, the ice melts in its stomach. The thorns will tear its guts apart. They'll be dead by lunchtime. That very noon, you rode Gray Mountain to the edge of the forest. I tossed some animal scraps along the edges. A little treat to lull the wolf pack, lower their guard. Come evening, the real gift is delivered, the one that takes them out for good. Thorny vines coated in ice lard filled several big baskets scattered along the western forest line. Now just wait for those gray wolves to take the bait. Thinking about all that thick fur, you can't help but get more excited. Right then, you spread the full baskets of thorny vines along the western forest edge. Not taking any chances, you immediately turn to the lookouts on the wall. Eye sharp on that tree line. Don't miss a thing. Not a single blade of grass moving out there. Then you drag your tired self back to the cave to rest. Winter's almost over, and the tribe's got 1,000 things to handle. Spring planting and salt gathering are now top priority for the tribe's survival. Before, livestock was scarce. Only 16 oryx. Just 2 bulls could pull a plow, and they're way smaller
than the wild oxen we have now.
The old plow just won't cut it. A new design starts forming in your head.
A wooden plow with 2 blades.
Just as you're deep into designing this new bronze plow, Shuda, that guy always looking for the best deal,
sets off on his trade mission.
The chestnut tribe's got over 230 people. Their territory's full of huge chestnut groves. Impressive. Chestnuts aren't a main food. Can't feed everyone every day. But during lean hunting seasons, they fill the gap. Keep starvation at bay. Tribe gets by okay. Their settlement is south of the Black Rat tribe. Not too far, not too close. A solid day's walk.
That's normal distance for tribes back then.
With no transport, just your own 2 feet. You had to make it home before dark. Everyone had to be back at their own camp by sunset. Nighttime in the wild. Beast Central. Way too dangerous. Shuda, with 10 strong men, marched a full day, reaching the Lee tribe. Just as they were starting dinner, Chief Maoli and the shaman saw them coming, and their mood instantly soured. Winter just ended 3 months ago. Every tribe's stores are running low. Everyone's hanging on. They're barely scraping by themselves, and now guests show up, clearly just here for a free meal. Maoli's face went dark. He was blunt, gave them 0 welcome. Shuda knew the score. He wasn't wanted here. He smiled broadly, saying he wasn't there for free food. He even signaled his men to promptly produce their own food supplies. Maoli's expression softened a bit at that. She led them into the tribe's living area. It was a cluster of about a dozen semi-subterranean huts. They bore some resemblance to the Han tribe's brick kilns, half buried, with a domed branch roof covered in mud and a smoke hole. Shuda stepped inside, his eyes fixed on the central fire pit. The Lee tribe was roasting chestnuts and meat strips over it. Feeling confident, he turned to pitch his clay pots, and met Maoli's dark, scowling face. She was deeply annoyed.
Shuda didn't get ruffled.
He started cooking by the fire pit like he owned the place. Seeing they really brought their own food, and he had all his fresh time cleared. Her attention was completely hijacked by the clay pot, especially when she heard it could boil meat to ward off the chill and stretch their food supplies. She was instantly interested. Sure, Shuda was laying it on thick with a sales pitch, but Maoli wasn't buying all of it. So, food, but when they got a price, the 2 of them butted heads immediately. Shuda only brought cooking pots, no water jars or bowls for comparison. Maoli couldn't gauge the pot's worth and thought he was robbing her. After some serious haggling, they struck a deal. 1 clay pot for 3 boys, or 1 woman plus 1 boy. Shuda's mental abacus was clicking away. Focused on losing tribe's tide force. He only 1 voice. He dismissed women as weak, a drag on the team.
These boys were only 10 or 11.
But by tribal reckoning, they'd be adults in a year or 2. A little training, and they'd be ready for battle.
Maoli wasn't happy about this.
And over that many able-bodied nevertheless, even if they tried, that's a drain they can't sustain.
So they agreed. This was a one-time deal.
Future trades could demand only boys. Shuda nodded vigorously, agreeing without hesitation. At dawn the next day, Shuda left behind 5 clay pots. He returned to the Black Rat tribe, satisfied with the 15 traded boys.
Winter was almost over.
His mind was already on the pending deal with the Han tribe. He was itching, feverishly plotting the next move.
Winter was almost over.
He still had the trade with the Han tribe in mind, frantically planning his next move. Meanwhile, back at the Han tribe, the mood is electric. After that heart-stopping battle to defend our home, warriors earn their stripes. Reward is promised. Time to pay up. The wolf pelts are thick and warm. Every adult in the tribe, man or woman, gets one. The bronze ornaments are in short supply, but I'm not holding back. The men get custom bronze clasps, forged in the shape of a fierce wolf's head. Small, but they carry weight. A badge of honor for those who fought. Like medals, the warriors can't stop admiring them. The women who fought get delicate bronze hairpins. Smiles all around. The tribe roars for longbows. 1 each. These bows are deadly. Close hunting is a bloodbath. With a longbow, you can take down prey from safe distance. You can carry way more arrows than spears. The kill rate skyrockets. Now, the rule before the battle was, kill 5 wolves, get a reward. Only 70 wolves down. Too many warriors, not enough kills. Not enough to go around. So I'm using this as an opportunity. Push the longbow. Arm our people. The new standard issue. The body is carved from tough, springy yew wood. Strung with incredibly strong, super durable sisal fiber. 6 feet long, fits our warrior's height and strength. This thing packs a punch. Raw lumber and woodworking tools ready. I figure mass production would be a breeze. Turns out, it's a nightmare. First problem, milling the lumber. The wood for a longbow is picky. Perfectly straight yew. Sapwood to heartwood. 1 to 2. The heartwood in the center is brittle. A bough made from it will snap. Short lifespan, and the only saw we have in the tribe is this clunky, heavy 2-man lumber saw. Takes 2 to pull. Useless for precision.
Hence off for branches, not logs.
I racked my brain for a long time.
Remembered a bow saw from childhood.
Frame tensions a thin blade. Cuts planks in strips. Once I had the idea, I laid out the plan. I laid 1 forged the saw blades with holes at both ends. Barrel maker crafted the H-frame. Both are seasoned. A little tool like this, no sweat for them. Meanwhile, I was burying the next big headache. How do you draw a straight line on a round log? First thing that popped into my head, a chalk line. Ancient wisdom right there. 2 points, 1 string, defines the cut. We got plenty of hemcord, but ink, nowhere to be found. No paper invented yet. No pen and ink for daily lessons. But right now, I'm desperate for ink. I'm racking my brain, try to remember ancient ink making. I know pine soot ink is made from the soot residue of an oil-rich pine log that's burned, but not completely.
Simple brick stove works. Start. Pine branches ignite, black smoke billows.
Before long, the green bricks are coated in soot. You carefully scrape off the black soot and mix it with water. A bowl of thick ink is ready. Next, you soak the hemcord in it. Once soaked through, you pull it out. A simple chalk line is born. No chalk reel, no problem. You can snap the line by hand just fine. You, and with ton work, hands blackened, focus on marking the wood. Gimpy and the shepherd boy rush over, all in a panic. They're holding the newly made bow saw. Their faces are full of hope as they ask you to check if it works. You grab a handful of snow to scrub your black hands clean. You take the nearly 70-centimeter long saw. Bronze saw blade fixed on bow frame pins. The tug on the hemp rope pulls the blade taut and straight. On log line, light pull sends sawdust flying. The ink line is instantly swallowed by the thin cut. You guide it forward along the length of the log. The test is a huge success. You immediately order, make 20 more just like this. Do we have enough copper? Gimpy counts on his fingers and nods firmly. We got enough. The blades don't use much copper. You say with a wave of your hand. Go for it. Don't skimp on materials. Copper is needed everywhere for tools, weapons, and life. Everything depends on it. We don't even have a copper pie yet. Spring planting and fall harvesting are urgent come spring. We'll need to mine the copper, or again. Thinking of mining, you start pondering a new thing, or rather, a boat. The tribe has to travel upstream along the river to the mine. Walking takes the better part of a day. Using pack animals is slow, inefficient, and hard on them. Some places are just impassable. Progress is painfully slow this way. Load at Yuan Shu tribe, sail downstream. We could be there in an hour. More cargo too. The boat to build. Need a slightly raised bow and stern with a flat, square bottom. Designed for inland rivers. Water depth varies. Flat bottom boat stable in shallow water. No risk of hitting bottom. Top notch for safety and access. Based on the river's width, you set the beam at 3 meters. 8 meters, good ratio for speed and stability. Even novice tribesmen can handle it easily. The hull is reinforced with 2 keels and 7 U-shaped ribs, made from keel pine. Strong and durable. Sandalwood heartwood for planks, outer for bows. Maximizes resources, no oars needed. Copper shovels serve as oars, weapons, tools. Everyone sees you tinkering with new things all day. They're all burning with curiosity. All filled with curiosity. Only the Yuan Shu tribe folks had an inkling of what was going on. After all, they'd seen you rig up those simple log rafts before. The principle's pretty much the same as this flat-bottom boat. Just swapped out the wood for a keel and plank hull. That evening, you were directing the tribe, everyone working like crazy. Feather, the lookout, started yelling at the top of his lungs. Chief, about 20 plus, coming from the East Creek. Looks like the Black Rat tribe, heading straight for us. Your heart sank. Something didn't feel right. You scrambled up the wall to get a look. There was Shuda, hurrying over with 10 adults, and 10 boys. You were puzzled. The Black Rat tribe only had about 150 people. Where they get so many near-grown boys? The folks we traded for from Black Rat heard the commotion. Thinking it was another trade, they ran out hopeful, wondering if any family was with them. The boys from the Lee tribe, following Shuda, were completely confused. All they knew was their chief traded them for 5 stone slabs. They didn't get it, but they weren't too upset either. Just followed along quietly. Shuda reached the gate, looked up at the taller wall, then peered inside. Saw the 100-odd livestock piles of dried meat, and hundreds of hides. His eyes nearly popped out of his head. If he hadn't seen you wearing that gold crown, he'd think he was lost. He swallowed hard, muttering, Is this the Han tribe? I'm Shuda. I'm here to trade for pottery. You look at Shuda and his crew outside the gate. Didn't make a big deal of it. Made them hand over their weapons at the gate, same as before. Shuda pointed at the boys. Chief of the Han tribe. I'm here for pottery. These are the people I brought. Just clay pots again this time. You had someone fetch the pots. While you sized Shuda up, suspicious. Shuda didn't understand your words, but guilt made him nervous. Played dumb. Pretended not to know anything. Just kept looking around. Truth was, you were thrilled he brought more people. Kids grow up to be workers. Clay pots for labor? A steal. Fong and Stone quickly brought 5 clay pots. The trade was simple. 10 boys for 5 pots. It was getting dark. Wolves were out there again. You offered to let Shuda and his men stay the night. Pulled him into the cave, told everyone to stew some meat tonight. Treat our guests right. The 10 boys from the Sioux tribe were traded off in a daze, seeing the Han tribe's strength and wealth. The huge herds, more meat than they could eat. Massive bison, giant elk terror birds. They were shocked, then thrilled, hoping they could stay for good. Assign them cleaning for hides. Teach reading, housing. Learn Han language first, and get familiar with the tribe. Finally told them to eat their fill. Our tribe has food to spare. Kids struck gold. Inly tribe, always hungry. Children had to fight for scraps. The weak ones just starved. Here, all the food is unlimited. Savory meat stew, big chunks of meat. They devour bowl after bowl, stuffed to the brim. You can't watch anymore and quickly stop them. Worried they'll overeat. Han tribe is plenty, but we don't waste. There'll be more food later. After the meal, the cave is crowded at night. Night watchmen stay in the brick shelters inside the wall. Shuda's group is also housed there. Shuda stays awake, standing guard with you on the wall. Full of questions, he stares at the wolf pelts inside the compound, mentally comparing it to his own tribe. He knows the gap is huge. The Han tribe can kill this many gray wolves. Their combat strength is on another level compared to ours. We bust our backs and trade, just add a few people. They just sit here and gain followers, even get hot stew. Size more, sleeps until shift change past midnight. The Shu and Beast Fong get up. You ask them about the wolf pack situation. The Shu says they were still there the night before last. Large packs active at the forest edge. Saw a lot of green eyes. Beast Fong adds, last night there were very few. I saw maybe only a dozen or so. You nod with a smile. I stood guard half the night and didn't see any wolf activity. The forest edge was eerily quiet. Looks like the pack took the bait. At dawn, we'll go check it out. Might bag a lot of pelts of meat. Early next morning, after seeing Shuda's group off, you gather 30 adults, have an early breakfast, and head into the western woods. Meat Bun and Gray Mountain follow. The 2 big guys, cooped up for a while, are full of energy, wiggling their butts, wagging tails, sniffing and looking around. You first check the forest edge. The thorn vines are gone without a trace. The snow is trampled with signs of digging and gray wolf paw prints. You relax instantly. The pack definitely fell for it. Just don't know the results yet. You immediately wave your hand. The tribesmen, all gripping spears, silently form up. Follow you into the forest. It's dead quiet the whole way. Only the sound of boots crunching snow. Gray Mountain Meat Bun follow, scanning ground. Found 2 dead gray wolves under a tree. Their heads are covered in bite marks. Their bodies were stripped clean of meat, the hides torn to shreds. A pack fight, or starving wolves turn on each other. 3 hours later, we reached the Arrowroot Valley. The wolf tracks on the ground became a chaotic mess, and they all seemed to be leading straight toward the mountain ridge of the former Sieding tribe. A suspicion crept into your mind. They couldn't have holed up in that Sieding cave, could they? Wolves take over dens. Only one place here is big enough for a pack. It's probably that cavern. Sure enough, climbing the ridge, we found several frozen wolf carcasses, bellies swollen, Their muzzles and rears were caked in dark blood, clear signs of a painful, struggling death. You order the bodies gathered and marked. The team pushes on westward. Along the way, more dead wolves are spotted. By near noon, we're within a kilometer of the cave. The ground is thick with wolf prints here. The pack is almost certainly hiding nearby. You signal for the team to fan out and advance cautiously. The silence around us is unnerving, absolute. Dolly whispers behind you. Maybe they're all dead already. You snap a low warning, stay sharp. Don't let your guard down. Wolves are cunning predators. Minutes later, we reach the cave mouth. Finally, we get a clear look inside. Most of the wolves inside are already down, lifeless. The few still breathing is clinging on, whimpering low. No fight left in them. You bark the order immediately. Teams of 2. Finish them all off. The tribesmen pair up and move in to claim the spoils. Wolf meat is edible, and our people waste nothing. They take everything a grim sort of harvest. You meanwhile take the 3 men from the old Seating tribe and head straight for the inner chamber, the one with the pit. A thought flashes. Could the drool stone be down there? Now, leading your people once more, you stand again in the Seating cave. You hurry to the opening where the drool stone was found. The hole is sealed by a large rock. Its texture and color blend almost perfectly with the surrounding cave wall. That's why we missed it last time. You gesture to the men beside you. Move it. They get to work, heaving at the millstone-sized slab. A grating, grinding sound fills the air. Slowly, a small, slanted opening is revealed in the floor. Oval and flat, barely big enough for a child to squeeze through. The opening's too small, even for a child. You lie down with the torch, frustrated, and peer into the hole for a closer look. This is quartz and granite fused together. Widening it won't be easy. A sudden flash of light from the cavern roof. It instantly grabs your full attention. You see the ceiling is studded with inverted cone-shaped stones. They are pale, yellowish-white, and shimmer with an internal glow. Without hesitation, you knock an arrow, aiming to shoot a few of those stone cones down for inspection. But 2 shots later, they're still stuck fast. You turn your head and bark an order to the side. Dolly, grab a rock and smash those things down. He eagerly grabs a hefty stone and jogs over. He takes aim, hurls it, whoosh, thud. The stone cone snaps off and crashes to the ground, shattering into pieces. Thinking it might be salt, you bend down, pick up a tiny shard, and pop it in your mouth. You spit out. This isn't salt. It's natural soda ash. Once you realize it's not salt, a wave of disappointment hits you. You turn to the 3 men from the source, Seating tribe, and start questioning them. How did you know there was brine here? How did you collect it? The 3 men exchange uneasy glances, hesitating before one finally speaks up. Long ago, a child fell into this hole by accident. When we pulled him out with a rope, we saw he had this stuff on him. Ever since then, we collect it once a year before the cave freezes. And again after the ice melts. Listening to this, your mind starts racing with calculations. You gotta find a way to widen this opening. We need to mine this mineral deposit in bulk. Right then, the herdsman comes sprinting over, frantic. Chief, we've taken care of the gray wolves. 78 total. But there are 8 wolf pups left. What do we do? Hearing wolf pups, your eyes instantly gleam with interest. Without a word, you head straight over to check them out. Arriving, you see the pitiful little things, huddled against their dead mother, whimpering with hunger. A sudden surge of pity washes over you. You order your tribesmen, take the pups back, raise them well. But the next moment, a thought strikes you. Something feels off. We chased off over 100 wolves before, but we only got 78 here. Where did the rest go? Just as it forms your mind, a heart-wrenching beast howl tears through the air from the west. That sound sent chills down my spine. Instantly, on high alert, I signal my tribe to hold the cave entrance. Grabbing my bow and spear, I moved toward the source of the noise. A quick jog brought me to a sunny slope a kilometer out. The sight before me made my blood run cold. 27 gray wolves had encircled a massive thunder beast, attacking it in a frenzy. The creature looked like a prehistoric rhino, covered in armor-like hide and terrifyingly huge. Must have weighed several tons. It was covered in bites, bleeding from multiple wounds. Its legs and underbelly, vital spots, were slick with blood, gushing out steadily. Its dead gray eyes locked onto me and suddenly lit up, pleading, begging for help. 2 sharp-eyed wolves broke from the pack, snarling, warning me to back off. I didn't flinch. 2 arrows whistled through the air. The wolves dropped, twitching, then went still. They were done. The rest of the pack went wild, howling, and surged toward me like a tidal wave. My heart dropped. I slammed the longbow into one lunging wolf, tumbled to the ground in a clumsy roll, and scrambled for the golden spear nearby. With it in hand, I felt a surge of confidence. My past life's combat training kicked in. The golden spear became a whirlwind in my grip. Fighting my way toward the thunder beast, I noted its severe wounds, but it understood the gratitude. It shifted its massive bulk, using its back to shield me from a sneak attack. After a brutal fight, I was cut up in several places, blood seeping out, but thankfully just scratches. The wolf pack was down to 6. The survivors were spooked, trying to slink away. I was in the zone. No way I was letting them go. I hefted the golden spear and hurled it, thwack, impaling one wolf, pinning it to the snow. Scooping up the longbow, I fired 2 more arrows, taking out 2 stragglers. I was about to give chase when a weak roar from the thunder beast stopped me. It was calling me. I spun around. The beast, its limbs shredded and bloody, struggled to stand on trembling legs, but its belly was miraculously untouched. Then, with a final, mighty roar to the sky, it seemed to expend its last ounce of strength. The next second, a dull thud. Its swollen belly deflated. Look at the ground. Holy cow. A baby terror bird was born. The mother, ignoring her own severe injuries, gazed with pure affection and extended her tongue, gently licking the birth sac off the newborn. She cleaned the little one of all the grime. After that, she looked up at you. Eyes bloody, she nudged the calf to you. She gently pushed the little one closer to you. Her front legs buckled, and she knelt before you. The meaning couldn't be clearer. She knew her time was running out. She wanted you to look after the little one. Your eyes stung, tears welling up. Don't worry, I'll raise it right. With that, you stripped off your tattered hide cloak and carefully wrapped the baby terror bird. Dragging your tired, wounded body, you staggered toward the cave. Not far along, The sound of the mother collapsing echoed behind you. She had closed her eyes forever. Back at the cave, the tribe stood guard at the entrance, spears raised, faces tense. Seeing you return covered in wounds, they all crowded around, bombarding you with concern. You wave a weak hand. Ran into the rest of that wolf pack. Had it out with them. A few got away, though. You pointed to the baby terror bird in your arms. You too, keep an eye on this little guy. Our tribe's gonna raise it from now on. Just then, Stone came jogging up. He pointed to 3 wolf carcasses not far off. Chief, the wolves didn't get far. We got him. You finally let out a long breath, thinking to yourself, that's the pack wiped out for good. No more living in fear every single day. After resting, you told everyone about the wolves and terror bird. The women listened, eyes reddening, wiping away tears. The men kept stoic faces, but their hearts were a mess of emotions too. You decided to bury the mother terror bird. From now on, this place is called Orphan's Ridge. The women heard this and nodded in agreement. What came next was simpler. We've got a rough idea of the salt mine's location. Already bagged a small sack of natural soda crystals. Then you directed everyone to seal up the cave entrance tight with stones, so no other beast claims it. Then, taking 10 men to Orphan's Ridge, you dragged back wolf carcasses, gathered branches and rocks. They quickly covered the mother thunder beast's body, planning to come back the next day with a bronze shovel to properly dig a pit and bury it. Once the group met at the cave mouth, they cut some branches and made 2 simple wooden sleds. They hauled the gray wolves back with great effort. The tale of the thunder beast orphan spread through the tribe. The women told the children. The little ones gathered, eyes full of pity for the baby. Most herbivores are tough survivors. Their young stand and nurse shortly after birth, and can graze on grass within a month or so. Rhinoceroses are pretty much the same. But this baby thunder beast was born nearly a month premature, half a day old, and its eyes still hadn't opened. That night, the weather turned bitterly cold. The baby and pups moved into the cave. You even went and found 2 lactating cows, thinking they could nurse the little ones. But who would have thought? Neither side cooperated. The wolf pups were too small, couldn't reach. The baby only slept. The cows weren't keen on feeding them either. You gritted your teeth, called over a dozen of the men, and started forcibly milking them. The cows bellowed in pain inside the stockade, wailing half the night. Thankfully, all that effort wasn't wasted. The little ones got the fresh milk and stubbornly clung to life, especially the baby thunder beast. You had to pry its mouth open and have Chu Bing carefully pour the milk in bit by bit. After the milk, the baby thunder beast went from sleeping quietly to sleeping with a full-on snore. Chu Bing thought this was just the cutest thing. That very night, he took it to bed with him. The next day, as planned, you took 20 men back to Orphan Ridge, dug a big pit, and buried the mother thunder beast. Piled a mound of stones on top of the grave. From then on, that spot became the landmark of Orphan Ridge. For the rest of that last winter month, life in the tribe was quiet, but everyone kept busy with their tasks. A week passed, and the wolf pups' eyes started opening one by one. 2 weeks later, the pups ate meat broth. They spent days wandering outside the cave, like a litter of puppies just past a month old. The baby thunder beast's faint reddish tint slowly faded, turning into a pure, creamy white. A little bump swelled where its horn would grow on its nose. By now, it could even stand up by itself and wobble over to find a cow to nurse. The cows weren't thrilled at first, but remembering the ordeal of the milking, they fell in line. The little thunder beast became her foster child. By the 3rd week, the tribe was buzzing with excitement. Chu Bing was leading the little thunder beast. Run faster. Run. Chase those dogs. You remarked. The name Run Run isn't very good. Hearing this, Chu Bing, what should we call it? He asked the thunder beast. You thought for a moment and said, call it Dash from now on. It means runs very fast. Sounds better than Run Run. Chu Bing happily shouted to the confused little thunder beast. Dash, go get those dogs. By the 4th week, the woodworkers had a major breakthrough. 70 standardized longbows were finished. Each bow was personally tested by you. Top quality. In fact, with the new tools, these bows were even better than the one you used yourself. The women weren't idle either, busy making fletched arrows. For now, they'd only made the shafts without arrowheads. They glued the fletching. You'd forge bronze arrowheads. After the next mining trip, for now, the arrows the tribesmen were training with were still the 200 plus you had in stock. One morning that week, every adult in the tribe gathered. Each held a longbow, lined up in 3 rows for archery practice. You stood at the front, bellowing. First row, target the hay bales 100 meters out. Instantly, whoosh, 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 arrows sliced through the air. But this first training session was a bit chaotic. Some arrows hit the bales, others flew off into the sky and vanished. Some didn't even shoot their arrows, just dropped them at their feet. You corrected them, torn between laughter and exasperation. Winter was almost over. Shuda came to the tribe to trade again. This time, he brought 3 women and 6 boys, all from the lead tribe. The boys traded earlier were shocked and overjoyed to see their kin. But you knew perfectly well, there wouldn't be many more trades like this. Clay pots aren't consumables. There'll be enough. For the tribe to grow, you need another plan. In the following days, the shipbuilding project was nearing completion. The massive wooden vessel finished, tribespeople overjoyed, even though they hadn't seen it in the water yet. Everyone had a hand in building it, hearts swelling with pride. Dully strained to lift the ship's gunwale. But the wooden ship didn't budge. He scratched his head, confused, and asked Chief, this boat is so big. How do we get it to the river? You looked at him. He chuckled, pointing at the nearby canal. We'll just move the boat right over there. Dolly's eyes went wide, his face full of confusion. No water there. How's that work? You kept them in suspense. Calmly, you waved everyone over. Grab your shovels, push over a few hand carts and vine baskets, and follow me. Winter's almost over, and the weather's getting warmer by the day. It's the perfect time for a water project. You led a group of about 30 people, a small army, tools in hand, to the end of the canal. The commotion was huge. Tribesmen, rarely leaving the walls, were drawn to the scene. Watching like it was a big show, the kids were especially hyped, herding 8 wolf pups that had just weaned, laughing and running ahead of everyone. Chu Bing wasn't idle either. He ran off and brought over Benbin, who was feeling lazy after feed. Ro Bao and Hui Shan were long gone, out of sight. You could only hear the distant trumpeting of elephants. They were taking advantage of the thaw to let loose. At the canal's end, only a 2-meter strip of land remained. Between the canal and the river, still undug. Break this last bit, water's connected. Time to work. The crew divided tasks. Some jumped in, shoveling furiously. Others stayed on the surface, loading dirt into the vine baskets. The rest hauled the filled baskets away. Everyone worked with intense energy. By mid-morning, only a thin 30-centimeter layer of earth was left. That's when water started seeping up from the ditch bottom. You quickly signaled for everyone in the ditch to climb out. Once they were all on solid ground, you swiftly tied a sturdy rope around your waist. You had them hold it tight, grabbed your shovel, and went back down. This last bit, to avoid danger, you had to do yourself. You gripped the shovel, striking blow after heavy blow. After a dozen fierce strikes, the seepage grew stronger. The next moment, a powerful surge of water, like it had gone mad, shot through the breach and blasted you clean off your feet. The tribesmen saw it and roared in unison. They hauled the rope, dragging you back to shore in a flash. The gushing water grew more and more violent, quickly eroding the breach into a 1-meter wide gap. Everyone stared, stunned. They stood on the bank, eyes fixed on the raging current. The river water churned in fierce whirlpools, carrying along plenty of fish stunned by the force. The wolf pups had never seen anything like it. They yelped in terror, scattering in ambush. Chu Bing and Bin Bin were badly spooked too. They bolted and hid behind you. Before long, the flow gradually settled down. Stream and river now one. Sharp-eyed women already have their baskets ready by the water's edge. They start happily scooping up fish. Tribefolk worried about moving log boat are now all wide-eyed and grinning from ear to ear. You tell everyone with a smile. See, the water's right at your doorstep now. No more long treks just to get a drink. Everyone's mind is blown. Only then do they get it. First stockpile food. Now dig river make bricks. At first, nobody understood. Then the man made river accidentally snag some game. Some figured it was a trap. But now, seeing the trench fill with water, they finally see the real plan behind the digging. But this is just step one. Dig channels, plow fields, plant crops. Endgame. Tribe never hungry or cold again. No time to waste. Spring's here. Can't delay the planting. Now that the drinking water river is flowing and spring has arrived, you know planting season can't wait. The tribe is buzzing at noon. A feast to celebrate the river's success. After everyone's stuffed, you grab a bundle of thin rope and lead the tribe to the cleared land. Time to lay out the rice paddies. Growing rice is tricky. The fields need to stay flooded. Proper irrigation is key, and we got to use every inch of land we've got. Which brings up the big question. How much rice are we actually going to plant? How big does this field need to be? These wild rice grains are huge. Nearly twice the size of the rice I knew back in my day. Back then, a pound of rice was about 26,000 grains. This stuff, only about 12,000 grains to a pound. With limited seed, you start having doubts. In my past life, I only grew vegetables for a few days. I know nothing about growing rice. Can't just toss all the seeds in. What if nothing grows? That'd be a disaster. After thinking it over, you grit your teeth and decide to use only half the seed. About 264,000 grains. But how much rice can you plant in 1 acre? Judging by the size of the wild rice in the swamp. It is a quick calculation and settles on 64 acres. It's not endless, but it's a decent chunk of land. If the field is 400 meters long, then a width of about 107 meters should do it. That's nearly 6 soccer fields. Once it's planned out, fields lined south of river. The plots start right near the wall, 300 meters from the riverbank. Next up, digging irrigation channels. There's a method to this grid. We'll dig 20 channels running east-west, each one less than a meter wide, half a meter deep. They'll stretch 110 meters straight south. Got the digging crew sorted. 50 adults per shift. Tribe got exactly 50 shovels. Each person handles just 13 meters. 1 channel done in under half an hour. 20 channels total. With everyone pitching in, we'll knock them out in a day. First day of the new year, right on cue. A light, steady drizzle starts to fall. Everyone who's been cooped up all winter breathes a sigh of relief. Winter's finally over. Meanwhile, the other tribes haven't been idle either. They're taking stock of their winter losses. The reality hits hard. The situation is grim, worse than the last. For those small tribes, under 100 people, losing 10 members is considered light. Mostly kids and grown men gone. The winter dragged on too long. Many tribes ran their food stores dry. Couldn't hold out till spring. No choice but to make the brutal call. Sacrifice on the children. Had to watch them starve. Men risked the blizzards to hunt. Lucky ones found a stray beast, gathered some nuts. Unlucky ones came back with nothing, froze out there. Or ran into a pack, got wiped out. Even the ones who made it back. Most are banged up. Plenty lost ears, fingers, toes to frostbite. Crippling injuries? More common than you'd think. Compared to them, the Han tribe hit the jackpot. Not only did we not starve, we thrived. Food stores are overflowing. The elders confer. Such fortune calls for a spring festival. So pray for a smooth year ahead. You don't object. About this ritual, you have your own ideas. First, our tribe doesn't worship gods. We honor our ancestors. Second, it needs ceremony. You sketch the plans. Personally instruct Windbucket and Wooden Stump to build a large, then have the tribe's women stitch a banner from hides. Embroider a big Han character on it. Once everything's ready, gather the whole tribe. The Han tribe begins its first ever ritual ceremony. As strong arm beats the great drum, all the tribe's people start to dance, almost without thinking. There's joy for the good life they have now, and hope for the future. In this moment, they believe, under your lead, the tribe will only grow stronger. After the ritual wrapped up, everyone got to work on the tasks you'd laid out. The tribe's materials were tight. Only had 2 double blade plows. You picked 2 bulls that had been especially docile lately. Hitch them to the plows yourself, ready to break ground. Beasts still wild, clueless about walking straight. No choice. One man up front had to yank the nose ring. One guided direction. Another steadied the plow. Make sure the furrows were deep enough. And just like that, with both bronze plowshares biting in, each pass turned over a half-meter strip of earth, digging down a solid 30 centimeters. Not a bad pace. At this rate, the paddy fields would be done in 3 days tops. Then we'd level the ground smooth, flood it, and wait to sow the rice. Row by row, the land transformed under the plow's teeth. From a pale, greenish crust, into loose, dark brown tilth. Teens from last winter, baskets on backs, lined up along the freshly turned soil, picking out roots and debris with serious focus. As for fertilizer, you thought it over and decided to hold off. For one, we didn't have any stockpiled. For another, this land was virgin ground, first time ever planted. It had more than enough juice for one crop. It took a full 3 days, but the plowing and leveling were finally done. Still, you eyed the biting chill of dawn and dusk, and had your doubts. Sow seeds now. They'd likely freeze solid overnight. Wasn't like we were out of work, though. The grass seed we brought back was perfect for planting now. That wheatgrass and alfalfa. Future fodder for the tribe's livestock. West of the Han tribe settlement, we'd already marked out A pasture. Everyone shouldered sacks of seed, fanned out along the edge, scattering it evenly as they walked. No need to worry about it taking root. The spring rains had left the ground damp, a little muddy. The seed hit dirt and grab hold fast. In a few days, tender green shoots would push through. Couldn't plant rice yet. No shortage of food or clothes. So what to do with the downtime? You snapped your fingers. Time to upgrade the footwear. Grass sandals. You gathered the women of the tribe and showed them how to weave them. Truth was, it wasn't hard. Just crisscross the grass into a soul shape. Then tie a few thin cords around the foot. Done. Once the sandals caught on, everyone started making their own. Spark a proper spring cleaning too. Whole groups headed down to the stream side. Scrubbing, polishing, washing hides. A handful of guys, unfazed by chill, went in further. They just wove some grass skirts and threw them on. In the original owner of this body's memories, wearing grass skirts in spring and summer was pretty common. Some even went bare-chested. You found it novel, so you wove one yourself to try it out. But you hadn't even worn it a minute. Meat Bun and Gray Hill stared at you. They took off after you, snouts nudging and tearing the grass skirt to shreds, munching away happily. You were torn between annoyance and amusement. You could only slink back and change into your leathers. Just then, the elder came rushing over, frantic. Chief, our salt is almost gone. Your heart instantly clenched. The nerves you just relaxed for a few days tightened right back up. Salt is crucial for the tribe's survival. We gotta figure something out fast. After racking your brain, you can only tell everyone to eat the cured meat for now. It's packed with salt. That should tide us over. But the elder frowned. Aren't we gonna gather salt, then? I heard there's salt rock in the caves west of the mountain. You shook your head. That salt rock is deep in small caves. Only kids could fit. I won't risk them. I have a plan to crack rock. We're just missing the materials right now. We need to head to 8 Treasure Mountain and dig up some ore. And so, the tribe held on with the cured meat. Everyone pitched in, rushing to plow the 20 plots of rice paddies by the drinking river. After the hard work, all 64 acres of paddy were turned over. Finally, the mining expedition was on the agenda. A group of men grunted and heaved, working to get it all. The wooden boat to the western end of the drinking river. The 3-meter-wide boat looked massive. In the 4-meter-wide river channel, the tribesfolk watched from the bank as the boat floated on the water, muttering nonstop. Can that thing really hold people? Won't we just tip right into the water? Without a word, you took a big step and swung yourself onto the boat. It rocked a few times on the water before settling steadily afloat. You turned and shouted to the crowd. Who's next? Anyone staying behind is going to be hauling this boat from shore. Seeing this, folks got braver. Splash, splash. Several more clambered aboard. With everything ready, the team of 26 set off in a grand procession. Every one of them was strong, well-built, and well-equipped. Each man carried a spear, a longbow, and a bronze shovel. Each man carried a quiver with 50 arrows. The shoe and 3 men even packed extra. They brought short-handled bronze axes. The send-off was a real spectacle. The whole tribe, men, women, and children, headed by the river. The women were busy loading dried meat and clay pots on the rafts. Kids held the leashes of 8 wolf pups, hopping and watching the excitement from the bank. Shoe Bing looked heartbroken, tugging at your sleeve. He handed you a water skin made of snake hide. You smiled, ruffled his hair, and said softly, I'll dig some rocks, be right back. Everyone boarded the rafts, pushing upstream against the current. Going against the flow was slower, but still way faster than walking. In just a few hours, they reached the spot where the chief first met the shoe. Ashore at the edge of Darkwood Forest, the chief barked orders. We've been at it all morning. Make a meal, rest up. After we eat, we'll load the gear and supplies onto the oxen. We'll all drag the rafts into the woods. Mutan, you know this land. You and the 4 lads from Black Rat Tribe stay and guard them. The other 20, each take an ox. Follow me to the mine. He turned to Mutung, drilling it in. Mutan, you got this? I'll leave some food for you 5. You'll be on watch for about 7 sunsets. If you spot enemies you can't handle, abandon the rafts. Run for 8 Treasure Mountain. Do not lead them back to the tribe. Our women and children are back there. After the midday meal, the rafts were hidden and the mining crew pressed on. But who could have guessed? In the dead of night, half asleep, the mining crew pressed on. But who could have guessed? In the dead of night, half asleep, disaster struck. A rustling, a whoosh, something huge moving through the trees. The sound cut through the silence. Then a roar that made their ears ring. Men shot up from the ground, eyes wide. There in the firelight, a massive primate. Muscles bulging, covered in gold-red fur. A giant ape, bearing its fangs, charging straight. For the Han tribe camp. Gray Mountain and Meatball, the 2 terror birds, roared first, charging the beast. The ape didn't flinch. It launched from a tree, swung its arms, and sent Gray Mountain flying like a ragdoll. Your heart leapt into your throat. Weapons. Now, yell, voice tight. Your own hands trembled as you fumbled for your spear on the ground. I relaxed only with the golden spear. The others gripped their bronze spears, but they were so terrified. Their legs shook like jelly, barely able to stand. The giant ape wasn't done. Landing, it bare a maw, dripping thick saliva at the crowd, and roared again, making everyone's heads ring. Fighting the pain, you heard everyone raise their wooden spears and attack. You led the charge, thrusting the golden spear straight for its chest. But the ape's strength was monstrous. It grabbed the spear's shaft, swung its arm, and sent you and Dolly flying, crashing hard into a tree trunk. In a flash, the ape seized the young man from the brown tribe. With a sickening crack, it snapped his neck and hurled the body like a weapon into the crowd. Chaos erupted. Scatter. Get back. You screamed. You was throwing spears and arrows. You scrambled up, voice raw. Snapping too, they fanned out. Seized the moment, driving his bronze spear into the ape's chest. It only sank in halfway, before the ape grabbed the shaft and snapped it. Huishan, recovered now, roared and charged again, ramming the ape from behind, sending it sprawling. Enraged by the pain, the beast went berserk. It wrenched back, snapping one of Huishan's tusks. Blood sprayed, just as all hope seemed lost. You spotted your chance. The ape was slowed by its wound. You hurled your spear. Now, throw your spears. You bellowed. Inspired, the others attacked. 7 long spears pierced the ape's chest from all sides. It thrashed, coughed up blood, and collapsed with a final thud. Silence. The battle was over, but the cost was high. The Han tribe had lost 2 young men. Dur had a gaping wound on his chest. Dolly was concussed, missing 3 molars. Many others bore lighter wounds. They hadn't even caught their breath when a clamor of shouts grew in the distance. Your heart sank. Oh no, you muttered. More enemies. Everyone get ready. That giant ape was probably a war beast. Cannibals. Then you shouted to Dashu, Dashu, take 5 men. Hitch all the oxen. Take the wounded and the dead. Head for 8 Treasure Mountain now. Find a place to camp there. If you can't find food, slaughter an ox. Dashu's face twisted in reluctance, eyes red-rimmed. But chief, he protested, what about you? We're staying here to draw their attention, to buy you time to escape. Dashu opened his mouth to argue further, but seeing the fury in your eyes, they could only take the others and hurry away. Then you turned to the remaining tribesmen, your voice low and urgent. Grab your bows and follow me. Everyone, take a torch from the fire and throw it out front. When the enemy comes, it'll give us light to aim by. They did as you said. Torches landed, casting a small, flickering circle of light. Everyone held their breath in the dark, nerves pulled tight. Stay quiet. Wait until they're close. On my mark, loose your arrows. Don't wait to see if you hit. Run immediately. Our job is to lead them away. The enemy drew closer. In the weak torchlight, you could see them, naked bodies painted with strange symbols, necklaces of human bone. A terrifying sight. The cannibal hunting party leader saw the giant ape's corpse. His face went pale with fear. Everyone come quick. Our master is slain. You didn't understand the words, but you knew the moment was right. Loose arrows. You shouted. 11 arrows flew, finding their marks. Chaos erupted among the enemy. They screamed in confusion. Run. You yelled, deliberately leading the chase south. The pursuit led them right to the Black Rat tribe's territory. The Black Rat tribe was just. A woman fetches water from a stream. Suddenly spotted a band of armed, foreign men, sneaking through the brush. She nearly dropped her clay pot, abandoning the water, and sprinted back to camp, screaming, enemies. At the cry, Shuda immediately ordered the men to grab their stone spears. The women gathered rocks to defend from the rear, but the cannibals didn't hesitate. They closed the distance and let fly a volley of stone axes. Without shields, the Black Rat tribe scattered in panic. Their formation broke. Then came the bone-tipped spears. Several tribesmen fell immediately. Shuda's eyes burned with desperation. Fight back, he roared. Throw your spears. Don't let them breach the wall. But their stone spears were crude, their range too short. The volley did little damage. The cannibals surged forward, pushing against the wooden palisade. It gave way. Brutal hand-to-hand combat erupted, just as the Black Rat tribe was on the brink of collapse. You and the Han tribe warriors descended like avenged spirits, striking from behind the enemy lines. A rain of arrows fell from a distance first. An arrow struck a cannibal in the back. He dropped. The Black Rat tribe stared, stunned. The sharp-eyed snake shaman spots the Han tribe's leader. He shouts excitedly, it's the leader of the Han tribe. He's come to save us. Then, the Han tribe fighters rain down arrows from high ground. Enemy casualties heavy. After a few volleys on horseback, you yell, cease fire, grab your bronze spears, and follow me. Your men charge down like tigers. The battle turns instantly. It doesn't take long before the cannibals are scattered and wiped out. As the fight ends, Shuda grabs your hand gratefully and asks, Han tribe leader, thank you. How did you know we were in danger here? Your heart skips a beat inside, but your face remains calm as you spin a lie. We were gathering resources far from here. On the way, we passed through the dark forest near north. There, we ran into the cannibal tribe. They sent a giant, red-furred man-ape to attack us, but we killed it. Then those cannibals kept moving in the direction of your tribe. We were actually coming to warn you, but the enemy outran us. That's why we showed up here, hearing about a man-ape. Shu Wu's face goes pale with fear. He stammers, that's the devil that lives in the Black Mountains. Our ancestors have seen them before. It will bring disaster to our tribe. He pulls you into a tent, pointing to a stone painting and starts telling an ancient legend. Turns out, that giant ape captures people from tribes, then tames them into cannibals, specifically to catch others for food. The brown tribe listens, terrified. Shuda urgently pleads, leader of the Han tribe. You must help us. Teach us how to defeat the giant ape. Hearing this, you shake your head with a bitter smile. I don't know how to defeat that monster either. We can only rely on strong brick walls for defense. This time we beat the ape, only because we had Gray Mountain's help. Shu Wu and Shuda exchange a look. Their faces fill with worry. Then Shu Wu tentatively asks, leader of the Han tribe, could our brown tribe also build walls like that? Hearing this, you seize the moment to extend an invitation. No, even our Han tribe, it's a huge undertaking to build a wall that tall and strong. It takes a ton of time, a lot of people, and a huge amount of food. But if you build it with us, that wall will be big enough for all of us to live inside. We'll work together, and in time, we'll have more food, and the best weapons than we know what to do with. The snake shaman and Shuda huddled up right then and there. Joining the Han tribe was clearly their best move. Safety and top-tier weapons. So they came to you. Chief of the Han tribe, they declared, we agree to join your tribe. We hope you'll treat our people as well as your own. Hearing that, a grin spread across your face. Of course, welcome to the Han tribe. From now on, you're all my people. I treat every member of this tribe the same. After getting the Black Rat tribe's relocation sorted, you led the crew back to the mines. Meeting up with the Shu. All the wounded were on the mend, and nobody wasted time. They hit the ground running. 8 Treasures Mountain was rich, and they dug like crazy, copper, tin, realgar, you name it. They even hauled back some limestone and iron pyrite. Plan was to use the pyrite to make sulfuric acid. That'd be the key to cracking open that salt mine entrance. Heading back with the ore, no surprises this time. They met Mutun by the river. The boats, loaded with ore, sat low in water. They squeezed a few more guys into paddle, riding the current fast. In no time, they spotted the tribe waiting on the shore, along with the newly joined Black Rat tribe folks. Seeing you return with a full haul, the whole tribe erupted in cheers from the bank. The men swarmed in to help unload the ore. But you just frowned. The tribe was bigger now. Where to put everyone was a real headache. The old cave was way too small and cramped. No way could hold this many. No choice. They'd have to pitch tents in the open space inside the wall. Luckily, the Black Rat people weren't picky. They were used to tents. Plus, arriving at the Han tribe, seeing mountains of meat and hides, and plenty of big, lively livestock, they were over the moon. Without a word, they got right to work setting up their tents. Then you laid down the law. From now on, all bathroom business happens in one spot. That stuff's natural fertilizer. Can't let go to waste. With the tents sorted, you turned to Cripple and ordered. You, fire up a lot more pottery these next few days for the new tribesmen, and make more water jars. I need those. Lame Leg wasn't too thrilled. Chief, we brought back all that copper ore. Aren't we smelting it now?
You praise him like he was a kid.
Let Big Mouth and the others handle the initial smelting. You step in for the final purification. Right now, focus on making pottery.
You're the best potter in the tribe.
I can't stand anyone else's work. Hearing that, Lame Leg's annoyance vanished in a flash. He happily promised to make the best pottery. Everyone worked together, bustling until dusk. A cluster of simple, round-roofed huts sprang up like magic. That night, old and new tribesmen sat together, sharing a lively first meal. Laughter and chatter filled the air, bonds tightening without anyone noticing. After eating, the men gathered, eagerly examining the Han tribes, sharp weapons and clever tools. The women weren't idle either, sitting together sharing methods for weaving grass handles and vine baskets. The newcomers watched and learned, slowly picking up Han words along the way. While everyone was busy with their tasks, you grabbed a copper shovel and a card,
Sneaking around the pen and latrine. The elder spotted you.
Full of questions, he walked over. Chief, why are you digging up the latrine? What use could that stuff possibly have? You were furious. I'm not digging up crap. It's the dirt beside the pit.
The elder was even more confused.
What use is that dirt, Chief? You can't use it for pottery.
You should be figuring out how to get salt.
We have so many new mouths now. Our stores won't last. See, then you snap back.
Can't you see I'm working on it?
This dirt is for the salt mine. Now back off.
I know what I'm doing. The elder stood there, watching you work, full of doubt.
Digging dirt for a salt mine? Is the chief just making excuses?
But you knew the truth.
The dirt near that pen latrine held saltpeter. Extract it, and you can make explosives. Explosives to blast open the salt deposit. You directed some women to purify the saltpeter. You command several women to purify saltpeter.
Just like refining salt by the next day, crystalline saltpeter was ready.
But having saltpeter wasn't the end of it. We still needed to get nitric acid and glycerin, then combine them into powerful nitroglycerin. Glycerin has to be separated from fat. Luckily, after the winter wolf attacks, the tribe had plenty of animal fat to work with. Nitric acid comes from reacting saltpeter with sulfuric acid. Problem was, we had no sulfuric acid on hand. My eyes landed on the pyrite. Time to get to work. I picked a flat spot near the usual charcoal burning area. Methodically, I started by stacking a pile of firewood, then arranged slate-like pyrite around it, in a well-like shape, building it up like a small hill. I buried the firewood completely, only leave a few holes for ignition at the bottom. Next, I covered the outside of your pile with a thick layer of dry grass. Finally, a layer of wet mud with plaster over it all, though I left a few air vents at the bottom and top. Everything ready, I used a thin branch with a fire starter to carefully light the firewood through a bottom vent. Pyrite contains carbon and sulfur. In a flash, the ore was burning fiercely inside its mud shell. This heating and reduction process takes time, about half a month. With that downtime, I started molding distillation equipment to purify sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and soda ash. The delicate work of drying and firing the equipment I trusted to cripple. I used the free time to check on the livestock. As the weather warmed up, the tribe's animals seemed to all shed their coats at once. Seeing that, I slapped my thigh. The timing was perfect. I hurried to prepare for planting. The storehouse held wild rice, peanut, chili seeds, sisal, man-eating tree seeds. Peanuts needed preparation. I took a few quick-handed girls and found an open spot, sat on the ground, and got to work. Shuwu passed by and saw this.
He walked up, puzzled. Chief, what are you doing?
Why aren't we eating these nuts? My hands kept moving. I explained with a smile. We're planting these nuts now. Remember, they're called peanuts. Shuwu muttered the word a few times, still confused.
And what's planting?
Patiently, I counted on my fingers to explain. Planting means, in spring, you bury this nut in the soil.
Water it, and a plant will grow.
One peanut yields dozens, even hundreds in autumn. For baskets planted now yield at least 400, maybe even thousands. Shuwu's jaw nearly hit the ground. His eyes went wide with disbelief. He gave a firm, confident nod.
Do it right, and that's the minimum.
And it's not just peanuts. We're planting rice, too. Rice is even better. Plant one grain in spring. By fall, you get a return of 10,000 times. This is what I meant by relying on this land to feed 6,000 people. Shooter was listening intently nearby. He quickly stepped closer and said, Chief, I gotta take this planting seriously. Sounds way more important than hunting. You nodded in approval.
Shuda's got a leader's mind. He gets it fast.
Then Shuwu seemed to remember something, his face lighting up. Chief, I just remembered. He said excitedly. When we moved, we brought a few sacks of peanuts. Can we plant those too? We're not short on food now.
I think we should get those in the ground.
Your face lit up with surprise. That's perfect. Get someone on that right away. Sort those peanuts out. Make sure you pick only the perfect, undamaged ones. Shuwu nodded eagerly, leaning on his brush and hurried off
to find his old tribesmen and get it done.
Shuda watched him go, looking anxious. Chief, what about me? What do I do? You smiled.
Grab a few guys and come with me. We're clearing land.
Shuda took off at a run, thrilled to have a job. That same afternoon, you marked out 100 acres. South of the rice paddies for peanuts, and 36 for peppers. Altogether, that's 200 acres for the 3 crops.
Early the next morning,
Shuda hitched the bronze plow to the oxen. An experienced Han tribal woman led the ox from the front, while Shuda steadied the plow from behind. He watched, amazed, as the soil churned up like waves.
Behind a moving plow,
2 oxen and 4 plowshares worked, strange and wonderful. They covered ground fast.
You weren't idle either.
You'd already soaked 22 pounds of rice seed in a water vat. These need a full day, at least in water.
While they soaked,
you picked the plot at the far west end of the paddy field. The sorted peanut seeds got their soaking too.
Peanuts are direct seed crops for the main field.
After sorting, the peanut seeds are also soaked. Peanuts are a direct seed crop, sown directly in the field. But first, the field's got to be tilled right, to get the rice, peanuts, and peppers all planted at the same time. Shuda and the crew pushed hard, breaking their backs on plowing. 136 acres of work, from dawn till dusk. Everyone was sore, but the spirit was high. I got tired of swapping out. 2 bronze plows churning through the dirt, nonstop. Took less than 2 days total. Every single plot we marked was turned over. Soil's loose and airy now, weeds cleared out clean. Prime farmland. We fished out the soaked seeds, covered him carefully with straw, watered him down, and set him by the kiln to sprout. On the third day, we started broadcasting the sprouted rice seeds evenly across the fields.
Spread soil, opened irrigation,
Flooding the paddies. Now, planting peanuts is a whole different art. Rows half a meter apart, plants spaced 15 centimeters. The planter holds a bowl of peanuts in the left hand, a sharpened wooden dibble 15 centimeters long in the right.
Measure with the dibble, dig a small hole.
Drop in 2 peanuts, cover with soil, move to the next spot. Rinse and repeat. Water them all at the end.
Peppers are similar. Half-meter rows.
30 centimeters between plants. Dig, sow, cover, water. Done in one smooth motion. During the whole planting period, nearly 200 people from the Han tribe were out in the fields. Even you weren't exempt. Many hands make light work. 140 acres of farm labor, finished in half a day. And nobody was even that worn out. The day after planting, tribe resumed normal life. Lane 1 made pottery.
Picked older recruits to assist him.
The pottery output needs to cover daily use for the new folks, and leave a surplus for future trade with other tribes. Monkey, Mouth, and Ruzgifer are totally focused on clay prep, seeing them get the hang of it.
Scouting for extra hands.
Since the hunting team got their gear upgrade,
Hunting's been a cakewalk. More game than we can eat.
but with the heat, food doesn't keep. The hunting team had to stand down, stay in camp. No way you're letting them sit idle. Part of the crew was sent, gathered man-eating thorns for arrowheads, plus their strategic supplies. Got to stockpile a lot. Plant more trees. Another group fells trees. Trunks for building houses and making tools. Branches dried for firewood. And the rest, they're out in the jungle, catching chickens. You're dead set on expanding the flock. Bird feathers are perfect for fletching arrows. Can't be chasing wild chickens every time we need arrows. We need a sustainable system. Plenty of birds around the tribe we can domesticate, like dodos, grouse, guinea fowl, and your favorite, the red-tailed black chicken. You marked off a spot next to the rabbit pen. Build a coop with bricks, sticks, and thatch. Build a high fence, plucked feathers from caught birds.
And they're grounded.
For feed, we'll forage greens from the nearby meadows. Clover and ryegrass thrive, feeding chickens and rabbits. The morning of the third day after sowing, Shu Wu and the elder were huddled together, whispering excitedly about something. You just stepped outside the wall when they spotted you. The elder yelled, "Chief, come quick. That rice you talked about, it's sprouted." You were still a bit groggy, but that snapped you awake. You took off running for the paddy. When you got there, the seedbed was thick with tiny green shoots poking through. Seeing those seeds break ground, your eyes welled up. Your voice choked a little. Good, it's really growing. I'll get to eat rice again. The elder saw your face and asked, puzzled, "Chief, what's wrong?" You steadied yourself and turned to give orders. It's nothing. Just happy. Right? You too. Go tell everyone in the tribe. Don't walk through the field. Anyone who tramples these shoots goes a day without food. Have the kids keep an eye on the livestock and the wolf pups. Keep them out of the field. Anyone who lets them in, same penalty. You mess with our food, I mess with yours. Shiwu piped up with an idea. "Chief, what if we put up a fence of branches around it?" You wave them off. No need. Waste manpower and time. Just make the rule crystal clear to everyone. Sure enough, at breakfast, when the rule was announced, no one objected. Everyone knew those shoots were future meals. By the seventh day, the peanuts and peppers had also sprouted and broken ground. The rice grew its first true leaves. The fields were a sea of green, full of life. The red-tailed black chickens in the coop had grown to over 30. Rabbits were due. You checked the livestock in pens. In your mind, turned to the four-wheeled cart still unbuilt. Metal production is the real bottleneck for the tribe's growth. With low copper reserves before, lots of plans were shelved. With or plentiful, we can make harnesses, carts, barrels, all that can get back on track. Making a harness isn't too hard. Perfect for the giant elk. Once the harness was done, you eagerly brought over a prime, strong male giant elk, strapped on the harness, rode on the grasslands west of the tribe.
New tribesmen spotted this scene.
They watched with envy and said, "The chief is amazing. I want to ride that deer too. But he could run crazy fast on it." A companion whispered, "Of course the chief's amazing. He invented most of the stuff in the tribe. Firing pottery, smelting copper, raising animals, growing peanuts."
Chief's splitting a mountain.
"How?" "You can open a mountain? They say it's to dig for salt."
That's salty stuff we eat.
"Don't know if it's true. Don't go blabbing. Relax. I just want to see how he does it. You see the bows and arrows the elders use? Deadly. Can take a man out from way far. The chief invented those too. I want one. Heard the carpenters are making more." You rode for a while, then dismounted and led the deer back. Then got back to work on the barrels. Tribe needed sturdy water containers. Pottery breaks and doesn't seal well. So barrels it is. Making barrels is tricky. You can't just squeeze planks together and call it sealed. You planned dimensions, chose leftover sandalwood, and had Mutan and his crew follow your method. Soon, barrels of all sizes started appearing in the Han tribe.
Transport types.
Everyday use types, ones with handles, you name it. An elder looked at all the barrels and couldn't help asking, "Chief, why barrels?" You smiled and explained. "To use, of course. If we have extra, we trade him to other tribes.
These hold water way better than pottery.
Someone's gonna want him for sure, but I'm not parting with one for less than 10 strong lads." With the water barrels sorted, you threw yourself completely into the big wagon project. The most critical part is the wheels. The process is complex, and they need to handle heavy loads.
The old cart-making methods just wouldn't cut it.
After some thought, you gave Mutan 2 sets of precise measurements. "Make 4 wheels to these specs," you instructed firmly. "Too big, too small. Use the strongest what you've got." Mutan took the wooden board covered in dense markings.
Check scale with bronze ruler. No problem.
"Don't worry, Chief. The big wheels will take time." You didn't have time to just stand around waiting. You turned to tackle other urgent matters. In the blink of an eye, the clay-wrapped pyrite had been firing for 11 days.
It was about time.
Next, you needed to make nitric acid. To avoid any unnecessary danger, you decided to isolate yourself from the tribe and handle the remaining steps alone. It took 2 full days of work. Finally got our hands on 2 big jars of sulfuric acid, plus about 100 pounds of iron oxide crystals. These crystals are pure iron powder, the real deal. We'll use this to forge iron tools now. Making nitric acid is a walk in the park. You pull out a brand new distillation setup. You toss the saltpeter the women purified, and the sulfuric acid into the still and fired up. In no time, you've got nitric acid. Now that you've got both nitric acid and concentrated glycerin, you can't afford to get sloppy. Nitroglycerin has a nasty temper. The slightest bump, even a rise in temperature, and boom, it goes off. To be safe, mix it on the spot right before you use it. Ready, waiting for the right moment. Tell layman, cast a batch of arrowheads with a 5-to-2 copper to tin ratio. Make one of them with a round tip. Specifically, we'll use a bow to detonate it from a distance. Safer that way. Early the next morning, you stand in the center of the tribe, bellowing out an announcement. Women, you're on guard duty at the camp today. All men, grab your tools and follow me. We're gonna get salt. That shout gets everyone's blood pumping. They're all raring to go. Shuwu hears this and scurries over, his eyes pleading. Chief, can I come too? I want to see this with my own eyes. Shu Bing, the little scamp, is even quicker. He runs over, wraps his arms around your leg, and shakes it, whining. Chief, I want to go too. I promise I'll be good. You look down at Shu Bing, think for a second, and nod. All right, you two can come. The elder stays and minds the camp. The elder doesn't argue, agreeing readily. He's curious, sure, but someone's got to hold down the fort. Hearing he can go, Shu Bing jumps for joy. He dashes off to fetch his bunny. Before long, a crew of over 50 sets out in a grand procession. Right now, a group of over 50 men is heading towards the Sietting tribe's cave. Meat Bun and Gray Mountain lead the way, looking fierce. The men carry bronze shovels, bows, and arrows, leading oxen. The oxen are loaded with big baskets and wooden buckets. Shu Bing rides on Bunny, his little head swiveling left and right, his face full of wonder. You carry 2 jars steadily in your hands, one filled with nitric acid, the other with glycerin. The trek lasts until mid-afternoon. When they finally reach the mysterious cave of the old Sietting tribe, you wave a hand. Take a breather, everyone. Get some food in you. They all drop their gear and have a quick lunch. Fueling up. Half an hour later, you stand up, clap your hands. Let's work. Strong men gather at the cave. Heave ho, heave ho. They cleared the boulders blocking the entrance. Looking confused, this cave opening is tiny. How do we even get in? This rock is way too hard. We wouldn't even use this type of stone to grind basins back home. You squinted, studying the entrance, and said grimly, we'll use these 2 jars I brought. Everyone, clear out for now. Grab your bronze shovels. Get ready to dig a pit in a moment. Then you handed Deshu a torch. Pointing at the salt mine entrance, you said, you take this torch. Place it right here at the mouth of the salt mine. I'm going outside to find a spot. Deshu took the torch. He strode to the entrance and stood firm. You scanned the surroundings, eyes sharp as a hawk's. About 80 meters outside the cave, you found a perfect small earthen mound. The sight lines were clear. You could clearly see the torch in Deshu's hand. It aligned directly with the salt mine entrance. Perfect for shooting an arrow. You broke off a branch. He jammed it into the ground as a marker. A few of you over here, dig a pit right on the spot. Dig it half a man deep. A man standing in it should be waist deep. Pile the dug up earth on the side, facing the cave entrance. Pack it down solid with your shovels. The men received the order. They shouldered shovels and dug fast. You instructed everyone to take all the gear, and wait at the foot of the Orphan's Ridge slope, a kilometer away. A huge boom will shake the ground. Wait for the noise to stop and find me. The tribesman nodded solemnly. Then, leading the oxen, they withdrew into the distance. You hurriedly grabbed the 2 jars and ducked back into the cave. Inside, the light was dim, the campfire flickering. The atmosphere was tense enough to choke on. You took a deep breath, slowly opened the jar containing the concentrated glycerin, and carefully added nitric acid, drop by drop. Then, using a pure wooden arrow shaft, you stirred the mixture with extreme caution. The whole process took a solid 10 minutes. Every move is cautious, fearing an explosion with the slightest mistake. Finally, you had a full jar of nitroglycerin. You wedged the jar firmly at the entrance. You stacked rocks around it for stability. You crouched and moved back inside. You lit another campfire for illumination, so you could still see the target clearly from outside. With all that done, you quickly moved your cover position. Your heart hammered, sweat beating. Terrified inside, your gaze remained steely, locked onto the plate in the cave's firelight. Covers about 80 meters from the cave mouth. The ore deposits another 35 meters inside. That puts the blast center just 115 meters from me. Normally an easy shot, but this arrow decides everything. Gotta steady my nerves. Focus. Breathe. Wait for everyone to clear out. Then draw, aim, release. The bowstring snaps. The arrow flies like a shooting star. No time to waste. Drop the longbow. Hit the dirt. Cover your ears. Mouth open. Brace for impact. Boom. A thunderclap that shakes the heavens. The world tears itself apart. A shockwave erupts. A ring of pure fury. It rips outward in all directions. A wall of force moving faster than sound. Solid granite. Pulverized. The cave entrance is gone. Replaced by a smoking crater. Huge ore veins, once hidden deep, now lay bare under the sky. The cavern roof, blown to pieces. Chunks of rock rain into the air. They crash down hundreds of meters away, dust cloud rising. The blast vomits dirt and stone from the mouth. A demon's roar. It shreds the earth in front of my cover. I'm buried before I can move. The wave keeps going. Every bird within 500 meters, instantly dead. Trees snapped at the roots. Animals in the forest panic, screaming. They stampede in every direction. But many are just snuffed out by the force. A kilometer away, on Lone Ridge, the Han tribe is waiting, anxious. A violent tremor hits. Shuwu stumbles with his staff, falls flat. Then the sound. That monstrous roar rolls in. They look up, stunned. Boulders the size of millstones fly 500 meters. Fist-sized rocks even reach the ridge. The bison go wild, straining against their ropes. Tied tight to the trees, they can't break free. Benbit's legs give out. He collapses. Robao and Huishan panic, bolt down the slope. They flatten their ears over their faces, shivering in a corner. Deshu bellows at the top of his lungs. Deshu shouted at the top of his lungs. Take cover from the rocks. They all dive to the ground. Shuda just stands there frozen. His face is pure shock. He can't believe what he's seeing. A shockwave kicks up a massive dust cloud. A dust storm blots out the sky. A few minutes later, far away in the Han tribe, the elders hear a thunderous boom. Then they see a huge flock of birds take flight in the distance. An elder waves his staff excitedly. He shouts at the top of his lungs, "It's the chief! It's the chief!" He opened the mountain. The women hear, and they all cheer. Yes, we'll have salt again. Meanwhile, east of the river in the Lee tribe, Chief Maoli is focused on leading a hunting party. The same roar echoes. They spin around, stunned. To the west, the sky is filled with churning dust. Maoli mutters, a look of utter confusion on his face. What in the world happened over there? Did the sky god strike? It came from beyond the river, a man says nervously. Maoli collects himself. Let's ask the shaman. He speaks to the spirits. You might know what that was. He hoists his gill onto his shoulder and leads the party back to the village in a hurry. About 10 kilometers south of the cave, deep in the forest, a group of over 50 people is on the move. This is the nomad tribe. They have no fixed home. They travel between tribes, carrying messages and organizing gatherings. Their leader is a sturdy young man, around 20, named Fu. He's clutching a simple map in his hand. It shows river flows and mountain ridges. A massive boom echoes like thunder. Everyone stops dead. Fu's face changes. He raises a hand, signaling the group to halt. He cocks his head, listening intently, alert. His eyes scan the surroundings sharply. A tribesman beside him cries out in panic, Fu, that sound, it's not right. Could be some monster at work. Fu frowns deeply and replies in a low voice, stay calm. The sound came from the northwest. Something that loud. It's no ordinary event. He quickly spreads the map on the ground. His finger traces along the mountain range. The northwest, the western hills, he speculates. Usually just beasts. But today's commotion. Could it be some tribe making a big move? The group starts murmuring among themselves. Their faces are tense and suspicious. Fu stands up. He brushes the dirt off his clothes. Enough chatter. We'll go check it out. But keep your weapons ready. The team armed themselves with stone axes and spears. They advanced cautiously toward the direction of the explosion. At the half-collapsed West Mountain Cave now, a thick cloud of dust blotted out the sky. It hung like a dense, yellow fog that refused to clear, buried in the collapsed shelter pit. You felt pinned under a crushing weight of earth. Your chest was tight, constricted. Every breath felt like tearing at your lungs. You twisted your body with all your might, hands clawing frantically at the dirt. One thought drove you. Get out, now, after what felt like ages. Muffled, frantic shouts came from outside. Chief, Chief, where are you? That's Shuda and the others. A surge of adrenaline hit you. You pushed upward with every ounce of strength. Your hand worked like crazed, digging rodents, shoving earth aside. With a final grunt, your head broke through to the surface. You gulped down huge, greedy breaths of fresh air. Over here, you yelled, your voice, hoarse and ragged from swallowing dust. Shuda and the others rushed toward the sound. Seeing your battered state, their eyes instantly welled up. Without a word, they dropped their bronze shovels and started digging you out with bare hands. Chief, we found you, one muttered, voice thick. You scared the life out of us. That blast nearly shook our souls loose. You gathered yourself, stood with their help, and brushed off the dirt. Fine, you said with a smile. Then, urgently, you led them to check the mineral vein. They crowded around you as you moved toward the cave. The once narrow opening was now a crater, the size of several huts. Its walls were layered with exposed, gleaming white mineral rock. It shimmered enticingly in the daylight, like a mountain of silver. The sight left them speechless, rooted to the spot. You didn't waste time. Let's move. Start mining the salt. Your orders snapped them out of it. They sprang into action, a new energy driving them. Some led oxen, hauling barrels and large baskets to the pit's edge. Others wielded bronze shovels, carefully prying large chunks of ore from the walls into containers. A few quick-thinking tribesmen nearby were weaving simple ropes from vines for hauling the salt blocks. Just as the work was hitting its stride, your vision caught something in the shadows. Several huddled forms. Your heart clenched tight. As I got closer and saw clearly, my expression instantly turned grim. Mummified children, small and frail, clad in tattered rags, their limbs twisted and curled in the corner, as if they passed in extreme pain and despair. My eyes stung. A pang of sorrow hit me. I turned and ordered softly, gather some dry wood. We'll give these children a proper cremation. See them off. A few tribesmen nodded silently. They turned to gather firewood. Soon, a pyre blazed inside the cave, flames leaping fiercely, casting light on everyone's solemn faces. I led the way, gently placing the mummies on the pyre, muttering under my breath, offering prayers for these poor children I never knew. As the fire grew, the mummies slowly turned to ash. Thin smoke curled upwards, as if carrying the children's restless spirits away. After handling this, I took a deep breath. Forcing myself to rally, I shouted, all right, everyone, push on. Salt secured. Back to the tribe. All agreed. Their hands moved with renewed speed. After a good while of hard work, the barrels and baskets were packed full. Seeing dusk approaching, I waved a hand. That's it. Pack it up. We did well today. We'll celebrate properly back at the tribe. Hearing this, the group erupted in cheers, leading the oxen, hauling the salt. We set off, spirits high, but not for long. When a rustling sound came from the woods to the south, the noise grew louder. Instantly alert, I raised a hand to halt the column and swiftly drew my bow. I hissed quiet. Stay sharp. Weapons gripped tight, defensive stances. All eyes fixed on the tree line. Strangers in hides, wielding crude weapons, filed out of the woods. At the front was their leader, Fu. He held his hands high, signaling no hostile intent. We're from the wandering tribe, just passing through. Heard a big commotion over here. Thought we'd check it out. I didn't lower my guard. My arrow remained knocked. I asked coldly, wandering tribe? Never heard of it. What's your real business here? Fu hurried to explain, our tribe, we're nomads. No fixed home. We run messages between tribes, pass on news, call gatherings, that sort of thing. Just happened to run into you folks making all this noise. Got a little curious, is all. And I see your crew is well equipped. Must be a major tribe. Thought we might make your acquaintance. I narrowed my eyes slightly, sizing up Fu. My mind raced. This group's arrival is suspicious. Claims no malice, but better safe than sorry. I asked, keeping my tone neutral. Friends? Show your good faith. What's your offer? Fu scratched his head with a sheepish grin.
We know plenty of tribe gossip.
And the lay of the land, where the good resources are. We can share all that. Plus, if you ever need an errand run in the future,
We're your guys. You scoffed.
words are cheap.
I need more than promises.
Your eyes lit up, remembering something. We caught wind of a huge spring gathering. It's the biggest event of the year for all the nearby tribes. They all come together, trade goods, show off their skills. That intel could be huge for your tribe. Your interest was piqued. You knew for the tribe to grow. Making connections and securing resources was key. This gathering could be the perfect opportunity. But your face remained a mask.
Just talk of gathering. How do I know it's real? Even if it is, why tell us for free?
Fu chuckled awkwardly, rubbing his hands. Truth is, we've been on the road. Our supplies are running on fumes.
We're starving. If you could spare a bit of food.
I'll tell you everything I know about the gathering. No holding back. You frowned, glancing back at the oxen loaded with salt. A little reluctance crossed your face. We're not exactly swimming in rations ourselves. Look, just finish the salt haul. Everyone's beat. We're counting on what we got to make it back to camp. Fu's eyes pleaded, not giving up. Just a little? Even a few strips of jerky? A handful of greens?
We'll repay you double when we're back.
You thought for a moment, then shook your head. It's not a good time. Tell you what, you come back to our tribe with us.
We'll get you a proper meal there.
And you can tell us all about this gathering. Fu's eyes instantly lit up. That works. Thank you, Chief. We'll stick with you. So the two groups merged and traveled together. They headed to Han tribe camp as night fell. Night fell like a vast blanket of black silk. The Han tribe lit their torches. The winding line of people became a shimmering river of fire, snaking brilliantly through the darkness. Fu's people stared at the bright torches, faces full of wonder and envy. Fu couldn't help but sidle up to you. Curious, he asked, Chief, those torches of yours burn so bright. How do you make them? We stumble around in the dark all the time.
It's a real pain. You smiled, picking up a torch casually.
It's not hard. Find a sturdy stick, wrap one end thick with cloth and dry grass. Just soak it in animal fat and light it up. Fu nodded along, taking it all in. That's a damn good idea.
My people will too.
Before they knew it, they'd reached the Han tribe. The moment the U tribe folks stepped inside, their jaws hit the ground at the sight before them. Massive, thick walls surrounded the entire place. Banners snapped and flapped atop them. Huts were tidy, people and livestock thriving, buzzing with life. He couldn't help but whistle low. Damn, your tribe is this big, and you've got all these facilities?
Most impressive tribe. You smile.
You order your people to get the U tribe settled in to rest. Then you have them bring out steaming hot food. Everyone sits around, tearing into meat and downing bowls of drink. After a few rounds, Fu puts down his bowl. He clears his throat. Chief, thank you for your hospitality.
Spring gathering is in half a moon.
The location is where the big river forks to the east. 20, 30 tribes from all around will be there. It's going to be a real scene. He gave a slight nod, committing the details to memory. So what are the rules for this gathering? The trading customs, the competition events, lay it all out for me.
Fu explains, yeah, there's a fair bit.
To get in, you got to bring your tribe's most prized possession. Like a token. No token, no entry. Trading's mostly barter. You haggle over the value. Swap fairly. Competitions, hunting, archery, craftsmanship displays, that sort of thing. Winning tribe gets a fat reward and a major rep boost. You listen intently, already running calculations in your head about what to prepare. Then Fu seems to gather his courage. He ventures cautiously. Chief, your tribe is so well off. Look at all these herds. I was wondering, could you spare us one ox? We pay you back for sure. Run any errand, do any job for the tribe, no questions asked. Hearing this, your expression darkens instantly. An ox? No way. The tribe's growth depends on our livestock. We need every hand and beast. Short on food? I can give you some rations. If you want to trade, we can talk about other goods. But an ox is off the table.
Fu looks disappointed, then smiles. Chief, what can we trade? You think.
The tribe has a surplus of pottery, arrows, things like that. If you need them, bring equivalent goods to trade. Or if you got anything rare or unusual on hand, we'd be open to a deal too. Fu nods vigorously. Got it. After the meal, everyone settles in to rest. Fu tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. He saw the Han tribe's potential. That ox matter kept gnawing at him. After some serious thought, he got up, found your hut, and knocked lightly on the door. Chief, you asleep? I've got something I'd like to discuss with you. You opened the door, saw it was Fu, and immediately frowned. Was it this late? Fu said with earnest sincerity. Chief, I've been thinking it over some more. We, the Nomad tribe, might not have much to our name, but we're top-notch at getting things done on the move.
Scouting, liaising, odd jobs, we handle it all.
Could you reconsider that ox deal? Name your terms. If it's within our power, we'll give it everything we've got. You cross your arms, scrutinizing Fu, thinking to yourself, the Nomad tribe's network and intel are solid. Could be useful to have them on our side. You pause for a moment.
Since you're persistent, I'll be straight. The tribe needs clothing. The weather's warming.
The population's growing, and what we have is nowhere near enough. If you can help us find enough animal hides and plant fibers to make clothes, or know where to gather or trade for that material, then we can talk about that ox. Fu's eyes lit up. He thumped his chest in assurance. Yeah, my word, Chief. Consider it handled. We're in and out of every tribe around here.
We know the best spots.
3 days, tops. I'll bring you good materials.
You smiled faintly. All right. I'll hold you to that.
Get it done. The ox is yours. Fail, and we drop this for good. Fu nodded vigorously and left, his heart full of hope. Watch him go. You felt a surge of anticipation. You knew this could be the chance for the Han tribe to step onto a much bigger stage. You watched his retreating back, your heart full of anticipation. You knew this could be the chance for the Han tribe to step onto a much bigger stage. On the third day, Fu returned to the Han tribe. He found a place with a huge growth of fiber plants. Problem was, the place was far, even for someone with his fast pace. It was a full day's journey just to get there. But you just smiled, said nothing, and let out a stag. Ride this, and you can make the round trip in a day. Fu had seen these stags before, but it never crossed his mind. They could be tamed and ridden. You patiently showed him how to steer the stag, how to make it walk, how to stop it. After just one lap, Fu was hooked on this amazing new way to travel. He asked if he could add this antler deer to the original deal. You shut that down fast. It's either the cattle or the deer. Pick one. The payment I'm offering is already more than fair. Fu doesn't push it any further. He just makes a mental note to look forward to the next deal. At first light the next day, you and Yofu set out, each leading a pair of deer. Before leaving, you order your tribe to clear land along the north bank of the canal. That way, when you get back, you can plant the rami you gather right away, riding the giant antler deer. You head northwest. A journey that should have taken a full day on foot is done by the time the sun is high overhead. You've reached the spot Yofu described. It's a hillside blanketed in green, covered in rami plants. Looks like over 300 acres of it, but there's not a single other plant in sight. You frown. This guy's playing me. This whole field is clearly cultivated. If we get caught, we're getting our butts kicked. Chief Han, isn't this the grass you're looking for? Yofu points at the vast swathes of rami covering the slope. It's the right grass, all right. But this grass has an owner, doesn't it? Is there a tribe around here? Yeah, there's a Begin tribe here, but they're not too friendly to outsiders. So we haven't really come here before. You son of a. You set me up. But we're here now. No way we're going back empty-handed. Grab what we can and get out. Fast. You pull a large basket from the deer's back and start hacking away. Seeing this, Yofu grabs his bone knife and gets to work too. Just as you're both in the middle of your harvest, the sound of wood being struck echoes from all around. Your heart sinks. Oh crap, we're busted. Before you can even react, dozens of men swarm in from every direction. At least 30 or 40 of them, all grown men. Without a word, you and Yofu scramble onto your deer. You shout, urging them into a downhill dash. Several ropes are suddenly pulled taut across your path, bringing you to a dead stop. Then 2 large hemp nets drop over you. You're hoisted up like pigs and carried back up the hill. The 4 great stags were being led along right behind us. My heart sank, caught red-handed stealing. This is beyond humiliating. A quick glance up front, and the one leading the way was actually a girl. She wore a triumphant smirk on her face, her jet black hair cascading down her back. A piece of rough hemp cloth was wrapped around her waist as a skirt. She was a striking sight, but I was in no mood to appreciate it. I shot a glare at the other captive being carried beside me. This is all your damn fault. Before long, we were carried back to the tribe settlement. The leader of the border tribe came to stand before us. To my shock, their leader was a woman. She was draped in the same mesh-like hemp cloth as the girl, though hers was a full robe with a hood. The girl from before sauntered over to me, still grinning. She addressed the female leader. Mother, I spotted this man the moment he reached the hemp fields. Give him to me as a reward. Anyone riding such a massive beast at full gallop, and you carry yourself with a certain air. When she found you, her first thought was to keep you as her personal consort. The border tribe was structured like a matriarchy. Women held all the power here. Their leader was a woman, in her 30s, named Chang. And this girl right in front of me was Chang's daughter, Little Butterfly, now 12 years old. They just came of age. She'd been wondering what kind of man she'd find for herself, and here one just dropped in her lap. Chang walked up to me, her eyes raking over me from head to toe. This boy is unusual. You say he arrived riding the horned beast? Yes. Both of them were riding those stags. Mother, please, let me have him as my man. I don't want to go. Chang's sharp gaze swept over me, scrutinizing every detail, lingering especially on the bronze crown on my head. She'd never seen anything so golden and shiny before. Such lavish ornamentation wasn't for common folk. He must be a tribal leader, or at least a leader's son. Forcing someone like that to stay would bring trouble. It could even spark a war between tribes. Then a male tribesman handed over my bow, arrows, and spear to leader Chang. These were also taken. Chang took the bronze spear from her tribesman. Its golden tip was sharp and deadly. She thought to herself, if our whole tribe were armed like this, then we definitely can't keep him. He then took her bow and arrows. He studied them, but couldn't guess their purpose. Little Butterfly snatched the bow and arrows. She plucked the bowstring twang-twang like playing an instrument. She seemed to think it was a musical device. Seeing this, you gritted your teeth in fury. You know that dry firing a bow can damage it. Chang took an arrow from the quiver. He looked at the feathers fletched to the arrow's end, and at the equally sharp, pointed bronze arrowhead. He could be quite sure this was also a weapon, but he didn't know how to use such a small blade. Although you couldn't understand his gibberish. Watching the mother and daughter there, studying it forever without getting it, you knew his meaning and shouted urgently, "Let me go and I'll show you how to use it." Chang couldn't understand your words, but he knew you wanted out. He grabbed horse grass, saying to you, "Why did you steal our horse grass?" Just then, Fu and the other net spoke up. "We didn't know these were your things, but you'd better let us go. We are both tribal chiefs." The surrounding tribespeople were stunned by these words. How do you know our tribal language? Looking at this guy beside you got you caught. Now actually communicating with them. You felt both the urge to smack him and grudge respect. How does this guy know so many tribal languages? I am Fu, chief of the tribe, because we often trade with other tribes. We must learn the languages of many peoples. Chang thought for a moment, remembering a tribe visiting long ago. So he confirmed Fu's identity, but he still had doubts about you. And him? Why do you say he's also a chief? His tribe is even more formidable. Their population isn't less than yours, and they have many powerful weapons. You really shouldn't keep him, or your tribe is finished. Hearing this, Chang already wanted to let you go. 2 tribes of similar numbers going to war would likely end in mutual destruction. That's not what we wanted. Little Butterfly protested. We're not afraid. What weapon could he have that's better than a spear? That short spear can't be thrown far. You're lying. I want to keep him. Fu saw her defiance and just scoffed, saying nothing. Honestly, he didn't know how to explain it. He had no clue how that thing even worked. He just knew it was deadly. Seeing Fu's dismissive sneer, Xiao Dai completely lost it. You're a liar. A liar. I'm keeping him here. Chang didn't throw a tantrum like Xiao Dai. He didn't recognize the bow. Just from that sharp bronze spear, he could tell it meant business. Good weapons mean no shortage of food. No food shortage means a big tribe. Plus that bronze crown on your head. He was dead, certain you were a major chieftain. Chang pulled his sulking daughter back. I'll let you go, but you ruined our tribe's hemp grass. Our harvest this year will be much smaller. How do you plan to make it right? Hearing her mother would release them, Xiao Dai panicked. Mother, you can't let them leave. I want to keep her here as a servant. As a tribal leader, Chang knew what was at stake and refused flatly. No, she's another tribe's chief. We can't keep her. Yu Fu grew impatient. What's the price? Name it. Pay up and let's go. Chang thought for a moment. He pointed at your bow, spear, and beasts. We keep the weapons and beasts. We keep these weapons. And the antlered beasts. Yu Fu refused. Impossible. They're not mine to give. You won't hand them over. You saw Chang pointing at your gear. And the deer, confused. Yu Fu, what does she want? Yu Fu explained. She says we ruin their hemp grass. Wants the weapons and deer as compensation. Hearing that, he blew your top. This is a straight up shakedown. I just cut the tops. Didn't uproot the damn things. How is that ruining her hemp? Even if we pay, it's not worth that much. But then something didn't add up. She said we ruin their hemp field. They only harvest the hemp once a year? Yu Fu didn't get your point, just translated. The Han chief asks, do you harvest the hemp grass just once a year? The question caught Chang off guard. Isn't Raimi harvested just once a year? One look at Chang's face told you everything. They had no idea about Raimi's growing cycle. A confident smile spread on her face. Oh, it is Fu. She gets neither the weapons nor the deer. I'm taking more hemp. But I'll tell her. A method to harvest hemp 5 times a year. Hearing Fu's translation, the Bian tribe people were stunned. Hemp. 5 harvests a year? That's a 5-fold increase right there. This method is pure gold. The border tribe grows this horse grass for others too. But they also trade the woven hemp cloth and ropes with other tribes, sometimes for food, sometimes for people. So the hemp yield basically dictates the border tribe's whole future. If what you're saying is true, the border tribe would never run short hemp again. That's an offer they can't refuse. Chang's eyes lit up immediately. He frantically waited for his men to let you down. A few guys got the order and clumsily untied the two of you. You stood up, straightening your hide skirt, then pointed at Chang and gestured toward your weapons. You wanted them back first. Chang hesitated, but your gaze was ice cold and unwavering, radiating an aura of absolute authority. He quickly told Xiao Dai to return your gear, but Xiao Dai was against letting you go, still sulking. She snorted, refusing to give them up easily. Fine, I'll give them back, but you teach me how to use this first. You nodded, took the longbow, and pulled out an arrow. You scanned the area, looking for a target, spotting a small wild boar, trapped in a net sling not far off, still alive. About 30 meters from you. You drew, knocked, and released the arrow almost without aiming. With a whoosh, the sharp bronze arrowhead easily pierced through the boar's hide and flesh. The arrow shot clean through the boar's body and thudded into a wooden post behind it. The boar let out a piercing squeal. 2 thin streams of blood spurting from both sides. Its body convulsed violently, then went still. The border tribe people were stunned, bodies trembling involuntarily. They had no idea it was this deadly. Good thing the chief agreed to let them go. If the Han tribe came for us, we'd be wiped out in minutes. Xiao Dai, however, wasn't scared by the dead boar at all. She gasped in amazement at the weapon's power. So that's how it works. Incredible. Chang was equally shocked. He never imagined a weapon as effective. If that was a person instead of a boar. He didn't dare finish the thought. And that was just one arrow. You had dozens more in that quiver. You still have dozens of arrows in your quiver. That looks like more than the number of men in my own tribe. Chang is starting to get scared. What a terrifying weapon. I absolutely must not make an enemy of that Han tribe. You sneak a glance at the others, seeing the shock and fear on their faces. You can't help but feel a surge of satisfaction. Let's see if you still dare to try and catch me like a wild boar. Then you pull the arrow back out. Return it to your quiver, turn, and lead the elk, heading with everyone towards the hemp field. Once everyone is gathered around, you calmly point at the horse grass on the ground. Harvest properly. Don't just pull. Just cut it from where I'm pointing, and it'll grow back in no time. Before it freezes, do this 5 or 6 more times. Yofu, standing nearby, naturally translates for you. The people from the Bian tribe are astonished. They've always just pulled it up before. They had no idea you could do it this way. Chang asked in surprise. How do you know all this? Did you grow hemp before? You casually lie. I did when I was a kid. Then why are you cutting our hemp? To take it back and plant it? Then to weave cloth. Xiao Dai is surprised by your words. You weave cloth? Yes, and better. Wider and tighter than what you have. As you say this, you glance at the hemp cloth they're wearing. It's like a mesh sieve. Can't even cover your privates properly. Can you teach us? Chang suspects you're lying. Your weapon is proof enough that your tribe knows more production skills. Even though you just got out of the net, you don't miss the chance to push your own agenda. No, I only teach my own people. Unless you join my tribe. Joining another tribe is out of the question, especially a male-dominated one. Chang never even considered it. He flatly refuses. You didn't expect him to agree right away anyway. You just wanted to pique his interest. You shrug, acting like it's no big deal. Tell Yofu to harvest horse grass. Chang is silent. This was the deal after all, but he has other ideas. He hopes to trade goods with the Han tribe in the future. You look at him, then at his tribesmen behind him. You tell him trade is possible, but you only need children and men. Chang nods, no problem. You stop wasting words. You and Yofu get back to work. 20 minutes later, all 4 big baskets are packed full. We'll load these Raimi onto the stag's back and get ready to move out. Xiao Dai suddenly grabs the reins. Can't you stay? At this moment, you're hefting the 4 large baskets of Raimi onto the stag's back. As you prepare to leave with Yofu, Xiao Dai suddenly grabs the reins. Her eyes are full of emotion, begging you to stay. After hearing Yofu's translation, your face flushes red. But you shake your head seriously. I have my own people. I can't stay here. Xiao Dai's tears well up instantly. Her lips quiver as she asks hurt. Then, can you at least tell me your name? You don't answer. You nudge the stag with your legs, and it bolts forward. Then you draw an arrow and shoot it. It lands near Xiao Dai. She runs to it, pulls out the fletched arrow, and studies it carefully. She sees 2 square symbols on the shaft. One side says Han, the other Chong. Mother, this totem. It's the same as the one on her head. She points the arrow shaft for Chong to see. You keep it safe. Don't damage it. Let's see if we can make weapons just like this one. You and Yofu spur your stags into a hard gallop. You finally make it back to the Han tribe, with about 3 hours of daylight left. At the canal, Han and Yu tribes have cleared a 5-acre plot of farmland. You use a shovel to mark out the row spacing on the ground. He tells them to plant the seedlings. Then you pour some water over them. Shuwu and the elder come to your side. Chief, what's this planting for? For making clothes. Things to wear on your body. Clothes made from this grass are thin. Wear them in summer. The tribe's people nod. They've learned another new word. Clothes. Things you wear on your body are clothes. Now the U-tribe's task is complete. Yofu comes to you to claim his payment. Even though there was a hiccup, you don't go back on your word. You hand over the herd of stags as he requested. You also throw in a clay pot and 10 clay bowls. As for the incident where you both got captured by the Bien tribe, the two of you are in perfect sync, not even mentioning it. After all, you're both tribal chiefs. It's just too embarrassing. Early the next morning, Yofu and his people come to bid you farewell. He makes a pact with you to meet again in Dream Valley. You watch the U-tribe's caravan disappear into the distance. Your gaze distant and thoughtful. I can't help but feel a bit of wanderlust myself. The elder approaches from behind, calling out to you. What's our next move, chief? You snap out of it and look at him. The rice seedlings we started, it's been 17 days. Time to transplant. Let's get to work. Right then, you're the elder to gather all able-bodied adults. First, the men will breach the irrigation channels. Start flooding the main field. The elder doesn't get this transplanting, but he follows orders. He knows trusting the chief is always the right call. Soon, men with bronze shovels cut openings in every channel. Water from the canal rushes into the paddy fields. Meanwhile, you lead the women in pulling up the seedlings. You bundle them up, setting them aside. The shepherd boy, as instructed, uses a ruler to cut a bunch of 40-centimeter sticks. They'll help us keep the rows straight when planting. Once all the prep is done, everyone gathers around to learn from you. Pinch the base of the seedling between two fingers. Stick it straight into the mud. Use a stick to check spacing. Then plant the next one. Nods all around. But a man from the Black Rat tribe speaks up. Chief, can we really eat this grass? His question hangs in the air. All eyes turn to you. It's the question on everyone's mind. No one dared ask before. With livestock and peanuts, they see the food. But this crop you talk about, it's alien to them. I feel like waste of time, all this sacrifice. You don't get mad. You explain patiently. You're right. You can't eat the plant itself. We eat its seeds. You send Stone to fetch the remaining 22 pounds of rice seeds to show everyone. These are the seeds the rice plant bears. We call them rice grains. Remove this husk and you get what we eat rice. The rice is hard. You have to cook in a pot. Boil it soft. Seeing their still confused faces, you decide to head back to camp. You'll use the last of these seeds to cook a pot of rice for everyone to taste. The elder and the shaman are too old for this backbreaking work. They follow you back to see how this cooking is done. You find a thick clay pot. Using a wooden pestle, you pound the grains inside the pot. Soon, the husks are all removed. The rice grains inside are now brown rice. You put this brown rice into a clay pot and rinse it clean with water. Add rice and water in a 1-to-2 ratio, then set it over the fire. Chief watches the lid plant right. He stares at the small amount of rice at the bottom of the pot. Chief, there's so little rice in here. Can this really fill anyone up? You smile and tell him, when rice cooks with water, it expands. Soon, the water will be gone, leaving only soft, fluffy cooked rice. The rice expands. The elder and Shuwu gasp in unison, amazed. They've never heard of food that grows bigger before. Some of the tribe's children gather around, too. Soon, a rich, savory aroma of rice begins to waft from the clay pot. It makes the surrounding kids swallow hard, their mouths watering. You're excited too. That familiar smell, it's been so long. Just as you're finishing up the rice, you notice something. All seedlings transplanted. Now, they're all standing around the pot, drawn in by the incredible smell filling the air. Soon, a pot of snow-white, fragrant, cooked rice is presented before everyone. You have each tribe's person line up with their own bowl and chopsticks. Since there's not much, everyone can only have a small taste. The first few in line get their share first. They can't wait, shoving it into their mouths, savoring the flavor. This rice is amazing. It's sweet when you chew it. So good. The people still waiting hear this. Go ahead, hurry up. In no time, the tribe scrapes bowls clean. They're used to meat. This soft, sweet, sticky food is something entirely new. It's a novel, happy experience. Now, not a single person in the tribe has any doubts about you left. On the contrary, because you brought them this rice, your standing among the people has shot up even higher. Once that's done, you start assigning tasks again. The men are to chop wood, catch chickens, hunt, smelt copper, make pottery, do carpentry. Women fire bricks, fish, herd, refine salt. The salt refining method is similar to boiling night or before. Purify rock salt, then boil. Finally, evaporate the crystals. The white salt produced isn't just for our own tribe's use. We can also trade it with others. You're taking spring gathering seriously. We need to prepare more salt and pottery. These are essentials for every tribe. Don't worry about them not selling. The other thing we need to prepare is a large cart. Hauling all this cargo that far is going to depend on this thing. I immediately called in Mutun to check on the wooden cart's progress. Mutun didn't waste any words. He just brought over a dozen of his woodworking crew and rolled the four-wheel cart right in front of me. When I saw it, I was stunned. Didn't think old reliable Mutun had some tricks up his sleeve. I'd only asked him to make a simple two-wheeled flatbed. But what's sitting here now, it's basically the prototype of a carriage. A huge cargo bed in the back. No roof yet. But we can just rig up a hide canopy when we need it. Won't be much worse than a proper wagon. And up front, there's even a flat platform, big enough for 2 people to sit. Hook up a couple of oxen for power. Someone sits up front to steer, and we're good. I gave Mutun some serious praise. Tossed him a few more tweaks, and he was thrilled. He and his crew got right back to work, with me calling the shots and coordinating everything. Humanity's first ever ox cart was finished in just 3 days. Now this beast is exactly what I pictured. Not just good looking and fancy, but practical. Fuel economy, about a bale of hay per 100 miles. Time flies. The first month of spring is almost over. This past month, the gains have been solid. The Han tribe farmed, mined, harvested salt. We fought a battle, brought the Black Rat tribe to heel, and even managed to get horses from the border tribe. Life for our people keeps getting better. The only downside is my grand plan. The city walls, still just a plan. Building a city needs too many hands. The Han tribe barely has 350 souls total right now. So it's time to hit the spring fair for pottery and salt. Do some serious recruiting to make transport easier. I had KZ modify a batch of small, flat-bottomed, wide-mouthed clay pots with wooden lids. They can all stack together to save space. Salt goes straight into big wooden barrels, lids tied down with rope. I kept barking orders, getting the people to load the cart. The spring fair starts in 6 days. To avoid a rush trip, we're heading out early. I called Deshu over and laid it out for him. While I'm gone these next few days, he's in charge. Protect our people, protect those seedlings. No excuses. The Shu could feel the weight of my trust. He thumped his chest hard, vowed to protect every single member of the tribe. Then he turned to Shuda, standing nearby, placed a prepared tin canister in his hands. While I'm gone, you're in charge of leading the hunting party. And you'll lead the new recruits, too. Drill them on bows and spears every day. Shuda saw Shu getting the big responsibility. He was feeling a little jealous at first, but when he saw you prepared, a headdress for him, just like the Shu's, that little grudge vanished instantly. He couldn't stop admiring the rhino horn crown. Finally, you told the elders, and Shu to check the rice fields daily. The fields must stay flooded, at least a palm's depth of water. The two old men, though advanced in years, were eager to contribute. Now, they had their own mission. They happily agreed. Once everything was set, you rallied the team to move out for the spring gathering. You only brought a few grown men. Billy, fully recovered in 1 year, plus Beast Fong, Stone, Feather, and Stump. 6 in total. Then there were 20 newly minted young men, led by Monkey, Big Mouth, Big Fur, and Second Fur. Stump was assigned to drive the ox cart. You and the other 5 veterans rode the giant stacks. The 20 youths shared 10 giant stacks. A grand mounted procession of 27 men set off towards Dream Valley in the southwest. The journey passed through woods, grasslands, and hills. Progress was smooth. By nightfall, they found a clearing to make camp. Several campfires were lit. The group gathered around. You posted watch shifts and settled in to rest. But you barely closed your eyes when Beast Fong's voice cut in. Chief, wake up. Another group's coming up behind us. Looks like they're headed to the gathering, too. You rubbed your eyes, sat up, and peered at the approaching torches in the distance. As they drew closer, you saw the leader of the other party. It was a man swathed in hemp cloth. It was Chong of the Border Tribe. His group was larger than yours. 10 grown men, 20 girls, 20 boys, plus himself. 51 people in total. They carried their own trade goods. Hemp rope, hemp nets, hemp cloth, even big bone clubs. Little Butterfly was throwing a fit. Mother, I'm so thirsty. There's no water on this road. I don't want to go to Dream Valley to find a man anymore. She knows exactly what her daughter's scheming about. She called out the girl's little plan right away. Don't think I don't know what's in your head. That man is a chief from another tribe. He's not coming to our tribe. Get over it. Just then, a grown man rushed up to the mother and daughter. Chief, there's a tribe's party camped up ahead. Little Butterfly hears people ahead. Approach. She immediately starts whining, tugging her mother's arm. Mom, let's go check it out. I'm so thirsty. Chong looks around at the people in her own group. They've all gone half a day without water. Everyone's parched. She finally nods in agreement. Little Butterfly runs ahead. Soon, she spots the distinctive hairstyles of the Han tribe. Her face lights up. Mom, look, it's the Han tribe. Let's go ask them for some water. Chong shoots her a look, muttering under her breath. Their lands are even farther than ours. Who knows if they have any water left? You walk over then. You've already recognized Chong and Little Butterfly. Chief of Han, do you have water? We've run out. Can we trade for some? Chong makes hand gestures as she speaks. You frown. Trade? Forget it. With their junk? Besides their people, you don't want a thing. You wave a hand. Signaling no trade needed, you motion for them to follow. You lead them behind the 4-wheeled ox cart. Climbing on the cart, you grab a large clay bowl from the front. The people from the Trident tribe are stunned. What the hell is that? How would they bring a house here? And is that a stone basin the chief's holding? They have a whole house full of stone basins? Oh, where's the water? Basins alone are useless. Then they watch you go to the back of the ox cart. You tip over a round wooden barrel. Pull a wooden plug from the lid. Instantly, a stream of clear water gushes out. A young man's jaw drops. He gasps. That's for holding water? It's huge. You could fit a person in there. You ignore him. Hand the filled clay bowl directly to Chong. Drink. No trade needed. Chong places her right hand on her chest. Give you a slight bow of thanks. Then she and Little Butterfly take turns, draining the entire bowl of water. Seeing the rest of the group still waiting, thirsty, you hand the bowl to Big Mouth. Tell him to give everyone water. Chief of Han, you're heading to spring gathering too, right? What do you think? Can our 2 tribes travel together? You know he just wants to tag along for a free drink. After a moment's thought, you don't refuse. If you're not mistaken, those boys are probably trade goods too. Soon after, the people of the Yin tribe set up camp, right next to the Han tribe. Some of them are sleeping. Others are watching the Han people and all their gear, with intense curiosity. They're whispering among themselves. At first light the next day, the scent of roasting meat fills the camp. The Han tribe's breakfast is ready. It's rabbits and groundhogs and night watch them with their bows and arrows. The Bien tribe is roused by the smell too. They pull out their own smoked jerky to roast over the fire. You sit by the fire as well, skewering a rabbit liver on a stick to roast. You sprinkle on salt, then chili powder. Instantly, a strange, mouth-watering aroma draws Little Butterfly over. She stares transfixed as you handle the food on the stick, swallowing hard. Slice off half when cooked. Hand it to her. After all, she's been waiting for a bite for ages. Little Butterfly grins, takes a huge bite of liver. She chews a few times, then her face turns bright red. Her mouth hangs open as she fans it frantically with her hand, but she still can't bring herself to spit out. The sight almost makes you laugh, but you don't tease her further. You hand her a bowl of cool water. Gulps 2 mouthfuls. What is that flavor? It hurts, but I love it. You tell her it's chili. That burn is spicy. She points to another pouch, full of white granules. And what about this white stuff? You pinch a bit of salt into her palm. This is white salt. It's salty. Eating it gives you strength, lets you walk farther, work harder, and you won't get weak. Little Butterfly licks it. Her eyes fly wide open. She immediately gets excited and runs back to show her mother. She knows this is something her tribe desperately needs. Chong is just about to ask what it is, when Little Butterfly shoves that bit of salt into his mouth. The intensely salty taste makes him grimace. He forces a swallow, grabs her. Where did you get this? Where did this come from? The chief of the Han tribe gave it to me. Ah, chief gave me. With that, Little Butterfly drags Chong over to you. No one notices the sly grin playing on your lips just then. The fish is biting. You generously hand Chong the small pouch, made of snakeskin, filled with white salt. Chong takes the pouch, dips a finger in, and puts it in his mouth. He smacks his lips, sucking on his teeth thoughtfully. He seems to savor that pure, clean saltiness. Then he asks you excitedly, Chief of the Han tribe, where did this white salt come from? Can you trade us some? We make it ourselves. We can trade. 1 bowl of white salt for 1 man. Chong thinks for a moment. Those boys were meant to be traded to another tribe anyway, so he readily agrees. But he wants to trade for 20 boys all at once. He hopes you'll give a little extra salt. You pretend to hesitate, but finally nod. Then you lead him to the back of the ox cart. When you pull back the hides, the Bien tribe members are stunned. The cart is loaded not just with pottery, but also several huge wind barrels. All this stuff, and it's all just containers? Any single piece could fetch at least one person in trade. The Han tribe is loaded, but when you deliberately lift the lids of a few barrels, they completely lose it. Holy crap, these giant barrels are full of white salt. Chong suddenly feels like this isn't real. Salt is priceless, impossible to find on the market. And this kind of snow white, fine salt, and the Han tribe has this much, his result in not joining another tribe is starting to waver. A tribe this rich, overflowing with wealth. Maybe it's worth considering after all. Chong sees the barrels on the ox cart, all filled with white salt. His determination to not join another tribe is already crumbling. A tribe this flush, this wealthy. Maybe it's not such a bad idea. You scoop a heaping bowlful from the salt barrel. Looks like a good 3 pounds. This much for one person. That's my final offer. Get your own bags. Chong snaps out of his shock. He urgently signals Little Dai to get some hide bags from the tribe. They end up filling 2 bags to the brim. 2 of Bien tribe's strongest men carry them. The Bien tribe's 20 youths are now part of the Han tribe. The group grows from 27 to 47 people. You're thrilled. Big profit before spring gathering. A great omen for a successful trip. Soon, the caravan moves out again. But the pace slows a bit now. Mainly because, besides Chong and Little Dai riding on the cart, everyone else is on foot, including the 20 new youths. You and your 20 lads take turns riding the deer. After 2 more days heading southwest, you run into another group. Among them is Yu-Fu, also riding a giant stag. He's got his 2 sons, maybe 3 or 4 years old, in his lap. His tribesmen follow close behind. Traveling with them is another tribe, the Snake tribe. 31 of them. 10 are full-grown warriors. The rest are 10 young men and 10 young women. Their leader is an old man with white hair and a white beard. He's the most unusual person you've seen since arriving in this world, because the old guy is lounging on a sedan chair carried by 4 men. He's casually handling a big green snake, looking totally at ease. Yu-Fu spots you and happily comes over to greet you. Jifan, didn't expect you to be here so early. Let me introduce you. This is the snake shaman of the snake tribe. The snake on him is their tribe's snake god. Their snake god is truly miraculous. No matter what venomous snake bites you, one bite from the snake god and you're cured. I got bitten by a viper when I was a kid. My father took me to the snake god for healing. Yu-Fu boasts to you proudly, seeming to have a good relationship with the snake tribe. You don't believe in his snake god, though the snake bite cure part might be real. You'd heard of ancient healers with medicine snakes, usually highly venomous ones, trained from a young age to treat snake bites. Facing a healer from his primitive age, you respectfully place your hand over your chest and give a slight nod to the snake shaman. He nods back, but the old man's gaze keeps drifting to your ox cart. He's never seen such an advanced mode of transport. Compared to his sedan chair, it's like an Audi versus an Alto. And so, the 4 groups set off together again. Total headcount, close to 160 people. Yu-Fu eyes the stone and tree banner behind you, full of envy. If only his Yu tribe could travel in such style. So he asks you again, Chief Han, got any more tasks for us? I'd love to get more of those antlered beasts. Honestly, you really don't want to trade livestock anymore. The Han tribe doesn't have much to spare themselves. You tell them there won't be any trades for antlered beasts for now. Future tasks will have to be paid with something else. Hearing this, Yu-Fu looks very disappointed. But the big brainiac here had another bright idea. All I really need is a way to get around. Why does it have to be a stag? A good ox cart would work just fine. Chief Han, could you give me a cart like that? I'll do anything for you. This guy was just dreaming. That kind of ox cart is a pain to make. No way I'm trading it. But a hand cart, maybe, that'll cost you 50 able-bodied adults. Want the ox too? Add another 10 people. You laid it out for him straight. I'm guessing your tribe doesn't have that many, huh? But I'm sure you'll find a way to get them. Hearing this, Yu-Fu looked confident. You're right. I can get you at least 100 people. But I want one of those big 4-wheeled wagons, and the 2 oxen to pull it. You didn't shoot him down right away. You were more curious where his confidence came from. A chief of a tribe of maybe 50 people claims he can round up over 100 adults. If they're snatched by force, I don't want him. Of course not. They're all wanderers. When you heard that word, you were stunned. Holy crap, you guys are the wanderers in my book. Are there even more feral ones? Seeing your disbelief, Yu-Fu explained, what we call wanderers are just people living alone out there. Most are cripples abandoned by their tribes, or exiles kicked out for breaking rules. He thought for a second, then agreed. My tribe has all sorts of jobs. Plenty of places to put them. The cripples work with the lame guy. The troublemakers get hard labor. They'll fall in line. But you set a deadline. He had to deliver them to the Han tribe before the second full moon. Yu-Fu agreed readily. He didn't even go to Chunwei. He turned his people right around. After all, he had a lot of ground to cover. The whole group was back to about 100 people, heading southwest. By evening, as they passed a gentle, sloping hill, you and One Ear, scouting ahead, spotted something. 3 adult terror birds in their nest. You sent One Ear back immediately to fetch more men. You'd hold the line here. The 3 birds were by the nest, ripping into some carcass, too busy eating to pay you any mind. A while later, the main group caught up. Besides the Han tribe men, there were 6 warriors from the Snake and Boar tribes. You almost face-bombed. There are only 3 birds. Why bring so many? Chief, I told them. But these 2 tribes insisted on joining. So we've cleared out all the game along the route. They're almost starving. Tell them they can have one of the 3 terror birds, but the feathers are ours. Make them all gather firewood. We only need 16 of our own men. The rest go guard the ox carts. They'll quickly work it out with the 2 tribes. They all gathered on the hilltop to watch. Next moment, you let out a battle cry and charged out front. The remaining 15 riders split into 2 columns. Close on your heels. The 3 terror birds feasting on the kill paused, confused. They'd never seen a formation like this. Stretching their necks, held out weird guttural shrieks, trying to scare off this approaching mob. But you came for them. No way you're leaving empty-handed. Order men to block the birds' escape. Seeing they weren't scared off, but were charging at them full force. The terror birds had nowhere to run. They could only charge head-on toward you. As the distance closed, you leaned forward slightly, spear held straight out. At the moment of impact, you drove the spear clean through the bird's chest. The sheer force sent the spearhead out the other side. A slight tug on the reins, and your elk steered past the bird. In that split second as you passed, you grabbed the spear shaft, now protruding from its back. 1 charge, 1 kill. The terror bird dropped dead. The other two met the same fate under the elk's hooves. Ermau and Big Mouth teamed up on one, stabbing its neck and back. Down for the count. The fiercest one went for Beast Tusk. They tried to peck him as they clashed. Beast Tusk just tilted his spear point up a hair, gave a mouthful of bronze, dead as a doornail. Little Butterfly, seeing this from the ox cart, jumped up and down, shouting, "Mom!" The Han tribe chief is amazing. Nagano couldn't help but think. The Han tribe's strength isn't just their chief. They have formidable warriors. We gotta latch onto this tribe tight. He thought for a moment, then asked his daughter, Butterfly, do you like the Han tribe chief? Would you go with him if you could? Butterfly was stunned. Then she nodded eagerly. But don't the women of our tribe only ever taken husbands? She liked him. Marrying into the Han tribe never crossed her mind, and she couldn't bear to leave her mom. Nagano sighed, frustrated. He's a chief. There's no way he'd join our tribe. Gotta think it over carefully back home before making a decision. After your group dragged back the 3 terror birds, everyone decided to make camp right there for the night. All the feathers from the 3 birds went to the Han tribe. The rest of the meat was divided among the others. As everyone gathered around the fire eating, Little Butterfly kept sneaking glances at you. It made you, a hardcore straight guy, totally uncomfortable. You left camp for air. The breeze felt cool, and the clear sky was dotted with stars, unbelievably peaceful. You turned and looked southwest towards Dream Valley. Not far ahead was a large, low hill. You could just make out over its ridge what seemed like a whole lot of fireflies. Right then, the snake shaman joined you, gazing out and murmuring. Dream Valley is a beautiful place. There are glowing bugs, glowing plants. At night, even the lake water shines. A perfect spot for young folks to get to know each other. He rambled on, and he didn't catch a single word. But the hissing sound from the spirit snake on him, that you heard loud and clear. You needed to get away from this creepy old man fast. That thing was a highly venomous serpent, after all. Early the next morning, the group moved out again. Led by the snake shaman, they pushed hard all day, and finally, around 2 p.m., entered the area of Dream Valley. Dream Valley was a basin with a freshwater lake in the middle that covered 3 or 4,000 acres and had geysers. Flowers carpeted the ground, and butterflies as big as your hand danced through the air in swarms. The valley had willows unlike any you'd seen. Their branches were white, their leaves a pale pink. Countless branches swayed in the wind like a maiden's flowing hair, stirring the restless hearts of countless young men. The young women, seeing such beauty, couldn't resist playing among the flowers, chasing the bright butterflies, weaving pretty garlands. The boys, hearts all aflutter, just stood there drooling, blocking away like a bunch of dumb geese. You walked up and kicked in the rear. What are you staring at? Never seen a woman before? Get the cargo unloaded. With this haul, finding a pretty girl won't be a problem. The boys grinned, scratched their heads, and cleaned up. They tied all the mounts to the willows nearby. There was lush green grass here, so the animals could feast happily for days. A dozen men worked together to haul over a large stone slab. We laid out all sorts of pottery and white salt on top. The Bien tribe set up camp right next to the Han tribe. They strung nets between 2 trees to make hammocks. They also displayed linen, sandals, and ropes, made into a proper little stall. The snake tribe pitched their camp on the other side of the Han tribe. Their main goods were snakeskins and some medicinal herbs. Seems the snake tribe is really good at healing. Throughout the afternoon, more and more tribes kept trickling in. It was open for you. You've seen a few humans, and it's open your eyes. The brown tribe, decked out in leaf suits, were strong-limbed. Great climbers, practically lived swinging from the vines. Could go a whole day without touching the ground. Then the Vermilion tribe arrived with raisins and brown sugar. They'd already figured out how to dry grapes. They even made brown sugar from grape juice. The AO tribe, hauling huge shells, looked just like the Ninja Turtles. The Trine tribe, everyone carrying a 3-pronged wooden fork. Their specialty? Spearfishing. And the Kuin tribe, covered head to toe in pheasant feathers. But they weren't singers or dancers. They were expert pheasant hunters. More tribes were still arriving. By the time the sun dipped below the western hills, there were around 20 different tribes gathered. Nearly 1,000 people in total. The moment the last sliver of sunset glow vanished, every young person in the valley froze. Then a collective gasp erupted. Instantly, the whole valley lit up. It was like stepping into a dream, utterly mesmerizing. In the valley's lake, an eerie blue glow made the water crystal clear and luminous. Countless flowers bloomed, radiating multicolored light.